With a Hogan style haircut.
That's tough. I think I'm gonna end up with a Hazard style haircut in not too long. So I'll start losing my hair a little bit more.
I think you gotta go with
give me 2 years.
I think you gotta go with the really confusing one where you just shave like this hair but then leave the beard. So you just have a
That's the plan.
I never understood that.
That's the plan. I'm gonna look so cool.
Like you gotta at least figure it out. Like have an island and just like have the goatee. You know, that way it doesn't look so bad.
I know. I think that's fun though, especially if like you like wear a hat and then you just take off that and then it's like,
But
wait,
I
what?
guess-
Do I have to go? Okay. Then
I guess
your
your
hat's
still your hair?
I guess with my
It's like,
idea,
what?
I guess with my idea, you just end up looking like Stone Cold. So.
It just makes you look like a Lego person.
Lego person, yeah.
My God, this is slow.
Lighting on fire.
UNC
It's the only way to be sure.
Like with shot cans and all that stuff. It's
What are they
really
doing
bizarre.
more?
I don't know. I haven't seen it today.
African studies.
Yeah, but like
Still going? I thought that was done.
Apparently, it's still going.
he's just like trying to run them like through the mud, and then they're like, "This was a long time ago. This passed us." And now he's like trying to sue it. I don't know.
But then, because they didn't give them an education of any sort whatsoever.
I guess I'll start Break Podcast live stream. I have a
Google machines.
I asked the Googles when it was. It's right now.
Is it?
Let's see.
It was about 13 minutes ago.
No. It's a pretty good bottle of wine, actually, just reading it.
I like TJ
Wine
just
on this podcast.
We've got bullet bourbon, wine, beer, and mystery mug.
I just like how
I'm
Dave
surprised
said
there's any
that.
bourbon left after the game last night.
I just like how Dave said that. TJ looks over, has this look on his face like that big ears, and then looks away.
If I had watched the game last night, it would be
Yeah, that wasn't fun.
I guess I picked a good one to miss.
After about 4 runs, I was like, I don't want to play some video games.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Twitter going in case they make a comeback.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
doing something
Well,
completely
yeah,
else.
and I have the MLB radio.
Oh, yeah, even better.
Just throw that on, and then I was just like, enough of this.
And all it was on Twitter was just this one fest about Zimmerman going through his second TJ. So
Well,
I was like, oh, okay.
the minute that he got pulled out, I was like, and done.
Fuck this game.
That's not what you want.
It did look a lot like Strasburg's entry. Pittsburgh.
This Strasburg really did a
Yeah, he really
that
had
was a big shake.
I was there for that game. That was fun. All the
That was the
fans
one that-
cheering him going
Oh,
off the field.
Yeah.
Our franchise is walking off the field with an injured arm. Like, great.
Typical Philadelphia fashion.
Yeah, they were
No,
really bad.
The
Like,
entire
really
day,
bad.
the day after that, the entire day, I just didn't even look at anything internet related. I was like, I already know. It's quite sad.
Yeah, that was like the second most painful day. When Teixeira didn't sign and you were like 2 more years from being in contention. That one really hurts. No, we got him. No, we don't. Not even close. No.
He's chosen the Nats over the Red Sox.
Yeah, right.
But no one mentioned what he did with the Yankees.
Oh, and the Yankees decided to offer him 8 years for 180. We didn't see that coming. See ya.
I'm amazed that he's hitting this year because
He actually has been.
because like he's been nothing over the last like 2 years, and this is the point where you thought he would be dead anyways.
Okay, it is time for food.
It is time for food.
Do it.
What are you talking about?
To share.
Oh, okay.
It's funny, I went back and
Marky
looked at the Soriano contract and then how he performed from the contract. He hasn't been that awful compared to his contract.
Especially because the last 2 years.
The first year was great that he signed for the Cubs too, but he had like 20 wins above replacement in the 8 years, which is. It's not quite what you wanted,
but he did.
Plus, magically make everyone around you better.
Oh, well, he knew that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, make this bullshit go away.
What are you struggling with, Black?
Light it on fire.
Cover It Live has changed all your shit, and they're like, hey, look at all this stuff, I don't care. I just want people to talk.
You're right. I really don't need this to be difficult.
No, just show
Okay,
me.
so you guys can just inform that. I do. A little bit.
Chicken. Okay.
How's the site doing?
Why are you asking?
Good. I mean, it's amazing. People come and read when we actually post things.
Is the
Yeah, it's
chili
nice.
ready, TJ?
What's that?
Is the chili ready?
Stir it and make sure that everything is melted in it,
Okay.
and it should be good to go.
We'll go back. Chicken onion.
Yeah.
Make sure it kills nobody.
Ooh, what'd you do up this time? Where's this you?
That's him.
This is coffee, raw bourbon braised chicken.
I think it was good.
I'm gonna have to go around to it. Just ate a little while ago.
No idea what it tastes like.
Coffee? Bourbon?
Hey, TJ, is the spoon by the cooker to shovel it into our plates?
You may want to use something that's a little deeper.
The plastic
Yeah,
one?
big
That's,
plastic.
yeah, okay, cool.
Smoking it was an excellent idea.
I just
Oh,
wanted to say
too,
that.
okay.
Well, braising is coming
Might be,
out
might be brown.
dry cooking.
All right.
Oh, is that right? I didn't.
Yeah.
I never knew that. That's what I meant. I thought it was actually just a rubbing and putting.
Right.
So how long did you smoke it for?
Yeah, or.
30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It's not. It's only supposed to be. It's pretty much like some sort of dry cooking method and then poaching it.
Okay, that makes sense.
So it's poached and burned.
I don't recall.
So the
Memory is down.
New Orleans side of eating, but it's shoving everything into the same plate. So we just run around. These flavors play together? Probably.
We're gonna figure it out, right?
I heard you like chicken, so I put chicken inside your chicken.
That's like gumbo, jambalaya, oh boy. Just stuff a bunch of shit into something else and be like, man, that's food.
It's kind of like Mexican food, the burritos and stuff.
Yeah.
Just throw it whatever you want here.
And like a turducken.
Turducken.
Well, that's
I've had that before. You guys had that? It's pretty good.
What is it?
It's a turkey, duck, and chicken inside of each other.
It's like an incestual Thanksgiving.
Yeah. It's done right. I mean, you know, I had one guy that didn't know what he was doing.
Really?
Oh god, I just went to like order out for Chinese food on Thanksgiving. It's so bad. Yeah.
That's bad. The only time I've ever had duck was my friend's family owns a Chinese restaurant, like a really nice one. So occasionally we'll go over there and get like free food, and it's just like everything they own. So we had like one day we went to King's Dominion, and we came back that night. It was like 11 o'clock, and we got like 2 different pork dishes, 2 different beef dishes, a chicken dish, a duck dish, and like a bunch of different noodles and vegetables, a couple of fish.
Duck is amazing.
It was great.
It's done well.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is now
Another beer.
like I go with lobster maybe 7 or 8 times, 10 times in my life, and I think 8 of those times have been for free because his parents will like send him lobster occasionally from the restaurant, and then we'll prepare it and eat it. And so now I like it's kind of been spoiled. I don't want to get lobster any other time. It's just better when
Or
it's
when you
free.
have to pay for it.
Yeah, it's like you pay for it.
It's
It's like,
amazing how much
so you're eating it.
it's free. Yeah.
Wait, not all
It's
lobster.
like you eat the lobster and then you get the bill, and now you're sad again.
I need to find his friends.
Yeah, seriously. That's a spring semester of my junior year. He started this semester. He brought down like 2 lobsters and a couple other dishes from the restaurant. And then right before the end of the semester, his parents they had a friend coming down to Blacksburg, so they sent her with food, and so we had more lobster. So we bookmarked the semester with lobster. It's pretty great.
I had a lot of good hamburgers in college.
I did a lot of dollar menu from McDee's in college. A lot.
For some reason in Rockingham County, well, it's actually the poultry factory, there's a tremendous amount of Mexicans. So there's just great Mexican restaurants.
That's it.
Let's do this.
That's why I find it funny when I see these propaganda films on chicken. I'm like, no, that's not how it is. They're in chicken coops the whole time, and then when they're sent to the factory, they're in those little cages for probably about 2 minutes, and then they're dead.
And then they're nuggets.
I lived in the area where chicken.
See, Dave, sometimes they let the chicken be in a slightly larger cage.
It's in a coop. There's farms. Rockingham County.
No, which is
No,
not exactly
no.
perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not- it didn't
No,
look
no,
the Ritz, but
see,
you know,
see, then they have like free range organic chicken. They get a coop where they can move a couple inches to the left and the right.
And they get a massage every Tuesday too.
Actually, massaging.
That's how it's organic. The massages make all the difference.
That makes
The
it
organic has an extra 2 inches.
I'm a chicken
Wow.
masseuse. That's my career.
Got paid about $13 an hour for it. Pretty good gig, actually.
Massaging chickens.
$13 an hour. Can't be good profit margins.
All right, so we're going to start with,
Food.
yes, 20 minutes of just listening to us eat.
Wait, that's what we've already been doing, though, right?
We got yelled at last time.
By who?
Some dude commented, he's like, they're eating chips and I can hear them.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Well, your chips are kind
You
of
get
loud.
what you
This
pay
isn't
for,
that
by
loud.
the way. It's always my favorite. Well, you got what you paid for.
Yeah.
Those Doritos were delicious.
Well, this is fun. So now we get to be on on the internet eating.
Yes.
Internet TV.
And you guys are actually being watched.
No, I know. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
so-
That's what I'm saying. No, I meant we as in me and Sean. I don't care about you people.
The Red Shirt Brigade.
It's good to watch me enjoy food.
Oh, good.
All right, we're going to start with a,
I feel like this is like a pay site.
we'll recap the,
Not that kind of pay site.
You never know. There's a lot of weird people up there.
There's always a fetish for guys in red net shirts. So you matching red net shirts.
Hey,
with that.
I'm just saying, there's weirder
Eating
things out
chili.
there.
Yeah, I guess that is true.
all right, we'll recap the first half and then we'll get into the interesting stuff from there. Okay, welcome, Nats fans, to our All-Star Break podcast thing, Bonanza,
Wow, really
Extravaganza.
playing that
I like
one.
Yeah.
extravaganza.
Extravaganza, we'll go with that. Mania. There we
Well, we're
go.
not the Beatles, okay?
Talking
Nashtown,
Could be
Maine.
Hulkamania though.
Yeah.
There we go.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's my uncle.
Or WrestleMania.
You have the microphone.
That's dangerous. Very, very dangerous.
And we have a camera. You can just.
I know the ball walk certainly won't let me have the mic.
All right, so you've already heard the cast of characters here. I'm your host, TJ Lennemeyer. We've got Sean Hogan,
Hello.
James O'Hara,
Hey.
Matthew Davila,
Yep.
David Huzzard,
Huh.
Ryan Sullivan.
Hey, hey, hey.
Holy
Dave.
shit, you still exist.
Dave.
Yeah, I'm around. Thanks for the invite, guys. It's only been since November. Thanks, guys.
I like that.
Good to see you again, though.
I like that, Dave.
Well, we're eating, which may annoy some people.
Well,
Mr. Commenter.
you know, the first four, you know where all they're from. Ryan Sullivan is a mini celebrity here, a busy man. Hawk all of your stuff right now. You have too much going on for me to know.
Editor-in-chief at NashGM.com. I have my own podcast, The Nash GM Show, very well named. I do the work for the Red Porch Report. I'm on their podcast. I write there. I write for Ozone Censored. I do a little bit of work for Yahoo, even though they just dropped me. And
Oh.
Nobody likes Yahoo.
Yeah, right.
They drop everybody.
and half dozen other places. So it's good to see you guys. I do some work on the annual too for Citizens and that's down
Yes,
too.
he does.
Every once in a while, you guys find me here too.
Yeah, so you don't have to just believe what Sean tells you about prospects. You get a second opinion now.
You can get facts.
Yeah, exactly. That's dangerous.
Now, I don't want to jump the gun here and ruin your whole. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it anyway.
Where are you going? And I'll bat you down until you know.
About prospects.
No, we're not going there yet.
We're not going. Okay.
No.
That's
Because-
hour 2.
We will. We
Hey,
will
Mike,
need
easy
you
on
to-
Tina. Good lord.
So I have to wait for my.
He went there. What is it? 5
Your point
minutes
was going to
in?
be that good anyways.
Didn't take long. Nice work.
I think there are more important things happening than prospects right now.
I like that Dave
Yes.
is Tina
I
Turner.
was, wait, oh, wait.
They
Oh,
Yeah.
up drinking a wine out of a
Well, what
bottle.
does that say about you?
wait. I know what his prospect point is. It actually would be relevant to be first.
Would it?
Well, it concerns a certain pitcher who has a certain injury yesterday and another certain pitcher in AAA.
That's way too far ahead.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, we're starting from the beginning.
We're starting in April.
Oh, good lord.
I don't remember yesterday. We're starting in April.
We're just reviewing the first half, so we just have to talk about how disappointing the Washington Nationals are.
Which is
They can't beat good teams.
No,
You know,
they can't be bad teams either.
somebody
They just can't beat teams.
I think it was Masson the other day that said the Nationals are like, they had a losing record, but I think it was like by 1 or 2 games against teams that are over 500. And I said, really? Do you think that's maybe why those teams are over 500?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. You're gonna lose the teams.
The Giants have a losing record against the Nationals, as do the Milwaukee Brewers. I guess they should jump
As
off
do the
grid.
Dodgers.
Their season's over.
4 teams.
They'll just start buying wins. They have a lot of money.
The Dodgers can do that.
Let me pull up the schedule and see if there's anything.
Well, May was a terrible month.
May was not good.
Mhm.
But that was when you were missing 4 starters out of the lineup.
It really started in April when one Ryan Zimmerman and then one Bryce Harper.
Well, it actually started on opening day.
That's true.
Wilson
7
Ramos.
innings later.
Wilson Ramos.
But it's
Hell, even
okay.
before opening day when Doug Fister wasn't there.
I mean, we were running out of sub 300 span at the leadoff, and then it would go like Franzen, Leone, Espinosa batting 150 or something. It got real ugly around spot 6 in the lineup for a while.
And at that point in time, Desmond was slumping too.
True. Greg Dobbs was our starting first baseman.
Yeah.
As
We all
was
remember
Ringo.
that era. That was fun.
Let's start though with our undefeated March. We lost 0 games and we won 1. That's a lot more
Yeah,
wins
no,
than
that's
losses.
insane.
Yeah.
That's a big month. That really set the tone
You
for the
really
season.
want to own that month.
But yeah, March, everybody says games in March, they count more than every other month.
I'm pretty sure everybody says that.
Pretty sure they do.
That is
I
always.
think that actually might be in the Bible.
Wow.
Like past like the Jesus stuff. It's
So
like
in that chapter with Joe.
Nobody really
covered
covered
a lot of
that
stuff
Jesus
there.
stuff. Oh, so it's in the Old Testament.
Well, you know, it's been around a while.
Everybody says it's
This
for a
is
reason.
rule.
This is baseball. Nothing
Yeah.
changes.
yeah.
That's why the Nationals don't score enough runs. Because nothing ever changes.
Oh, okay.
And they use them all up in March.
Yes.
And a 9-7 win. I mean, geez, they could have saved some for the next day.
Selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing to take from the first half is get healthy for God's sakes.
No, they refuse to. They will not.
Being healthy is too much fun.
Yeah. Because as we know, all teams deal with injuries.
Yeah.
Every single team in the majors has had, 6 of 8 starters on the DL.
Isn't Joey Votto on the DL already?
Again.
Yes,
Yeah.
but they've had 6 of 8 starters on the DL and maybe possibly 3/5 of the rotation. Every team goes through that.
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta lost 2 of their 5 starters before the season. It happens.
And they lost.
None of the lineup.
No.
Evan got it for 15 days.
And
That's
to be
basically
fair,
it.
they lost Dan Ugla to the bench.
Right.
Yeah, just his
Four-
skills.
And to be fair, they still put BJ up in the field every day. Which, that might as well be.
He gets to
You mean the future Michael Taylor?
Yes. Well, hey, if he can put up what BJ did the first
4
couple
years.
Yeah.
He's a $75 million player.
Yeah.
I mean, he earned the money in the first 7 years of his career. He just hasn't earned it since.
That's the thing about professional sports.
Yeah.
You get paid after you're good, usually.
It's all that you got.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So yes, May was a terrible month.
Wait, already skipped April.
April was injuries. That's all you need to know.
Which they
Well, they
played
did
fairly
well, though. They
in
were
spite of
They
it.
did. Yeah.
15-11 in April.
Yes.
Wow.
We're gonna have Joe some time right now as he goes to the principal's office.
I think
Are we
he's
still recording, or did you stop it?
I stopped.
I could have said week 15.
Yeah, but I can still edit that out. Even the ass. Thank you. Ow.
Beer time.
Thank you.
But it's beer o'clock. Give me one, please. Whatever.
Yes.
He puts the rubber mat.
I'll take a beer too, please. Anything's fine.
Just reach in and just grab one of them, and that's the one I want. I trust TJ's fridge enough that there won't be something crappy there.
This is the
I
only
don't know,
thing you can
Sean's
trust
got hot
about
dog.
TJ. And Miller Fortune.
Thank you.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about
Thank-
it.
So this is.
Yeah, I told
Ew.
TJ I'll bring some beer. I'll bring hot coffee, Miller Fortune. Oh snap!
You guys have the new Den Rice from Flying Dog?
Yeah.
The craft beer?
I've had it. Yeah.
I like it.
I thought it was better on the second drinking. I guess it needed to age a little.
It was really good off the tap. If you can find it on draft.
What beer?
That crab beer from, or Old Bay beer.
Oh, I tried it.
I was gonna get it
I
today, but I
wanted to
couldn't
try
bring
it.
it today.
Well,
I'm also not.
After this week,
It's gotta be cold though. You can't.
Yeah, my first drinking of it was it tastes like every single other beer that.
You talking about Flying Dog?
Yeah, Flying Dog has it. Like you can taste a Flying Dog beer.
I actually tried it at the brewery when they made it.
But I like it better than I thought I would. That's for sure.
I just don't like seafood, so there's that.
That too. We ready to?
Yes.
Henderson Alvarez
What?
made the All-Star game.
As a replacement for Jordan.
I think so.
He doesn't even have a first name.
So there's no Nats in the all. God.
But the Marlins
no.
have 2,
Now
the
I'm
Cubs
crushed.
have 3.
Like
Now I'll watch even less of
Just
the game.
wait
Yeah.
for your
0.
narrative alert. When the Nats go to the World Series, it'll be
Amazing.
they had no players in the All-Star team to try to win them home field advantage.
Narrative alert.
it's just kind of frustrating that you have a team that's over 500, tied for first in the division, one of the best teams in the NL. It's like you get 0 All-Stars. No one on your team is good enough. You have the best.
You got like Cardinals, like, hey, you're an All-Star. You're an All-Star.
The All-Star selections this year have felt very strange. Like, I mean, I know it's the AL, but they picked Matt Wieters.
The fan.
Well, no,
base.
the fans picked Matt.
Oh, he was a fan pick. Okay, that's still weird.
The problem with the fan pick is like the fan pick is crappy. Like the fans aren't good at picking good players.
Than the fans get weird in the All-Star game.
Yeah, but you have
That's what
to
I
have
wondered.
it.
The last 3 years, they get like Hardy started 2 years in a row, didn't
Didn't
he?
Jones start? Is he
Jones has started like.
I think the
last
Orioles
year.
just have very committed fans that really don't do a lot during their day. So just like
We're committed.
they were just on the internet like vote, 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 vote.
That must be it. But I've always wondered why the Orioles kept getting like so many starting All-Stars.
What else?
I think I see that game on Wednesday. They had like 10 people there.
I mean, have you seen The Wire? They know how to get the people in the
Yeah.
All-Star game.
That is the best of all. People are like, no, that's not an accurate portrayal. You're like, yeah, actually it is. Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah.
It's like you want to see an inaccurate portrayal of a city, you watch House of Cards. You want to see an accurate portrayal of a city, you watch The Wire.
Yeah, go to the strip club and go 3 blocks to the left or the right.
I have
in there,
not
in that
watched that.
town. You are in the Wire.
I've done that accidentally and not.
I mean,
And
you
it's
are.
not fun.
No, you are living the Wire.
I was like, have you ever like driven to an Orioles game? It's really fun because they have maybe 2 lots for people, which nobody's ever allowed in, and then there's just a bunch of lots around it with people just kind of like taking a couple bucks and just putting it somewhere.
Right.
So you know they don't own any of that property. Like they don't give a shit where
Your
you're
car
parking.
probably won't be there.
It's like just go over there, it'll be fine.
No, they tell you you need to be
Or
back
alone.
here half an hour after the game ends,
Yeah,
or else we're gonna strip your damn car. That's
It's
what
just like a vacant lot in the building that's just like all the windows are
That's
broken
how they
in.
have their money.
Or it's like
Here's
the
the
property
thing I
company
wonder
just
about.
doesn't care.
You don't know where the Orioles sponsored cash lot is?
I have. No, actually, you know what?
The one under the train tracks over
Yes.
there?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's awful. No, I've gone there before. They didn't let people in, even though there were clearly still spots. They said you needed a permit for the cash lot.
You went to the wrong one. You drive past those, over a bridge.
No. That's what I'm saying. No,
backwards.
that's what we did. And
Okay.
the guy just told you needed a permit for that one.
The guy was lying to you.
I know he was lying to me.
You
but
went to
you
the
can't-
wrong part.
No,
You
I'm
were
saying
6
do
miles away
something
from the right
when
part.
they
Let me ask
found
you this
like-
question: Where
You gotta have some names to drop.
Come on.
Johnny Angelos. Come on.
It's like
personal
they have the
friends.
entire like road
We're
to get
massive
into that
friends.
parking lot just blocked with cones, and the guy's standing there just turning everyone around.
Well, because you're from DC, if you
There must be
park in the
This is Virginia Tech.
no,
Yeah.
if you're because you're from DC, if you actually go and park in the Hyatt lot, it'll feel like you're paying a normal amount of money to park in a Hyatt lot, even though it's like $30 more than every other lot. You'll be like, ah, yeah, here's your $35. Look good.
$35 from right here, that's a deal. That's $40 to park in lot B. You gotta park in my friend Rodrigo's house. He lives right across the street from Camden Yards. Poor guy.
There you go. Yeah, poor guy.
Oh.
So May.
May.
So
So
many.
It's back on. Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, we were recording?
I was recording the whole time.
I forgot to listen to how much of that story I told last time got recorded and what didn't.
Most of it.
Most of it? Okay.
Most of it got recorded.
That's fine. That's a simple one. Let's say there's
Although I
another
shouldn't
one.
have told you it was on because you were going to continue.
Mm-hmm.
So Polter Shark, guys.
You missed out on a
Hold
really
on.
good Julie Alexandria story.
Really? I'm interested.
No, you don't get it now. This is recording. That
You
one is
already
a
know
little
what
too
happened.
insulting. So
Damn it, TJ, why do you have to record this podcast?
so we take a break at some point. Well, oh, like, we'll
Another-
go in the kitchen,
That,
we'll
that'll,
turn off the stream, and then I'll tell you the story.
that'll be the reader questions. Will be like, so what's the story?
What's going on? Yeah, May wasn't good as a whole. We mentioned the cast of characters that was filling out the lineup after about the 5 spot.
Yeah. And
then it didn't help that Anthony Rendon also could spot his ass with both
Yeah,
hands.
he's in a big
So
spot.
everybody, like, Harper wasn't there, Zimmerman wasn't there, Ramos just came back, and obviously he
Sam
was going to
LaRoche
have
was out at a
a
point.
bad month. LaRoche was out for the end of the month. Desmond and Rendon were struggling. Worth was okay, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Then it was the
Worth
end of the
June
month
was
when
the
he
bad
hit
one
the-
for him.
Yeah, oh, June, correct.
It was a bad one for Worth. But it's like, they had maybe 3 good hitters. At the end of the month when LaRoche was out too, they had maybe 3 good hitters in that lineup with Worth, Rendon, and Desmond. It's like, you can't build a lineup out of 3 people. It's like, unless they're the hottest people, it's like, unless it's Mike Trout, and Mike Trout. That's not a good lineup.
May was just, they had a losing record. It was weird because people remember 2012. People always still talk about 2012 as the Nationals. And in 2012, the Nationals were the only team in baseball without a losing month.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know this, but that was the first year there were 10 teams in the playoffs.
Mhm.
So of 9 other what you would call good teams, there was every single one of those had a losing month.
So you're saying this is a lost year?
Yes,
That's what he said.
exactly.
That's what I heard.
Yes, because of course the Nationals won the World Series in 2012.
That was a
So
good year.
you can't win the World Series without having a winning record every month.
You heard it here first on the podcast.
Hey, analysis.
We have retroactively given the Nationals the 2012 World Series.
I wish this was college football. You could just pull like an Auburn like 50 years later to say, yeah, we were first place that year. We got a championship.
Yeah.
Or it's like Texas A&M, but they didn't play. They just put it on their stadium that they just won a couple championships. So I was like, why did you do that? We just did it. Who cares?
We just wanted to.
I'd be able to just like invent polls and put teams first and be like, congratulations, you were first that year. We made this poll in 2013.
Yeah.
But you're the 1949 national champion by us.
Teams that
We
were
pulled your
uniforms are
players.
like-
See who was the best team that year.
Really surprised when we said your team.
June was a great month, though, unless you listened to DC Sports Talk Radio, which was a terrible month.
Well, then every month is a bad month if you listen
There's
to
your
it.
first
Well,
mistake.
see, Dave, they were inconsistent. They had 3 4-game winning streaks during the month, but they also had a 4-game losing streak during the month.
Oh,
That's just unacceptable.
Burn them all with fire.
I never understand what the hell they actually mean when they say they need to be more consistent. Like, has anyone watched the sport of baseball?
You're saying you can't be consistent over a 162 game season? And then the playoffs?
I'm sure that people can be consistent, but most of those players that are consistently awful. Like Jeff Francoeur, if he's consistent.
It's just true. He can hit AAA though.
Yeah.
Well, he's with the Chihuahuas right now.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a double-A team?
AAA.
Are they triple-A?
Yeah, they're very new.
Like, if you look at Rendon, which people said, he has the highest WAR of any national. And he's the guy that people say, well, he's so consistent. He's not like that other young player on the team.
Fuck him.
And so
We all know who says that. You can say his name.
everybody says that now.
It's not just Boswell.
No.
Yeah, but he was on Twitter, here in the last week or so, and he was like, Anthony Rendon plays the right game. It's good that the team has one young player that does that. I'm like, for fuck's sake, dude.
Just trade Harper.
Well, also you
I'm
have,
sure that would go well.
you have
Yeah.
Franzen saying shit like that, just like Mark DeRosa was saying shit like that 2 years ago. It's just like, let's have a shitty veteran that sucks at baseball that talks crap about the team's good players.
Now
It's an awesome idea.
here's a question I have. I've been thinking this a lot, that even if Franson and McLeod survive the entire year on the bench, that come September, they will both be being outperformed by Steven Souza Jr. and Zach Walters at the majors. And their necessity on the playoff roster will not exist.
I feel like Franzen is probably the guy that could get left off if in that sort of case. McLeod, because he's a lefty, because he can steal bases, because he can play defense.
At
Like,
that point though, don't you go with like Yuri Perez?
well,
He's faster and a better
Yeah.
defender.
Yeah.
He's not the lefty bad, but
yeah.
I'm with you. McLeod's Awful.
I wouldn't say that McLeod is a better player or anything. I just say, but how they will build the roster. I would guess that he will make his way.
My guess is that they don't like Kevin Francis is an easy guy to cut. You don't owe him a lot of money. You have better guys at triple, but maybe they just want Souza to play every day because next spring training it's going to be Souza versus Michael Taylor for the last outfield spot, and they just want him to be playing every day because they know they're going to be in that situation. Or Souza is a guy you could trade at the deadline for a top-notch starting player.
I mean, he's murdering the ball this year.
Now, the one question I do have is if Kevin Franzen somehow makes it to the end of the year and a playoff roster is being formed, do you trust Matt Williams to leave him off the roster?
I trust Mike Rizzo to punch Matt Williams in the face.
Well, I mean, the odds are, 50-50 that Franzen going to make the rest of the month? I mean, if they make a trade, he is the guy that, at least on offense, he's the guy to
definitely
go.
the 25-man.
Yeah, you're still on your point, so talk about Souza because you were making faces during that entire time. Buzzard was talking about him.
I just don't think that Souza's got the value that Huz was thinking. I don't think he brings you a big-time player back. I mean, he's 25. He still has weaknesses in his game. They're still swing and miss. I do think he's improved his status more than maybe any other minor leaguer in the last 2 years, but I don't know. I think Souza's going to be real lucky to carve out a Scott Hairston-like career.
That's a guy who's been in the system for a while, right?
2007.
He was a third-round pick out of Washington. Raw as can be.
They had issues for a while.
He likes the tobacco like another Washington kid, Lincecum. So, but I like Souza. He should be in the majors right now over both Franzen and McLeod, but I don't think he brings you. I don't think what Huz was saying or anybody.
I think that he's a guy that.
But he makes your team better today.
Yeah. At this point, you give him maybe another month in the minors, but it's like he's old enough that he doesn't need. I mean, he needs more time in the minors to maybe develop a better to avoid the swing and miss stuff. But at this point, for the most part, he is who he is. If he helps your team, you might as well just bring him up.
Well, one of those three outfielders, whether it's Taylor, Souza, or Goodwin, is probably gone even the next 3 weeks, if not the next.
That's an
opening day.
That seems to be a very easy
I don't
trade
think Goodwin brings back much right now, but
it's good when you're really banking on just.
It's so easy. You talk to scouts, it's so easy for him, but I mean, one of those three's got to go.
No, and so it was interesting because you're talking about swing and miss, and Taylor has the same issue. It's like both of them. There seems to be an easy solution, which is put them at a higher level where they're not having 500 BABIPs, so they have to actually confront the fact that they strike out way too much. Then, nobody's really going to care that they're striking out a lot when every time they actually hit the ball, they get a home run or a double.
Yeah.
And I think, it's easy. You move Souza to the majors, and then Taylor can take his spot in AAA, and then it's like, well,
we're not used to seeing 3 true outcome players in center field.
No.
And that's kind of where Taylor's heading a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's what makes him so interesting. And but
the raw tools are, particularly defensively, out of control.
Yeah.
And he's just learning how to run the bases. The ball comes completely different off his bat than anybody else on that roster. So.
He's had success this year stealing bases that he hasn't before, right?
Like, he's just raw. He doesn't know how to steal bases. He doesn't know how to run the bases.
But I mean, this year specifically, he's actually started putting up decent stolen base caught stealing numbers at least.
He was already a very intriguing prospect just for the defense and the speed, and then now he just kind of has power, which
it's going over the fence now.
Yeah, and it's just crazy. Obviously that comes with getting older, getting stronger, and all that. And I think that's legitimate power that's going to stay with him for his career. Then that's a crazy prospect.
I mean, he could be a major league average center fielder just with his defense in his game.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I use Upton as a comp though. Because Upton bats 220 with a little pop, but he's a great defender.
Yeah, and that's
not a horrible comp.
I sort of look at him like almost if he can develop into an average bat, not quite as good defensively, but like an Andrelton Simmons, like, oh my God, very good defense, and then if the bat can carry you, you can be a really good player.
Yeah.
Not as good as Andrelton
And he's
Simmons.
going to be a lot better in center field in 3 years than he is today.
Yeah.
He's one of the few guys that, while his agility and his athleticism will slow, he's going to get much better at taking routes and learning the game.
Yeah.
I mean, this kid was so raw when they drafted him. It's incredible.
If I remember correctly, he hadn't played baseball that much before.
He was a shortstop,
Yeah.
he was moving to the outfield, and, which is weird for a high school kid in Florida. He was really raw.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to get to my question that I wanted to ask earlier. I mean, is Michael Taylor, sort of is an example of this, that he didn't start to get attention on him until he was at single A Potomac.
Mhm.
And I think we see that, I asked Sean last year, because of how good the GLC team was, what level do guys have to perform at that weren't, top draft picks, not the first, second, or third round guys, and also not guys that got big international bonuses. What level do they have to start performing at until people start taking notice? And I think it's sort of that the high A level. Because we're seeing Austin Voth now getting a lot of attention.
I got word from him last night. He looked awesome. I had a scout friend that was in stands and said he was just 93 most of the night, hit 95 in the seventh inning. He's killing it.
That would.
We stole him last year.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was.
I probably stole a reliever, but we stole him.
Yeah, I mean,
Everybody needs relievers.
But I would, to answer Buzz's question, I would say high A for high school kids, and I would say double A for pitchers and college players.
Yeah.
I mean,
Particularly college pitching. I mean, we saw, what was the guy, Allianz from Texas a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden was killing it in the minor leagues, was like 8-0 at high A, went to double A, we never heard from him.
yeah, like he literally got cut that year after he was sneaking onto some people's top prospects.
Because if you
Let's
throw
just
strikes and you throw
bulldoze.
any kind of breaking pitch, you're going to get guys out at lower and even
Yeah.
high A to a certain degree.
Because, it's just the Nationals, the Hagerstown team has picked sort of right up where the GLC team left off. And, you don't really hear a lot about them at all. I don't know, aside from Drew Ward, I don't really know what top prospects are on that.
Bautista's making himself a player. Their pitching is where all the talent is, though. I mean, Giolito's there, we all know him. Pavetta's there. I think Johansson's there. Silvestri's making a name for himself, the foreign kid, or the international signing kid. They got a couple of guys in the bullpen, too. I mean, that team's worth the drive up. I mean, I love that stadium, but that team's, if any of the minor league affiliates are going to go see, that's the one to go see. I mean, they have 10 kids that are probably worth watching.
Which now brings us to the trade deadline, because people always mention, the Nationals, what was it, their farm system was ranked 21st, 22nd, somewhere around that?
In the bottom third of the league.
Right. So people mention that about the farm system where it was ranked, but that was really the ranking of, I think, double A and up. Or maybe including some Potomac too, but that's how I think those rankings work, is that those are teams they pay attention to. When you're writing a magazine, you can only pay attention to so much, right?
It's funny because when you're thinking about trades, you got your top of the line guys, but unless you're trading for a top of the line major leaguer, you're talking about lottery picks type of players.
Right.
And the Nats, they may have not had a lot of top end talent in the system, which is why they ranked in the bottom third. But they've got a lot of guys that I would say have lottery pick sort of talent. You get your trade, your guys you getting those moves for just any Scott Hairston's. Guys could be on your major league roster and you're like, oh, this guy, if everything breaks right, can be a league average player, maybe a little bit better. The Nats have a solid number of those kind of
Their
guys.
system is kind of weak from 3 or 4 to about 8, and then from 8 to 25, it's pretty good.
They have a lot of
players.
C plus level talent.
Right, and the Voss and the Johanssons and the Bautistas and the Wards and all these kids that we've mentioned. Brandon Miller's still a player at high A. I mean, you got a lot of those guys. Coburn is, Yuri Perez, a lot of, who could play in the majors, Ben Casa, I mean, a lot of those kind of names, but you don't have, besides Giolito and Cole to a certain extent, Taylor, if you believe in the bat. Severino's having a bad year. Goodwin's taking a step back. That 4 through 7, Fetty's hurt. We haven't signed him yet. Suarez has, got questions about it. That area is where the system's pretty weak.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to change in the next couple of years as guys continue to perform. These guys that are young. Like Drew Ward is definitely worthy of
I like him a lot.
Yeah.
I like him a lot more than the scouts do. I mean, I think he's going to be a real bad. And I think he can stay third.
That was sort of the silver lining in last year's draft because I hated Johansson, and then they got Drew Ward, and I was like, yeah, okay.
But
I like
he
him.
throws 100, Sean. Who cares if you can't do anything else
He's-
besides that?
He strikes fear into batters because they don't know if it's coming at their face.
Yeah.
There were definitely other names I liked at that
Just
number, but
Make
he
sure
probably
he
makes
gets
the majors. I mean, he's got a major league quality arm.
I mean,
He's probably a seventh-inning reliever.
I don't
So
hate
just
it.
hire
I
Kevin
just-
Costner and have him talk to him a little bit.
Yeah.
Get him right, have him breathe through the eyelids, and then we're good.
But with the trade deadline,
$1 million
and
head.
the big thing is every time someone brings up a trade, they're like, well, they'll have to include Giolito to get that guy. It's like, No, they're not going because no other like Addison Russell was traded, but if you look at what the A's actually got back for him, they got two frontline starting pitchers, and they got the Cubs first round compensation, what competitive balance pick.
I didn't see that either.
I think they did. There was a competitive balance trade.
Well, the other thing we forget about that trade is Samardzija is going to bring you back the first round pick.
Yeah.
In 2016 after he goes somewhere else if you don't sign him. So it is.
And they took those guys off the market from the other teams, taking two starting pitchers. You know, the teams in their division could use starting pitching.
But it's tough to give up Samardzija, or pardon me, to give up Russell and McKinney for what'll amount to 65 starts of Samardzija and Hamill.
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
McKinney's solid.
McKinney can hit,
but
he just can't feel.
This is possibly the best A's team they ever had.
Yeah.
And
that trade
this
really
is really
solidified
their
that.
chance for the World Series, and for a GM who wants to solidify his legacy and just needs that World
And
Series.
finally wins.
Yeah.
It's weird because like I love Addison Russell and I'm like, oh, why would you want to trade Addison Russell? But I feel like that deal ends up being solid for both teams. I mean, there's a good chance that the A's end up looking stupid with Russell.
Well,
but
I agree with Dave though. It's like that Billy Beane said one time, we're either in it or we're not.
Yeah.
And I think he thinks they're in it this year, and that's why he made the trade.
And the value of being the division winner over the wild card winner is so important. It's a one-game crapshoot. No matter who you have on the mound, you could have Steven Strasburg going up against some, random ass girl,
Yeah.
There's somebody
Joe
that's really
Saunders.
shitty. Yeah.
Yeah,
Joe
Joe Saunders.
Exactly. Like.
Well, that's
That makes
like interesting.
so much better.
Yeah.
Got Sonny Gray, who's
He's
hadn't done it for a
amazing.
full year. Casimir, who's 2 years ago was pitching with the St. Paul Saints or whoever it was, Fort Worth All Stars.
Sugarland Skaters.
There you go. and the rest of the crew. I mean, Chavez is a reliever that's converted. I mean, to get those two guys, and particularly Samardzija, who seems to be pitching like a 2 anyways.
Yeah.
And that really solidified that team that didn't need a lot of solidifying.
Well, that's an interesting suggestion by a couple different people that I know this will be insulting to Ryan and Sean, but that maybe teams are starting to overvalue prospects a little too much, and that might be, especially with the A's, when you see the A's doing this kind of thing with all the money ball and all that kind of things, you're thinking like maybe they're starting to see, a couple teams are starting to see that people are starting to value these prospects so much that you can just put like in Addison Russell and get frontline stars. I don't know about Hamill. Samardzija is also a little bit iffy, but you're getting real major league pitchers for your team for basically one guy, and I guess McKinney, he's also pretty good, but he's a little more
He's
moderate.
not first prospect.
Yeah.
But he's going to hit his way to the major leagues.
No, and it's like these are guys who are they're in the minor leagues. I mean, obviously they're doing good. They look like they'll be future stars, but I think especially with guys like Bryce Harper and Mike Trout, and to an extent Manny Machado, and Jose Fernandez succeeding to the extent that they have, a lot of teams are starting to think like every prospect is one of them.
Which absolutely amazes me because, I mean, you go and you look back, remember when Matt LaPorta was the sure thing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, how many players can we do? I mean, Mike Hinckley was going to be a stud for our organization. It's going to be great.
I mean,
Just
like,
so
God,
like,
thank
thank you.
And he killed Sean.
I mean, Corey Costa was going to be a lead, a real solid piece of this future.
Oh my God.
Colin Ballister.
Mike Hinckley was so bad.
Yeah, there's just so
And then we
many.
thought for a while he was going to be like a lefty specialist, and that didn't work out either.
Well, the last thing I remember from Mike Hinckley is when he threw a pitch over Orlando Hudson's head, not just by a little bit either.
Well, he's kind of a Vijay. I mean, it's not that hard to do.
I mean, they were like 3 feet over his head. I was just like, I was ball forward. I just remember seeing the replay of Orlando Hudson going, and just being like,
At least it wasn't that Matt Chico warm-up changeup that he almost threw into the dugout.
He threw over the dugout.
Yeah, like in the air.
so bad.
That's what it is. You can
Those
see,
were the
like,
days.
one of those things where it's probably undervalued for a while, and then for a little while, it correctly valued. People were starting to say like, "Oh, don't just give up your prospects for whatever the hell you want." And now I think you're going to see it kind of go a little too far, and people are going to overvalue prospects.
I think we're already there.
And then
particularly with if you want to take like the Giolito prospect out of it, the Addison Russell, I think the teams are really overvaluing their 3 through 10 prospect in their system. I mean, unless it's a real difference maker, if you can get somebody at the major league level that can help you win, trade it. I mean, I know every system's different. The 10th in one system,
Exactly.
2 in another, but the Nats should have no fear of trading Austin Ball if they can get better.
Right.
In the system.
Or even AJ Cole. Because
Yeah, and I think in a
If you
couple
can
of
get
years you'll
demonstrably
see it
better,
go back
yes,
to
you
normal.
should trade him.
He's probably at what, number 3 starter at the major league level.
Yeah.
So, you look at a number
4 feels better, but yeah.
Right, no, okay, we'll go with 4. Well, let's look at this year's free agent. Sign Justin Masterson. There, you just replaced him. You're done. All right. So it's that simple with a guy like that. So if you could get, if he's the headline guy in a deal for, Chase Utley and Cole Hamels contract.
I think the other thing too is that nowadays, because in addition to getting the player that can be a stud, you also get them cheap in cost control, whatever. But I feel like now with the TV deals getting so huge, I feel like payroll is going to be, in the next couple of years, as every team gets their new deal, as a lot of them have been doing, it's going to be less of a big deal until it sort of plateaus in a couple of years too. So I feel like getting those cost control years is always important. The Nats don't want to have a $200 million payroll, so having AJ Cole over Masterson saves them a lot of money. But
You're making a great point. With the amount of money that's come into the game in the last 2 or 3 years, I do think, like
There's just gonna be-
you all are saying, the tide is going to turn a little bit back to, major league talent rather than the prospects.
and some of each team's deal goes back to shared revenue too, right? So it's like every deal that every team signs is good for every team's payroll.
Yeah.
Especially the Marlins because they just put it on the company.
Yeah. Are you supposed to spend on players?
Nah.
Do you need a team to actually be a baseball organization?
All right, let's.
You get a little
That's
soft
not
on
a
the
tank
question
here.
right
They're
there.
still in third place.
Yeah, without their best
Without the best
pitcher.
player,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, let's take a break for a few minutes. We'll start up on the trade deadline and wrinkles that have happened in the last couple of days when we get back.
Wrinkles in someone's bicep.
But you don't really know the full amount on it.
The belly of the bicep.
Well, was actually
Belly
listening to the
of the
Williams
bicep.
quote recently, and it said he said that Jordan said he had a bicep cramp on the mound. Not only one, did he actually say that? And then 2, if he did, how the hell is he thinking of bicep cramp? And it's like, come on, what's wrong, Jordan? Oh, I got a bicep cramp. That's what's wrong with me. It's very specific.
Okay.
And this doctor even plays one on TV.
The one thing with Taylor Jordan, I'm like, he probably wouldn't have pushed himself because he knows he's going to get a lot of money next offseason and does not want to tear anything. So the first sign of anything hurt,
The problem is he just crushed his trade value this offseason when we're going to need to go get our shortstop.
So when we recorded last time, I did it back in GarageBand, and the new GarageBand sucks balls.
It really does.
So,
Sorry, Dave.
but the problem is I was coming from Adobe Audition, and that thing crashes anytime you try and edit things. It just shuts down.
That's annoying.
Yeah. So it was like,
You want to edit your audio?
Yeah.
I was
Whoa,
gonna
whoa,
say,
whoa.
Eddie-
What do you think? I'm like an audio
I-
editing software? or something?
Ryan, do you know this guy?
Good point.
I actually
I feel
edit
so bad.
very
Our guy has to do so many edits for me because they won't let me curse.
Oh.
And of course, once I'm like 4 beers in, I'm like, just F
Oh,
this.
yeah.
This guy sucks. It's just like audio dead.
You lost the feed for a minute there. Well,
Yeah, exactly. Like, all of a
Ryan's
sudden,
losing
it's-
his mind.
Nobody was. There was definitely nobody talking during that time.
I'm one of these huge.
Especially no one was
How
swearing.
Not every player is a plus. You don't have a plus tool. Like not everybody does. Particularly at the minor league level. Just fuck these people. They just got on the internet. Just, oh.
My favorite is when they comp guys like his future ceiling is I'm like, no.
if everything
You made a
breaks right,
great,
still
you made a
probably.
great point on Twitter where you're like, by the way, I hate it when people call prospects inconsistent. That's what they are. There is no
why
other
they're not in
way.
the major league.
But then I was sitting there, I was like, how do I explain that this guy can snap off a curveball one time and then the next one is going to the backstop? It's like, you know, one's good, one's bad, inconsistent.
That was my favorite thing watching the draft this year. They were doing the
Oh.
major league comps at the bottom, and somebody got compared to Jeff Francoeur or something like that. Like it was like
poor man.
18th overall. I'm like, wow, that's a shitty pick. Like that's really mean to this guy.
Wait. Now,
I
does
haven't
that mean
seen one
Jeff
player in the
Francoeur
draft.
overall, or does the
Jeff
Jeff
Beers in the fridge or in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I walked away with it and I left it. Can you grab it?
Oh.
Oh, so
Jeff
you gotta give
Francoeur,
your
it's like
Sure.
that little
Yeah.
sliver of Jeff Francoeur.
Yeah.
That's what
Half
it
of
is.
his
Harold Reynolds has seen no one in the draft except for whoever is
Say,
his
That's my favorite.
brothers,
Okay.
agents, like players. And then it's, oh, this guy's gonna be quick to the majors. It's
No, my
no,
favorite.
he's a high school kid. He's not being quick to the majors. He's
Harold
just
Reynolds is the best. It's like, is this guy white? Then he's like Mark McGuire. White hitter, Mark McGuire. Black hitter, Barry Bonds. Is he fast? Oh, then he's Ricky Henderson.
I had a view on those guys. Those guys haven't seen any of these players.
I like it. It's inconsistent. It's like, you know, his ceiling is like if he actually breaks off that curveball every time, he's going to catch the Clayton Kershaw floor. Well, if he never breaks off that curveball ever, then he's just going to be out of the minors in like a year.
He's gonna be Ricky and Kill.
It's like, wow, look at
Can he
that.
hit?
No.
It's like this
It is
guy
just like
may
Ricky.
or may not end up being a good baseball player.
My favorite video for every hitter, they're like, his ultimate ceiling is to be the greatest player of all time. His
Well, I
floor
think everybody
will
is-
never
If he
get-
learns to hit. Oh, okay.
Let's just get him with our bag and teach people how to
Like,
hit.
that's odd qualifier.
Every prospect. Well, he's got 4 tools. If he learns to hit, it's gonna be great.
All right, it's like if you have a dog. It's like if you can teach it to shit outside, then you won't have shit all over your
Hey,
house.
this guy knows what baseball is. All right, he's got step 1 down. Now he just has to learn how to.
There is something they say
Who
that
did
is like,
if they'd ever just say, I don't know? Hadn't seen this guy?
this guy is a baseball player. He's just a guy that plays baseball.
Yeah.
And it's like, what does that mean?
I see some of the generalists do that, but you know, like anybody who like wants to be a prospect person just will not ever admit that they've never seen somebody.
It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
You can't see everyone. Hey, I don't see the guys in the Cal League except for the Futures game. Don't ask me about it unless you want to know when I saw the Futures game.
What's funny is actually seeing.
Like, if you want to say, if somebody asks you about it, then you can say, well, I've heard from people I trust,
Right.
like so and so and so and so have said this.
And that's fair. Yeah.
And that's fine, but then just to kind of just take that, it's like, well, everybody's saying that he's this. I bet that's true. It's like, wait a minute. You can't just take this. Everybody. That's what they've said.
What's funny is the only reason I'm actually doing well in fantasy baseball this year is because I went to see the AFL last year.
Yeah.
You're doing well.
I can't believe I fucking cut Corey Dickerson. I drafted him in every league this year. I was like, this guy's gonna break out, and then he got sent down.
I did the same thing.
And I was like,
Take a look at the
I can't do it.
standings.
My whole
See how
season was
well
over when I
Dave
got Corey
Cousins
Dicker.
did.
Things that I never thought would be said.
I'm chasing
Why?
you to the draft.
You are chasing me. You're not chasing
I cut Corey Dickerson and Billy
Because I'm
Johnson in
beating
one of my
right this
leagues,
week, I'm
and now I need an
beating
outfielder.
team 11-2. No,
Oh.
9-3-1 right now.
Yeah, my whole team has been.
You are 13 and a half games behind me.
Yeah, my team.
Ryan is 16 games behind me.
I lost Harper
He's
for
charging
2 months.
now.
I lost Fernandez for the year. I lost Gio for a while. 5 of my first 6 picks were on the DL at one point.
A large
See,
majority of my
Ryan
team
is
just didn't
Ryan has
play
made the good
yesterday.
strategy of offering actual good trades to people. Unlike my strategy.
Alfredo Simone to everyone.
Just rub everybody's face in the fact that I don't give a shit. I'm way ahead of all of you.
I'm only 24 games
Dude,
out
the
of
one trade offer you sent me, I just didn't do it. I was like, that's so bad, I'm not even going to respond.
That was fun.
It was like 6 guys for Harper. I was like, yeah, just.
No.
I almost did the just keep it up, just like this is just hoping maybe you'll say yes.
The other day I got really drunk and was trying to send somebody in one of my leagues an offer for Mike Trout in a keeper league, and I was like doing like the compare thing, so I sent like straight up like George Springer for Mike Trout, and the guy like he like texted me, he's like, what? Like, wait, he was like, wait, did I do something? He's like, yeah, you sent me an offer, George Springer for Mike Trout. I'm like, no, I didn't.
It was a
He's
mistake.
like,
Damn it.
yes, you did.
Damn it, Berman. What the hell?
There was one guy, I can't remember.
Where are my
He's not here.
pants?
It's like
Those are
Bosley
the
or
best
whatever.
ones you wake up
I
in the
sent
morning,
him Sloan
tweets.
for Donaldson, and then I decided I'd be nice, and I sent him Alex Wood for Donaldson.
Oh, good.
That was me.
Shockingly, he didn't accept either of them.
Oh, yeah.
That was me on Monday at the Nats Orioles game because I was screaming at Orioles fans about how Nelson Cruz is like still on steroids, and then like I tweeted about it, like 800 times, and the next day I'm like, I don't want to be this guy. Especially while I delete every tweet.
Alright, well, accusing Orioles of steroids is like accusing fish of being in the ocean.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
true.
It's so bad.
It's like Orioles
It is
magic.
so fun to
Please
mess with
do
Orioles
not
fans.
ask what the magic is.
Also, I made
So
myself
now
look like
Steve
a
Pierce
total
suddenly is
asshole.
Yeah, it's like,
I didn't
Brady
realize they were in
Anderson,
first
Rafael
place.
Pornero,
I
Miguel
mean,
Tejada.
got
He
Big
was
12
out in
shot.
the minor leagues, and then he was amazing, and then suddenly he leaves and he's
Steve
bad
Pierce.
again. It's not just a coincidence,
Steve
right?
McCloud.
Steve McCloud.
Yeah, I didn't realize they were in first place when they came, so I was like, hey, one of us is going to be in the playoffs. And like, we're in first place, right? I'm like, what? Like, I didn't look at the AL East standings in like 2 weeks. I just assumed that the Blue Jays didn't
I have a
shit
great
themselves.
McCloud
I didn't realize they were in first place. And I was like, you gotta
Where
be
the Orioles
fucking
were
kidding
in the
me.
front office, and they were like, as soon as that offer went by of $12 million for 2 years, they were like, all they sent on their little internal server was, "Who's packing him and driving him to DC?" It's like, they wanted him gone so bad.
I hate Chris Tillman. That dude is a terrible pitcher, and he always kicks our ass.
That seems like
Because
every pitcher
McCloud
on
was
the Orioles.
disappointing because it was the right idea, it was just not the right person.
All right. His fastball straighter than Magnum PI.
He's such
Think
a
about that
terrible
one.
pitcher.
I haven't got it straight.
Oh man. Dun, 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 dun.
All right, let's get going.
Oh, we weren't already?
No.
Oh.
Which
Oh, you missed
recorded
out.
there.
Oh.
Wait, we're being recorded there all the time?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, Internet.
So when you start,
I'm David Huzzer.
It's only Matt's WX who's watching, probably.
I
Would have given
I
up.
think
Who, the
actually-
man-child? Yeah.
there were 2 people. Oh, by the way, if you're watching the live stream, I'm not looking at the chat that's attached to Google+. Google+ is a monstrosity that I don't want to deal with. So
You're a monstrosity that I don't want to deal with.
Google Plus is the only thing Google has not done right.
it's terrible. The only thing that I like out of it is the Hangout stuff.
Yeah, no,
Because you can put on like a pirate hat.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a quick way to sort of Skype with multiple people as opposed to just a couple or just one.
Yeah. But if you guys are looking to join the chat, head over to the website and there's a link to our live chat there. So
I will talk to you. And
What do you
not
do?
talk to David Huzzer.
Oh. Okay. Well, no one will talk to me because no one will get on.
Nobody likes you, Dave.
No, they
They
don't.
all
You're
like
like
me.
waist deep in chicken.
I was gonna say probably the chicken dish.
That doesn't really sound like a bad afternoon to me.
No.
Actually, he makes a solid point.
And
The chicken was pretty tasty.
Nobody wants your sunshine and sparkles this year, Dave. It's all doom and gloom.
I mean, a lady named Jemima couldn't cook chicken better than Huzzer. Let me tell you.
Some good chicken.
No chance.
all right. So
Especially since I had no idea what I was doing and I just made stuff up.
That's the best way to cook.
Yeah.
Smells fantastic.
It
I need
smells
to try
delicious. It is delicious. You should have some.
I need to do that.
I didn't know coffee would be this successful as a spice.
No, it's oddly like that. I mean, maybe I'm just a
It's
huge
good on
caffeine
steak,
addict,
too.
but
If you cook it
Just
all,
saying.
it's the same thing as beer.
It is good on saying
Not that they won't
yeah,
let you cook
it is
anything.
an oddly excellent choice, I have to say.
Cooking with the citizens of Natstown, the next podcast.
Citizens of Cooking Town.
Out damn
Snacking
time.
with that down.
Here's how to make bacon. You put it in a
Ah.
fucking pan, you
That's
turn it on
why-
high,
That's why.
you
It's,
flip it once,
Oh man.
you got fucking bacon.
that answers
You're
a
not even
lot.
going to microwave. See, this is double A stuff right here.
That answers a lot though. It's Pete's Coffee. I swear to God, I started drinking Pete's Coffee when it opened like 2 weeks ago
It's solid.
by my office. I already like it better than Starbucks.
How
They
is
bought
it?
it.
Like $6.
Oh my God.
More rough.
Not like a bad name
Okay,
beer.
that's what I thought.
I mean,
Well, they
like,
bought out Caribou, that's why they're all over the place.
yeah.
But actually, you mentioned $6. You know how much it cost at the Starbucks? You hear me? $6. So Pete's Coffee, I go in there and they're like, and I order the large latte. They're like $4.50. I'm like, you want what? Here, thank you.
Take my money.
their pastries are so good. That cheese Danish is
Citizens
something
of
to write home
Natstown,
about.
sponsored by Pete's Coffee.
Brought to you by Pete's Coffee.
Oh, God.
This guy Pete, this feels his name weird, can make the shit out of that coffee.
I'm sick of working for free. Let's get some sponsors.
The best coffee I've actually had is Tim Hortons.
It's okay.
Their frozen cappuccino is the best thing ever.
See, I drink black coffee, so I
Yeah,
actually
me too.
taste coffee.
But
Like
you
Pete's
should-
Coffee is easily. Also, I want to note that Pete's Coffee is the only coffee I've ever drank at 8 in the morning that has kept me fully buzzed until I leave work at 4:30. It's incredible. I don't
That's
know.
the opiates. they
It
do.
must be opiates. It has to be. I don't know what else it is.
Methylene.
Crack.
Dave,
There we go. Now we're talking.
you got a happy trail inside
Math.
your face. I was hoping we put it on the webcam, but
Crack talk.
The last minute, you've like grown like a little like.
Oh wait, no, that's for O's on set.
Red show
Sorry.
going.
You've heard
Chef-
of a
Chef
milk
Mouth.
mustache?
Who's
He's
on
got a
set?
chicken goatee.
So coming up here in the next couple of weeks is the trade deadline. What do the Nats need?
Well, let's see.
Players.
A left-handed
All of
reliever.
A guy.
They will, yeah.
They always
They
need,
need some players, just in case.
Perpetually needing a left-handed reliever.
Sorry, Jerry, but you're not good.
He hasn't. Well, he's been struggling the last few. He was
Yeah,
great.
he was good at
2 months
first,
or
it's
whatever
just
it was, but he's been.
A
If
shitty.
you want to pick somebody in the bullpen to pick on, he's been the one to pick on.
Oh, bullpen's
How many
had
times
problems
did he
because they
actually
can't all be
throw
used
in
at
the first
once.
2 months?
Yeah.
And they all have
For a while there, they were going all the time. I mean,
Yeah, and then all the starters decided to say, "Fuck you, we're gonna go 7 innings every night." So now the only people who ever get used is Tyler Clippard and Rafael Soriano, and then maybe Drew Storen occasionally.
And
it
apparently,
was funny. Story didn't get used for 2 months, and it was just Barrett and Levin's show.
Yeah.
according to fans, Barrett's used every single night, which I haven't
Which
actually
is weird
noticed.
because I think last night was the first time I'd seen him in a while.
No, he's not.
He got used on
Falk and Barrett.
Monday.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, so last night and then Monday.
Well, Barrett gets used more because for some reason he's trusted in games we're winning. But he's also like clearly the 5th best reliever in the bullpen. So he gets used in every game we're losing. They're losing. So you get him in both situations. So he gets more things like Drew Storen can only be used when the Nats are winning,
In the 7th inning.
but not after the 8th or 9th inning.
But there's
So he
this
never gets used.
But there's this perception with Barrett. Every time I see him like warming up, someone on Twitter will go, "Oh no, Matt Williams is going to destroy Barrett's arm." And I like look at his usage. I'm like, it's like 170th in the majors or something.
That's also what you use relievers for. You plug them out, you get rid of them, you grab another one. You got another
He's not
9th round pick from
Yeah.
Baylor. You know, get another one.
Just throw it in the trash, go for new.
So
Yeah,
here's a question.
It was Earl Weaver quote: "Bring him up, burn him out."
It was it 2 years ago that we were talking about the Freddie Gonzalez bullpen chart?
Yes,
How quickly is Matt Williams working towards his own?
he does have his own. I mean, you can clearly tell that he has a formula for when. Like we are leading in the 7th inning. Drew Storen. We are leading by 4 runs in the 7th inning.
Aaron Barrett.
Yeah.
Get a 0 to do with matchups, who's hitting, nothing to do
Which
with
is
it all.
like, I'm okay because that means like even in games that are tied, he just goes to the chart anyways, which is giving them a better chance to win in regular innings. And then you notice once they actually get to extra innings, they lose more because of course they're trying to win before they get to
It's
extra innings.
better than last year, where Davey Johnson was like, "How many runs have we scored? Oh, we've only scored 2 runs. All right, I'm putting in Henry Rodriguez. Like, no, we're leading 2-1. What are you doing?" It's like, "Oh, we've only scored 2 runs. I can't, I'm not even gonna look at the other side."
And
of
here
the
comes
scoreboard."
Maya in a very significant leverage situation.
So just touching on this conversation, frequency. So his last 4 games, he was used on 6:30 for 1
Barrett?
inning. Yeah. He did not actually get an inning in on 7/4 for the July. He didn't get an out. So he's used on the 4th, so that's 5 days later. Then
Alright.
on the 7th, and then on the 10th.
So you're saying he went over the mountain in between the start and appearances?
It does feel like he does get up a fair amount for it.
Has there been any work done on how that actually affects a workload? How often they're up and
2 times up
working?
counts as being used.
Okay.
That's
Matt
what-
Williams has actually said that himself.
Yeah.
2 times up counts as being used. So, most relievers, like, I don't know, again, if modern baseball fans understand this, but most good relievers can work 2 or even 3 days in a row. It is.
Whoa, Dave.
Yeah,
It's not
good
getting too
relievers
far
go
into it.
70 times a year,
Right.
75 times a year.
I
It's
mean,
almost half the games.
yeah, because I
Not
see
one
it.
inning, but it's.
I see it all the time. People like trying to figure out who available. It's like that guy pitched yesterday. Like that doesn't mean he's not available.
Yeah. Did you throw 50 pitches yesterday? If not, he could probably pitch.
Through 50 pitches, maybe he's not.
Well, and if it's like Craig Stammen and Ross Detweiler, they're always available.
Especially if they're down by like
It's like
10 in the
unless-
9th inning, then
Oh,
Detweiler's
Ross.
definitely
That's the
available.
Ross chart there.
Are you
Yeah.
up by 10 runs or down by 10
There
runs?
is 0 chance
Is it the
of winning
ninth
this
inning?
game. Detweiler, here we go. You're in,
But
buddy.
it's like, that's when you can really notice when the bullpen is tired. You'll know is when Ross Detweiler is coming in when the Nats are tied or ahead and it's not the 15th inning. That's when somebody's not available that day.
Yeah.
Otherwise, not Ross Detweiler time. Ross Detweiler time is down by 8.
And we've all made the point, too. This pitching staff is going 6 and 7 innings a night.
No,
Why
yeah.
are they tired? The bullpen should be tired.
Bro,
You're not doing shit, guys. I did love on Monday night that they went they went Storin, Clifford, Soriano as the game was tied.
Right.
Because the Orioles, I guess Britton was unavailable. But I felt like Darren O'Day pitched 2 innings, that was fine, whatever. But I felt like they really just threw their crap out there and they're like, well, hey, we're going to save our best, probably, or try to save somebody.
But that situation is a great point. Why we need a left-handed bat? Because O'Day just was mowing down our righties, and we had.
You're saying
weren't bringing
that Dave
Right,
McLeod is not a
Clark
great
was
left-handed bat?
Crap.
It would be great to bring in some kind of a lefty bat with some pop.
Like Adam Dunn.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Woo!
Well, I
Bring
was
back
thinking,
Dunn. Bring back Morse. Let's go.
I was thinking Seth
Labo.
Smith until they signed the fucking
Get the
extension.
band back together.
Get the damn band.
I want no part of that band. Our band had no hits. I want no part of that band back.
I would watch what is it? Like a 5-man band. It'll be Adam Dunn, Josh Willingham, Steve Lombardozzi, Adam Dunn, and Roger Bernardino.
You said Adam Dunn twice.
I definitely did not. Did I?
Yes.
Well, Labo's the front man.
Well, clone it.
Oh, Michael Morse. All right.
Yeah.
I said Dunn for Morse one time.
Morse is on guitar. You know,
Labo's
Bernardino's
the
on
front man.
drums. I mean,
Let's be honest. I would watch it behind the music on that.
Like I
I'm
would.
pretty sure it'd be the
I want to
most
see
boring
behind
line
music on Roger Bernardino. Whatever was going on in Curacao, I want to know right off the bat.
Especially the year before he came to camp, like,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
cock diesel.
Somebody
Yeah.
with a hulking mass.
Oh my god.
he had like the size of each one of us as a bicep. He was no longer the shark, he was Polter Shark.
I just imagine like all you have to do is call
That's not
out
Orioles magic.
Oh, snap.
whoever replaced Kenny Williams. I don't know. Bill Hahn. Call him up and say, do I really know all 30 GMs?
Rick Hahn.
Rick Hahn, whatever.
So you don't.
So you're only 29 and a half.
Good. I'm actually glad on that. I don't know all 30 GMs. And
Like Bob Rizzo over here.
Fucking Bob Rizzo.
But they call him up and say, we'll pay Adam Dunn. It's like, you don't even have to finish the words. Any Adam on our roster, you can have him.
We'll cover the rest of that. Don sold.
And he
Gun
would,
sold.
and
See
he
what you did
would,
there.
Literally and figuratively. I like
And the
it.
headline's already written.
and he would be
No, I
much
didn't
better
get
than
to
Nick
it.
McCall off the bench.
It's true.
Hang up when you get the answer you want.
You get a walk or a home run, everything, nothing in between.
Well, that was my favorite. We talked about it last week when the Fangraphs and Dave Cameron was doing his chat after the Astros internal communications were leaked. They're talking about like what other GMs give crazy offers like that? It's like Jim Bowden, it's like famous for doing ridiculous offers. So people, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. That is definitely Jim Bowden. That's like Mike Rizzo is also one of those guys who's kind of done crazy offers, but for some reason people always accept them.
You know, he's a nice guy, so
It's like
He wears
Lombardozzi.
Hawaiian shirts and not leather pants.
It's like, oh, you want Doug Fister
He doesn't ride
for
around
Steve
the same way.
Lombardozzi
Yeah.
and hey, some other guys? Sure.
Yeah, and it's like Mike Rizzo, I would compare him to be like one of those like first guys of Motown, where it's just like, I'll give you $10 for all of your songs.
Like,
Really? $10? All right. Sign me up.
I think about it more like the God.
I don't think I ever
I'm
thought
gonna
Mike
make you
Rizzo
an
would
offer
get
you can't
very
refuse.
boring on a podcast. That was pretty great.
Would it surprise you
That
if
was pretty great.
Rizzo had mafia ties though?
No.
No,
Zero.
You know, this
Zero.
conversation's remnant to
He's got way too much gangster in him.
But
before 2011 when Ramos, or before 2012 when Ramos got kidnapped. He's like, I'm going. Coming back with Ramos.
Just him.
I was like, you know,
Only part camo. He doesn't even need the whole way.
I was just imagining a bandana and M60.
oh, definitely. Any person of Italian descent who's slightly
He's from Chicago.
and
I'm just saying.
bald, he has mafia
I
ties.
just want to see him with like the bullets across his chest. Like,
Rambo.
Yeah, underneath that sweater
Rizzo
vest.
Rambo.
Underneath that sweater vest, he's got like
Rizzo
tattoos.
That's probably how the Doug Fister trade happened. Like, you know, Dave Dombrowski woke up in the middle of the night and there's just a silencer in his face. It's like you were taking Steve Lombardozzi, Ian Kroll, and Robbie Ray.
but I don't want Rambo. You're taking
We'll
one.
even throw in Robbie Ray.
now the question is, what was going on when he flipped Lombardozzi for whoever the fuck came in?
Alex
Gonzalez.
Which
Who
one?
lasted 9 days, like the band.
I don't know what, like, that's just Orioles magic.
You remember Alex Gonzalez
Wait,
and
I
Alex
really
Gonzalez
wanna
when
see
they were
it
both
at
and it
Orioles
was like,
Magic
oh,
Steve
they're
Lombardozzi.
both shitty.
They tried.
Steve Lombardozzi like, not in.
Yeah.
They tried it.
Well, no, that's what they sent him to the minors where people aren't paying attention to him. Bumbo will come back, he'll just be jacked. He'll be smoking home runs over the fence.
30 homers a year.
Nobody will say anything.
Here's the thing about steroids, people. You can cycle off of them,
Yeah.
and you still get the strength benefits.
Yeah, shockingly. And you don't get, like, you know, the muscle repair benefits as much, but, you know, once you've worked out and become very strong, you don't just immediately become not strong once you stop using steroids.
You sound like someone that's on steroids right now, James.
That's the
So the
husband
same-
I'm sure everybody can see I clearly look like
James'
that.
advice
Husband's definitely showing the gun show today, for sure. It's making me uncomfortable in a good way.
Oh,
yeah, I heard that
shit.
you have 2 tickets to the gun show for Ryan over there.
The left and the right, baby. On that I need here.
The timing could not have been more perfect there.
All right, the trade deadline's coming up. Yesterday, Jordan Zimmerman went down with something wrong, but between the elbow
The belly
and
of
the
his
neck.
bicep.
Something in here.
Well, they're saying it's a bicep cramp, which if what they're saying is true, which we will take with a grain of salt.
A whole grain?
Yes.
That's a lot of grain.
Because they haven't done an MRI yet, so they're just saying a bicep cramp because that's where the pain is.
Yeah.
And it feels like a cramp, and a cramp can come on suddenly, and it can be rather debilitating. Just ask LeBron James.
Mhm.
So, you know.
Or my wife.
Damn!
Whoa!
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
So,
I didn't hear it.
That almost got Jeffrey to spit out his hair.
yeah. So
Holy crap, no shame.
Not surprised.
So a cramp can be painful, and it could cause, you to suddenly not be able to pitch and have to leave. But until the MRI is done, we don't really know exactly, because a bicep cramp could be a symptom of a torn
bigger,
tendon or, ligament damage or any sort of thing.
Or just a symptom of him trying to throw differently
Like,
because
give it a
something
little
else
love
is
at least
bad.
before you take him out of the game. I mean, you
Yeah.
just yanked him out of there. I mean, if he's complaining about a cramp, like, hey, here's Gatorade. Come on,
Yeah.
here's a little rub down.
That's what they didn't do with LeBron either, and that was in the finals.
I think just the
They had to
weirdest.
carry him out. They didn't carry Jordan out. He's a warrior.
Because you contrast
Yeah,
that
he
with
walked
Gio
off the
in
mound.
the end of his start, and it's like, things have gotten bad when FP will just say it and not care that he's saying it. And it's like, Gio is like, just kind of like, it looked like I said we should start calling him the Rocket from Rookie of the Year, because it just looked like every single pitch he was just like, this is the most effort I'm ever giving again.
Henry Rowengartner.
And it's like, no, he's like catching the ball back, kind of looking at the dugout, like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna keep pitching. It's like,
You gotta heat the ice.
I was like, that's what I said. It's like, when we were talking about the bullpen not being very rested, it's like, any of your relievers can throw right now. Why do you keep throwing this guy? And then Jordan Zimmerman, hey, come over here. My arm hurts. Okay, you're out. It's like, what are you doing?
Dope.
I
I
think-
swear.
I think there's sometimes with Matt Williams, like he wants to be different from Davey and letting
Yeah.
this not being Captain Hook. So he lets his starting pitchers just sort of go, but it's like
It's like having to.
yeah,
Darn.
it's like I could
That's
pinch
just
it here
fitting.
with the bases loaded and 1 out and my fifth starter having already given up 4 runs, but no, let him keep pitching. And just yeah. So I think
There are definitely aspects of the job that I don't think Matt Williams has a complete grasp on yet.
but I don't think we know the full.
Pulling Harper and yet not doing the same to Harrison.
No,
Yeah.
I think he just doesn't. He's not very good. And then obviously saying that it's not easy to interact with 25 Major League Baseball players and try and make them all go with the way you want to. But I think that was one thing that was always underrated about Davey. And everybody wants to say, like, oh, you're a players manager. That's awful. You let the players do whatever you want. It's like, I'd rather my manager be able to say, like, you can come into my office anytime and talk about whatever you want, and it won't affect your standing with the team, and the players believe it and actually go do it. And it's like, Jim Leland was the same way, where he's always a players manager, and
If you could wade through the smoke.
I can't imagine anybody telling Jim Leland he was soft. It's like, I don't think anybody could smoke about 80 cigarettes a day.
Ron
It's
Washington
soft.
chain style.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, let's do this tomorrow. And it's like, that's not a soft person, but both of them had a very good idea of when their players need to be talked to, when they needed to be let go, and especially with last week, what you saw with Harper and getting upset about where he was in the batting order, that's something Williams hasn't mastered yet.
Well,
but
Well, the
he's
hard-ass
new to the
manager
job.
doesn't work anymore.
No.
I mean, you don't make enough compared to your players. So
No.
you've got to be a player's manager if you want to survive 4 or 5 years. I mean, think about it. There really aren't that many hard-asses that are still
Mhm.
managing the big leagues now. You've got to be able to get along with the players, or you're replaced.
Yes. Well, and to borrow a joke from my dad when we were talking about this earlier, it's like, the drill sergeant is the drill sergeant for a reason. It's because he's a complete asshole and nobody wants to interact with him and like promote him anywhere. That's why he's with the shit kids who are first getting introduced into the military, and he's never going anywhere. It's like nobody wants the drill sergeant. They just kind of have it. It's like nobody wants a drill sergeant for a coach. It's like, it will occasionally work. Teams will kind of get rallied around it. But more often than not, especially in the major leagues where these guys are getting, millions of dollars, very confident in themselves. You're going to go and yell at them, take 50 more grounders. You suck too much. They're going to go, fuck off. I'm going to go eat some chicken and beer in the clubhouse during the game.
And Blitz
Josh
Xbox,
Beckett.
yeah.
And I don't think Williams has gotten that far yet, but I think he's still, obviously it's his first year on the job. There's a lot more to this job than even probably people in the game think there is, and especially for people not in the game.
And this is a really hard gig he walked into.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this isn't a rebuilding effort where he's learning on the job, and
No.
like Bo Porter is or some of the other guys. I mean, he's walking in. This team is expected to go to playoffs at bust, World Series at bust.
Yeah, it's like,
He's dealing with some older superstars,
Yep.
some middles. He's got Harper, who's kind of his own
very
deal.
unique person. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, you've got a lot of very interesting personalities on this team. And
Right,
you're walking
it's like-
into, you're in the shadow of Davey, who's a big time guy here.
Yeah.
Still, it's not an easy gig that he walked into. I think we always
No, it's
forget
like,
that.
here's a very good team. Don't fuck it up.
And make them better, by the way.
Yeah,
because
and-
we still need to get over the Cardinals and the Dodgers.
Yeah. It's like, good luck.
And then he walks in, and the first 3 months are all injuries to his best
Mhm.
players, on the shelf. So I don't think
It's
he's
a
done the
fair-
best job, but I do think he's been
Oh,
put
yeah.
in a tough spot.
So let's
What is an ass need at the
No, let's hedge. Jordan Zimmerman's out for a month.
Okay. Well,
We'll put him at the same. Gio was about the same, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So we'll say he's out for a month.
so it's biceps and the nuggets. We'll go with
Correct.
Okay.
We'll go there.
So a month, but he's back on August 15th, whatever.
Mid-August sometime. So let's go around.
Missing 6 starts.
What moves do you make at the deadline? We're going to start here.
Well, I trade
Hey,
Nate
Sean,
McLeod,
You're not Sean.
Scott Hairston for Mike Trout.
Good trade.
And I don't know if you have to give up McLeod for that deal. I mean, Harrison's got that. He's got that veteran presence. He doesn't have as big of a contract.
All right, what's your
He can
stupid
still
idea?
What's my stupid idea? Unless Zimmerman were to be out for longer than a month, I don't think they need to make a move for a starting pitcher. I think they've got, they got Taylor Jordan, they've got AJ Cole can come up, they've got.
I think you picked the wrong Taylor then.
Regardless.
Well,
What about that guy in the fifth
It's
spot?
his defense.
You like Taylor Hill, like, most of the guys that are in a strip club falling into the strip club. You have that kind of relationship. Your stripper wife at a strip club.
Yeah, I mean, it's not enough starts that I think you really need to panic. And I mean, obviously, if there's a good deal for a starting pitcher out there, but you don't need to go trading anything worthwhile for any starting pitcher that's worthwhile.
Okay.
I am not always a huge proponent of you have to use the lefty-lefty matchup. I think that they can upgrade over Blevins. The last couple of years, he hasn't had good lefty splits. This year, he's not very good, at least recently. I mean, he's not terrible. It's not the worst thing in the world if you don't upgrade over him. I mean, other than that, a lefty bat would be nice. I don't think they really have to do a whole lot. Just, be opportunistic if you can get a starting pitcher if Zimmerman's out for a while, if you can get a lefty reliever, if you can get a lefty bat, just find whatever you can get a good deal on, whoever's selling. Seth Smith is who I would have liked, but the Padres signed him to an extension, so that's not going to happen anymore. Unless they can make a huge splash if the Rockies decide they're oh shit, we need to trade Cargo, yes. But other than that, I'm not. Not a whole lot.
I would say, yeah, a lot of it really depends on Zimmerman and Desmond, which we don't really know enough about right now. But you can't really live with Danny Espinosa as your starting shortstop for the rest of the season. You can't live with. Well, Trinan you can live with for 5 starts maybe in the middle of the season. But if you're getting near playoff chase, the Braves are right there, and you've got Rourke and Trinan making starts every week, and not quite as nice of a situation. So. I would definitely, if those guys are going to be out long term, then you definitely have to make a deal for something. Either it's a starting pitcher or a shortstop, or a second baseman, and you can move somebody else to shortstop. But it's going to be hard to work around. I don't know if there are really any middle infield targets they can really get.
There's a lot of middle infield targets.
Yeah, but who would be good?
Like,
I remember what you saw recently. Bowden tweeted where it's like the Reds. When Phillips went down, he's like trade targets for the Reds, and it's like Ben Zobrist, and then the next one was like Danny Espinosa was the 4th person on that list, and it was in order of being good. It was just like a list of like every second baseman you know, and it's like Ben Zobrist and people you don't want ever on your team.
And Zobrist would be a very good pickup for this team, but
Yeah.
I don't think that the Nats are
There's
going
no
to
way we have
be able
him
to.
if he's
Yeah.
on the market.
No, and I say they don't need a starter if those guys are healthy, and you can improve the bench. I don't know. I'm not really that much for trading assets for bench assets, but if you can trade a very marginal prospect or something for a lefty bat or somebody who can come off as a good pinch hitter, because the thing is, they got a lot of the guys they had now to be more. They can take over a position if people get injured, and I think now is when you transition to a guy who will just come in, bottom of the 9th, 2 outs, game 2, and hit a home run, and then you go, yay, and then never shows up again.
They did retain Greg Dobbs in the organization, so Greg Dobbs could be back in September.
So I'd say, I want to see the Nats win a World Series because that'd be awesome. I also want to see them win it just because I want Greg Dobbs World Series champion to be in the record books forever.
So let me throw this out here. Before Ian Desmond and Jordan Zimmerman both died in the last 3 days,
Yeah.
I pitched a deal to Dave and Matt. Matt, who has since disappeared and will never return.
Because he turned down the deal.
That's a crime shame. That's a crime shame.
So we've heard the contract talk about Ian Desmond, and then it's also been kind of made somewhat clear that Jordan Zimmerman also wants to go to the market to get a fair market deal. Earlier this week, there was talk.
Don't draw this out too much.
I thought someone was coming to the door.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Again?
Yeah, really. There was talk that middle infielders could be on the market. So what if you packaged Jordan Zimmerman, Ian Desmond, and a prospect Goodwin range?
better than that.
So you'd have to go Cole, or would you have to go even higher?
Probably Cole.
Okay, and Cole. And you went and got Tulowitzki and Josh Rutledge.
Now see, I
Why
told
both?
What?
Why both?
Because Rutledge plays second base as well, so you can have a true second baseman and then expand your 4th outfielder like you really should be.
Can I just get punched in the face and make it easier?
Oh. I'll leave Dave to that. He's got the biceps.
Captain Gunchill.
I'm a very big believer if you're going to make up trades, it should be awesome. Like, you just want to be like, I'm going to trade all our bad players for Troy Tulowitzki, Chase Utley, Giancarlo Stanton, and David Price.
now see, I think,
Now I think if you get those 4 guys, I think the Nats might be a World Series contender.
see, I think if that trade was that you proposed was done in November,
Mhm.
it'd be a great trade.
Yeah.
But in the middle of the season, to take like 2 guys that are really kind of doing well, and be like, "You're not on the team anymore. Here's a guy you've never met.
Yeah.
Have fun."
That could disrupt the chemistry.
He's now the best player on the team. Everybody
And
defer to
assuming
him.
Zimmerman's healthy, you're going to take your captain and probably your best pitcher off the roster.
It's something
That's
that you
not
do in
going to
out of
sit
the park
real
baseball.
well in the clubhouse.
Now, what it reminds me of though is in 2004 when the Red Sox traded their captain Nomar Garcia-Parra.
Yeah, but people actually like Desmond.
Yeah.
Except for being a ham, actually, people like Desmond.
No,
And he's not. I guess right now he's.
But that was
he's
one of
not
the greatest
currently
trades
dead,
of all
like-
time. I mean, really, that was one of the better trades in
Right.
history. I mean, everybody questioned that, and then Cabrera came in and didn't have an error, and Mikhailich was great, and World Series, there you go. But
Dougie Fresh, Dougie Mikhailich.
But that was sort of in a different era. If you look at the offense in 2004,
Right.
it was much different. So they took an offensive first shortstop who was really kind of bad defensively at that point, and injury prone too. I mean, he tore his entire
Body.
thigh.
His body was
Cabrera
just.
was one of the more
just-
underrated players at that time too. I mean, he was a good defender.
He was a
steal
good two-way
bases.
player, yeah.
He could hit for average little pops and doubles. I mean, he was a good player.
He didn't have any true weaknesses.
Right, but I think at that point in time, he
for
was,
shortstop.
compared to that league average, he was a below average offensive player. In this run environment, he would be above average. But at that point
Might
in
be an
time,
all-star.
right, at that point in time, he was, a defensive specialist. And so they improved their team, and they had David Ortiz at first before that, so they got Doug Mikhailich to play first. So they just improved just tremendously on defense. I think that was the real benefits of that deal is, and if you remember the big thing about Moneyball, which was just 3 years earlier, was how much people had started to pay attention to defense. And now maybe people pay too much attention to defense.
That's probably true. Like
That's fair.
you were
Or
making the
six-
comment earlier,
six
we
over.
went too far with the prospects. Now it's kind of you getting back to where it's maybe a little more
Yeah.
in line.
I mean, we're basically
Hashtag six-forward.
But I do want to hear where the Huz wants to go trade deadline. I do want to hear where you want to go, or what you would do, or what you think we should do.
what I would do.
Trade for Giancarlo Stanton.
Not to derail, but
Step one.
That's
Step
that's,
two, trade for Giancarlo Stanton again.
Step 3, question mark. Step 4, profit.
if I had my ultimate fantasy, it would be to get John Carlos Stanton.
Giancarlo Stanton for Bryce Harper.
my fantasy
Who
ball
says
three
no?
super bottles in the morning.
Yeah,
It's not gonna
exactly.
happen. So
Right. So
Not, and then
My
Giancarlo
bankroll-
Stanton comes in there and he comes
unfortunately,
and steals
advertising
him.
it next GM is going to pay for that. So
but I think this is a realistic possibility that has been mentioned before. It was mentioned on the broadcast last night. Chase Utley, because you look, he has 2 years left on his deal. If the Phillies are trading the face of their franchise,
it's crazy money.
right?
It's like $10 million
Right.
a year, which is
If they're trading him, they've already probably traded Hamels. They've already probably traded. I mean, if they could trade Ryan Howard, I mean, even if they half the contract, they'd still be saving money if they could
I
get
mean, if you trade
anyone to
Utley,
take
they've traded everybody on the
right.
team at that
So
point.
they're in full rebuild.
Rollins is gone.
So trading him,
Ruiz is gone.
Right.
Yeah.
so trading him within division doesn't matter because they're not planning on winning in those 2 years. So that's why they do it within the division. Utley would do it because the Phillies are saying we don't want you anymore. Hey, I'd like to play them again. The Deshaun
18
Jackson,
times
yeah.
a year, yeah.
And so he get his vengeance when he wants it, and then the Nationals are doing it because they need the offense.
I would love Chase Utley. I hate Chase Utley, but I would love Chase
He would
Utley
be
on my
so good in
team.
that 2-hole. Oh.
And it would get rid of
That was kind of weird.
Whoa.
not you. It was me going.
Well, I thought it was my response to that tongue sticking out. Yeah.
And it
I was
would
like,
push.
that's hot.
It would push Span to the bench, and it would just, But what you're going to have to trade, first off, Giolito, Ruben Lamar will ask for him. The answer will be no.
Right.
But you're probably looking at Michael Taylor. You're looking at AJ Cole, and maybe
Truth is, we're not a bad fit with them.
right.
They need a center fielder because Revere's not the
They
answer.
really need everything.
Reviere's not the
System.
answer. I'm
He's not-
shocked.
I'm
and
not sure what the
appalled.
question is, but he's not the
Yeah,
answer.
and if they've already, we've said they've already traded Ruiz, there's a catching.
Severino could be interesting.
Right. Yeah. So there you go.
They
There's,
traded Ruiz.
If they did it.
Yeah.
Hypothetically.
I can see that.
That was somebody like when they were.
Actually, that feels rich, that offer, if you're going to take on $20 million, too.
right. So you may not even have to do that much. You could probably maybe even give them Solano as sort of a stopgap.
Or Leon.
Yeah.
Idea.
Yeah, Leon actually has a little bit of value. He could be the style you could
I
trade.
actually
Give him a guy with value.
I might be his own. I'm captain of his fan club, but I think he's a good defender.
So I mean, I think that's sort of the deal that would just solidify the Nationals. I mean, at that point, you have a much better defensive lineup with Zimmerman in left and Rendon at third, and Utley is still a very good second baseman.
Gives you another left-handed bat in the lineup, too. And worst comes to worst, you can always put Utley at third in a year or two.
And
Slow
then
us down.
our span's not batting leadoff.
That's nice.
That's right.
That's really the moral of the story.
I want to see Matt Williams confronted with not being able to put
Can
Denard's
I throw this question out? I don't want to, but what do you guys think the odds are that Span is back on this team next year? He's got a $9 million option, I want
If
to say.
they don't acquire anybody,
I'm just
Yeah.
50-50, 40, what do you guys
if
think?
it's this roster, they're not trading for like an Utley or something for next year. He's on the roster next year because they're going to pick up his option over picking up LaRoche's option.
They'll
And
pick up
then-
his option, but I have a feeling that they move it regardless.
Yeah.
Somebody will want that, even at $9 million, they'll want that
I mean,
percentage.
he's a 3.5 win player last year, and he's a 1.2 win
It was
player already this year. He
1.4,
hadn't been that great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So my point is he's going to overplay that contract.
somebody like one of the big beat writer or not beat writer, national writers like it was like a Rosenthal or a Heyman or something like that was like if the Nats decide that they don't want Span going forward, they'll still pick up his option and they'll trade him because there will be a large market for him.
Oh, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's like, well, Span, he's not the guy that you necessarily want as your leadoff guy, whatever. It's still hard to find a competent center fielder in this league, and the fact that he can play good defense.
$9 million for 1 year,
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
making a 5-year commitment like you saw with Utley, or not Utley, Upton and Bourne and the other ones. Yeah.
No,
I mean,
but I
you
think
saw-
I would definitely keep Span with the Nats because I would not keep LaRoche with the Nats. This is
Interesting.
I was like riding on a lot. I think the last 3 years have been kind of like this is probably LaRoche's last year. I hope he
It
does
has
well.
felt like that way
Yeah,
for
it's
a
like-
while,
I
yeah.
was like, this is definitely you see like the horse is kind of just like slowing down at the end, and it's like, well, I hope nobody catches him right here. It's
It's not a
like,
bad slowdown with 900 OPS.
No, I mean,
will
he's-
say.
he's doing great, but you're just watching it. It's like there's no way he's going to do that next year.
Yeah,
Okay, so
no,
he
so
did
it's-
it next year, but
so
there's no way he
that-
does it next year.
To Span, I think it was what they pick up the option and they trade him.
Yeah,
But-
I'm kind of in that
I
camp.
don't.
With
I don't
with
want
LaRoche,
outfield.
there's something very
I want him in
interesting.
left field. That's where I want work.
Yeah, there's something. Yes, for me too. But there's something very interesting I've noticed with LaRoche. I don't know how he's done it, because this sort of thing over as long as his career has been, it should not have kept up.
The beard.
No, it's that in
Drake?
even years he's very good.
Oh
In
yeah.
odd numbers years he's very bad.
Well, there's one. I
How
was looking
is
at
this-
recently. There was one odd number year where he actually did
Was that
defend
Brett
okay.
Saberhagen that used to do that too? Like
Yes.
great 1 year.
Oh
and
my
then
god,
horrible the next.
it's so weird
He
to
was
look
the-
at. That.
That's the greatest baseball reference to look at of all
No,
time.
I was saying like, well, Saberhagen, well, LaRoche, it does it, and then there are a couple places where he's kind of just the same in an even and an odd. Saberhagen, it is very much just even. No, I suck. Odd, I'm awesome.
His career was amazing.
So
I mean,
That's
just imagine
really
that
cool.
like aging curve on a graph, just up, down,
Oh, yeah.
up, down, up. Like, what's going on here? This is not a
Okay,
curve.
if
It's
you
like a
ever
heart
wanna
monitor in a hospital. Just boom, 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 boom.
if you ever want to like compare
It's actually
aging
figuring out a
curves to the
secret
ideal
code. You just have to go see what the frequency is.
Kenneth.
you gotta
It's your
get
heart monitor
Pedro
when Rafael
Martinez.
Serrano's pitching.
Yes. Pedro
Before
Martinez
this-
is the perfect aging curve.
But
It's like if you want to compare anybody to that, it's like if you want to compare like the perfect aging curve, there's Pedro Martinez, and then you can put like everybody else against it and just watch like what their career does against that. That was the perfect like kind of start
Parabola.
slow. I'm gonna peak. I have a couple of really good peak years. Now I'm gonna come back down a little bit. Now I suck, and I'm out of baseball.
Well, I did want to pitch a trade at the trade deadline.
Uh-huh.
I wrote about it a little bit yesterday. The two offers that I would go after. The first one I would talk to Arizona about trying to get Oliver Perez, the lefty. He's signed for next year too. Apparently,
Oh, yeah,
whether or not
that's
that's true or not, we had some interest in him this offseason. And I would try to get Nick Ahmed, their shortstop prospect from them as well, trying to fill in this. Give yourself some support in case Desmond leaves.
So that means we're offering them an outfielder, right? Because this is Arizona. We've got two of the three. We've got pitcher and shortstop. So you got to go outfield.
I was going to offer them Blake Trinan,
Oh, pitcher.
who I thought would be a nice fit, the ground ball
Yeah.
for them. And who's the other name I offered? I offered like Rafael Bautista and Silvestri, two lower arm, lower level minors type guys. Figure Trinan for Ahmed is a pretty fair offer, and then figure two low level guys for Perez taking on that contract is probably fair-ish.
So
You get a good defender for next year if Ahmed
Oh yeah.
can play second base. He can be your backup, middle infielder if you have that until Desmond goes or what have you. And then you got a lefty out of the bullpen. Treinen is not expendable, particularly if Zimmerman's out for a while, but he could be a really good fit in Arizona. And
Yeah.
I thought that might be a deal that would work. Same idea. Boston's got Johnny Gomes and Andrew Miller. Andrew Miller's having a great year as a lefty. Johnny Gomes has been with the Nationals in the final year of his deal. Can play left, right, and first a little bit. Can mash lefties. Gives you another option besides Harrison.
Better than Kevin Franson.
And they've got Devin Marrero. They've got a shortstop prospect that could be interesting
No, we're not going to take any.
No Marrero.
too. I love Devin
Marrero.
No Marrero.
I love Devin
Is
Marrero.
that his brother or his cousin?
Cousin.
Yeah.
But,
No more
No,
Marrero.
that's too much blood.
This is like the
Great.
Marrero family. To me, sounds like a Samoan wrestling family. Like you have just like the patriarch Connie Marrero, and then like
Fatu can wrestle a little bit. He's pretty good at this day.
there's just like branches of them off of them, and then somehow you end up with Roman Reigns. They're just related to both of the main families.
Well, Roman Reigns is good times. I mean, that's a good thing.
But he's related to both the Noyes and the Fatus. It's just like, how are you from both families?
Now, I do have 2 questions. One.
Only 2?
Yeah, only 2.
That's pretty good.
And then we'll hit into another break. The first one is. No, I'll go with this one first. It was reported that the Rangers are looking to trade key pieces.
Shitty? Terrible?
Yes,
the
they are.
Sounders.
The sources say they're very bad. No, they're looking to trade key pieces. Anything on the Rangers
Soria.
makes sense for the Nats.
Well,
Soria would be sexy.
I think the one key piece, I think they said they wouldn't trade. That makes me sad. I would literally just call up John Daniels and say,
Open the book and just point to what you want.
what do you want? We'll take you.
We'll take a number 5, a number 11.
Of course.
I find that, actually, I was thinking Beltran. I wouldn't want to get Beltran.
That'd be
Right.
sexy.
And you might be able to get him. You might be able to
What's
get
his
him.
contract look like?
I think it's 2 more years, or a year and a half
And
more.
it's
Could
not
be
crazy
then.
money.
I
It's
mean,
like
it's big money, but it's not
it's like
today
like,
big money. It was
So-
5
so
years
for
ago.
the Beltran-
13 to 15 million maybe.
With Beltran, you'd have him at third, Zimmerman left, and Rendon at second.
Yep.
And your defense would be
Oh my
really
god!
Yes.
Why did you just do this to me?
He's got a year and a half left. It's 5 years for $80 million.
Yeah, that's not.
See, the Nats will probably have one of those
I mean, it's a lot of
star
money, but it's
players.
not crushing.
Oh yeah, finally one of those.
But, I mean, you're also looking at adding a 929 OPS bat.
And a gold
That's what he
glove.
is right now. His career is an 816.
Just don't fucking touch his head.
Everybody loves
Don't touch his head. He will.
That is
kill
the
you.
greatest.
I think, well, I
I
don't
want
know
to
if
see
you guys
his
have
helmet
that.
taken off thing.
But that could be.
I can't imagine.
I mean, obviously
Andrews
you
from Beltran,
just
though.
okay. What do you want out of the farm system?
We'll take Andrews
Maybe,
too. We need a
but-
shortstop.
Oh, there you go. Okay. All right. Now I like it.
Yeah, you Darvish, obviously, who wouldn't? But no,
Of course, I could see, Mike Rizzo saying, "We want you," and John Daniels goes, "Okay, I'll take Giolito for me." No, you. Oh, me. Okay, Cole and.
Fine, I'll let you have me for less. Okay, fine. You can have me for.
No, we don't want me. We want you. Is this like who's on first? Like you's on first?
You who? Who you? What? Who?
No, you's on the mound.
No, I'm.
No, you's on the mound. Your mom's on the mound.
the next
Your
question I
improv is
have
terrible.
is to kill all of our dreams for the trade
That's
deadline.
nice.
What is Mike Rizzo's record at the trade deadline? Has he
Caps
made-
for Ramos.
Well, I think.
Okay.
The Suzuki deal was pretty good in hindsight.
Well, that was
Yeah.
after the deadline. That was in
Oh, that's true.
That was 4 days, whatever it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
good call.
Oh,
I still say
Guzman
waiver
for
deals
Tanner
count.
Bullard.
That was a good deal.
I think we've seen him as a seller
And
pretty-
Walters for Marquis.
do pretty good. Okay, but
This is trade record.
as a
really good in
buyer,
general.
we haven't really seen him because in 2012 there really
They
wasn't
had 5.
anywhere to put anybody. The only real place was catcher, and they waited until after the deadline and then got Suzuki
Yeah.
because there really weren't
And there
any
wasn't
catchers out there. But as we've mentioned this year, you could get Asdrubal Cabrera could be a guy that could play second. Alexi Ramirez could play second. There's just a lot of middle infielders available. I mean, there's probably some guy that we haven't even thought of.
You could
on
steal
mentioning.
Altuve from Houston, I bet.
Well,
Yeah.
there's absolutely people.
Well, you
who
can
have
steal
thought of it,
anybody
because how
from
many
anywhere.
pitchers did we go through?
But I just think he could be available.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
You could get Andrews out of Texas if you offered something half decent.
Right.
Or
so
you
Profile
just
is
have
when
to
you get out of that
over his
contract,
head and just take him. into
Sardinus
DC.
is in the minors. You still got Profile there.
Yeah,
Odor.
Yeah. Odor.
I think he's probably the second, but yeah.
Odor.
Hold on.
So the two trade deadlines where Mike Rizzo's had a winning team. 2012, the team, there was really no place to put anybody, and in 2013, they were at this point in time they had to win the game before the All-Star break to be at 500.
Yeah.
So they really weren't doing anything because I think Mike Rizzo had already given up on the playoffs at that
And
point.
they made the Hairston deal what feels like about this time last year, a couple of weeks before the deadline.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it was almost a put up or shut up thing. Like, you guys got to get hot before I might make a deal in August kind of a thing.
Right.
Last
And
year.
they just said, all right, we shut up.
Well, and then they were lousy for 2 more weeks and then got hot.
Yeah.
It was almost too late.
I feel like the last couple of years too, the quality of players you can pick up in August has gotten a lot better because teams are willing to dump contracts of good players. So I mean, a guy like Cliff Lee, he's not going to go to the Nats, I would say, but the Phillies could trade Cliff Lee because probably nobody's going to claim Cliff Lee because he's got so many dollars.
The Dodgers did it last year.
Yeah, but I mean this year when he's
Right.
been banked up,
Also,
like
to
just
that
something
point,
like that.
I think there are a lot more sellers this year, it feels like, than there have been in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some real clear teams that suck and are going to sell. I mean, the Phillies should, whether or not they will.
It's
but
funny because
Texas should sell.
I'd say like a month ago, like every single team was within like 8 games of first place, and like 5 games of a playoff
yeah.
spot, and now
I mean, the
it's
Mets
not.
should
And that
sell and
story-
sell hard.
Completely changed because you talked about a month ago, and the story was, well, who the hell's going to be selling at this
Yeah.
point?
Right.
And now like the Rockies completely pooped themselves.
Well, think
the
of-
Padres are
that is
nobody wants to buy any player
hilarious.
from the Padres.
Well, think
Well,
about
the
some of the
Rockies
teams that are
rotation right now.
selling.
Yeah.
Think about one of the things we mentioned with all these things with Texas and the Phillies
Tampa as well.
is contracts, big contracts, and you also
Yeah.
have the Red Sox in there. And
They'll
so-
sell.
Well,
Or they
yeah,
should
yeah.
sell anyways.
It's like not only are they clear sellers, but they're clear sellers with actual players people want.
I mean, Colorado
It's not like
should
the
sell and
Twins are
sell
selling
hard.
again. It's like,
San
great,
Diego
all the
should
Twins
sell.
are selling.
I mean, there are 8-10 teams that should
Oh,
clearly
yeah.
sell. Whereas last year it felt like there were about 3 or 4. The Cubs
Yeah.
should sell and sell hard.
So
They already have.
where do we want to put the line that they should be sellers? 10 games back?
Maybe even, I mean, in the AL, it's maybe even less than that.
Yeah, I'd say if you're like 7 or 8 back and you weren't expected to be a contender this year, then you definitely sell. Like if you're a team like the Red Sox or the Rays and you like get a little bit hot and you're still sort of in
I mean, I don't know
range
if the
because it's
Rays
like
are a pure seller now because they've played well in the last couple
and
of
it's not like the
They're 10.5 back. Which
it's not like
isn't as
the
bad as
Orioles
they
are that
were.
good. Like
and they've
it's not like they have a
Flyers
team ahead of them that they
and
can't catch. It's more like can we play well enough to catch them as opposed to we have to play well and they can't play well. It's like yeah they probably
You also need the narrative. Do I have somebody coming back that's going to get better? Is my team not hitting and well, we're going to start hitting? And there's a reason why we're going to play better too. It's
well look for the Rays it's David Price has been throwing lights out all year and doesn't have a good ERA and at some point people are going to stop scoring runs off of him. Ben Zervos is going to be healthy. I mean that's
team
still
is
not
good.
enough to make the playoffs.
Right.
I'd say.
Right.
They're too
But I mean,
far.
then you look at the Orioles rotation. You go, how can our rotation not catch that? Even with Matt Moore like on the DL, how are the Rays behind the Orioles?
If the Orioles were to trade for a starting pitcher, I think that they would be decent. I think that they're not.
Burnett to the Orioles makes too much sense. Just sign, seal, deliver. It makes too much
I
sense.
mean, and I don't like the Orioles, so I enjoy hating on them. But I feel like if they were to get a starting pitcher, Chris Davis is going to hit. He's not going to hit
Correct.
sub 200 all year.
Right.
It's like, well, Nelson Cruz is going to.
Machado is going to start. We've even
Exactly.
seen it. He's going to start hitting again.
JJ Hardy is going to get his power back at some point. He's not going to hit 300 all year, but if he goes back, if he sort of meets in between where he's been,
And if Bundy comes up and gives him anything.
Gossman.
I mean, I like the Orioles more than it sounds like you guys do. So it's with them to me. Just put Burnett on that team, and I think they could really have a chance.
Like I don't like the Orioles, and I don't want them to succeed. But I feel like the fact that they're already on top.
At least their farm system's worse than ours.
Wait, you don't go to sleep every night and thank Peter Angelos for being gracious enough to allow you to have a team to
why
root
the
for?
Nats
That
have
was such a
won
solo
World
comment,
Series,
just
yeah.
throwing that comment out there, just knowing you're going to bug everybody in the next app.
Buck
Just
is the
totally
troll of all
inflammatory.
trolls.
That was a troll comment. It was great, though.
Ridiculous.
Like that's why I like completely
Angelos
ignore
could have
things
had
like
less to do with us getting a team in DC. It's
Yeah.
actually amazing. He was the only vote against us getting a team in DC. He was about to send everybody to court about it,
And
but
there's-
yet he allowed us to have a team.
And there was a big conspiracy for, the longest time that the Orioles were like just yeah, we'll just keep living with Melvin Moore at third base so that DC can't have a team.
Well, they did have the top payroll in the league in '97, and then took it to like 25th 2 years later. When all of a sudden there's, Montreal needs a new relocation spot. Oh, we can't pay anybody. Oh, we could pay Palmero $25 million a year. No, we can't do it anymore.
And the steroids were pretty expensive. I think they just put it on their credit card.
You mean Orioles Magic is expensive.
Sorry.
Please use the correct.
AKA Brady Anderson.
The Oriole
So is
way.
Orioles Magic just the brand?
Yes. No, Orioles Magic is just it's a code word for it.
It's a various type of it's their mix.
Quotes, italics, and underlines.
It's like when you go down to like one of those.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
When you go to one of those pharmaceutical smoke shops in DC, like I need some of the
What?
White Widow.
What are you referring to?
Okay, we're gonna take a break.
Oh, I got it.
He's got it.
Hey!
Who got this guy?
So for the
Where
record,
did Matt
oh, I
go?
got it.
He left.
It's the last thing that was on. Yeah, here you go.
That's too bad.
Where'd he go? Yeah.
That idea. He just said it.
Probably
All of a sudden,
something.
he's just like, all right. I was like, all right, see ya.
Probably something with
He's
his
like
girlfriend.
gone to the bathroom or something.
Yeah.
It's always something with like his girlfriend's family.
Wow.
That was so funny.
Yes.
Oh. Oh, the camera.
I thought a lion tamer had a whip. Good God.
Matt's not gonna listen.
Just mute the mic on that one for a second. And then we can talk. And I can tell you the awesome story.
Oh, that's even better if I mute this because then everyone will see your mouth moving and not be able to hear the story.
Oh, even better.
Did you just unmute?
Yes.
Oh,
There we go.
So we'll have to wait for after the show for Julie Alexandria stories. This is players just give him shit answers. Just like, oh, come on.
You can tell if they can.
Jan
tolerate
Coco
that
versus
person or
Jason
not.
Worth is like my favorite battle ever.
Yeah. Last night, the pitcher threw at you. Let me have your thoughts on that and facing him at the next pay-per-view.
It was.
Let me tell you one thing, Dan Coco.
You think you gonna have it,
Oh,
but at the pay-per-view.
All right.
What do you got there, T? You got a little mixed drink? Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. Vodka and lemonade.
I'm gonna have a mixed drink here in a second.
Ooh.
bourbon and ice.
Yeah.
Bourbon and bourbon.
Bourbon and ice. The best type of mixed drink.
Well, I'm heading up to Frederick tonight to watch Frederick and Potomac, so.
Ooh.
Good
Good.
times.
That sounds like an exciting game.
Yeah, I was one day off from Bath,
Ah.
so I get to catch Matt Stamp. Good times.
He's
Love
one,
that 86-mile-an-hour heater.
well, he's one of those guys that's just sort of, a guy that you could be traded for a bench guy.
He shouldn't even be a guy. He should just be a goof. He's
Yeah.
like half of a guy.
Hey, you need to fill out a roster, okay? You can't have to be good.
And he's filling out that high A roster well.
So we touched on it in the first segment. Matt Williams, what's What's his report card look like for the first quote unquote half?
Ooh, okay. Well,
See,
actually,
that's a great question.
Well, see, I remember the last time we did this, we did report cards. We got Mike Rizzo, and I think everybody was between B- and B, and then Ryan comes
Fuck that guy.
in D-.
I took him.
I would give him an F if I could. Fuck off.
It's good radio, though.
Well, I'm going to give.
And then we found out that
And by the way, half the people were agreeing with me at the end
Well,
of the
I think-
segment.
it's like,
I had to change my opinion.
By the way, we found out basically, at the end of the segment that we all kind of disagreed with him. We just like great inflation. Ryan was like, in today's society, too many people get good grades. He's done a D job. It's a D. Thank you.
Well, I mean, if you I mean,
Political
I think it
real
may
quick.
It actually made me sound more nice than I was.
but if you like when I went to school, when I was in college, a C was supposed to be average, but a C was actually failing. If you got a C, you were actually failing the class.
Like, unless you totally gave up. Yeah,
Right.
C was like the worst you were doing.
Right. Because teachers are so nice, you know.
Well, if you show up,
Yeah.
you're getting a hook normally.
Right. And
Right,
so that's that's sort of how it worked when I was in school. So maybe some of that has to do with, you know, you're a little bit older, a little bit. So you
Yes.
know,
Correct. Factually correct. Yes.
by
Half a foot's in the grave. Yes.
But like you know, I know when my dad went to school, like way back when, like D's and C's were actually things that were given. Like if a kid got a D in today's society, like a parent would probably call the school. Like it would be like
Parent conference.
a parent would go make an Earl Weaver scene in the teacher's office, and kicking dirt on the.
Now you need to have a kid just to do that. That would be great. Just have like an Earl Weaver moment with the
You just
teacher.
go turn your head. What are you doing giving them a D? What is it? What is wrong
Raw
with
desk
you?
for no reason. Throw some pencils. Sharpen these pencils.
Well, the best thing is just like umpires, they're not getting paid nearly enough to deal with that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So you're abusing
so-
people who just don't
so-
deserve
so-
it, and it's awesome.
I mean, an actual letter grade, I don't really, like, if you look at all the stuff.
Let's break it down though. Let's not give.
Oh,
Let's wait to give him the total letter grade.
Okay.
We have
Ooh.
a couple of pieces that
Well,
we have to
here.
go through.
we'll do like an elementary school, be like his actual performance, and then what like the effort you can see him putting into the performance. Because I think those are different grades.
They definitely are. But we're also going to break it down with how's he
Okay.
doing in English. So how is he doing with, let's start with, bullpen management.
Well, actually, the bullpen management, I think, is decent.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the perfect, like,
It felt rough for a while.
it's not perfect.
But
Like
it's hard to argue with the results that are coming out of it.
he's using matchups, he's doing this. He very much has a formula for it, but with the guys he's been given, the formula works. Because, I mean, at times, if everyone, like they have 5 elite relievers in that bullpen. I mean, you could flip a coin and be like, oh yeah, Craig Stammen's closing tonight, and you would get a say. Or, you know, we're going to have Aaron Barrett in the 8th. That's fine. But, you know, he has just those 5 really, really good relievers.
I guess the thing that I'm
Well,
But
and
it
the
makes
starters
me-
are going 6
Yeah,
and 7 innings
sure.
every night, which makes it your job not as difficult. Well, am I going to store in a flipper here?
The thing that makes it difficult when you're looking at it, though, is, I mean, when you have guys go 5 or 6 days routinely between appearances, and you're looking and you're like, this shouldn't work.
No.
Right.
This shouldn't be happening, that 5 or 6 days go by and they're still doing well. They're not getting out of that rhythm. They're not, you know, coming in and just showing the rust of being off for a week.
Yeah.
And then at that point, it makes you almost wonder, it's like, okay, so is he just getting lucky? Is this...
I think I don't think he's very creative with it, like Dave said, and so I think that works well for him in the season because you shouldn't be just throwing people all over the place, putting them in different roles, all that kind of stuff. They should, especially in the bullpen, because those people are crazy, have some sort of definite role, and you can see it with just Drew Storen this year. You know, last year he was going all over the place. He was pitching when he was supposedly sick. And, I mean, that wasn't the only reason he struggled last year, but you can clearly see he didn't just become a shitty pitcher because he's doing really well this year. So I think in the season, I think his plan is very good. I especially like that he actually uses his good relievers first when the game is tied or when the team is down by a run. And obviously it leads to a bad record in extra innings because then you have your crappy relievers. But why win a game in 11 innings when you can go win it in 9 instead?
And that's probably the biggest change from last year.
Oh, yeah.
Is that you go back and you look at the pitchers who were struggling, and when they were struggling, that's when they were pitching the most.
Yep.
And if Williams is a guy that's struggling, it's like, okay, you go take a nap.
Yeah.
We're going to finish this
Buried
up.
Detweiler when he was pitching badly. Not
and now he's
necessarily a bad move, but he buried him when he wasn't pitching.
And then he had that really good game against the Brewers. He brought him back again against the Cubs. He's brought him back last week.
Now he's actually pitching pretty well.
He's pitching
3,
well,
4
and now he's
times
using
in a row.
it. Yeah, I think he's done well. The only thing I'll say, and obviously we don't have any real sample size or anything to know whether this is true, but I don't know if he's going to be creative enough when it comes time for the playoffs. And you can't just say, 8th inning guy, go. You have to say, we're only up by 1. We're down in the series 2-0. We need to win this game. And he's already put 2 guys on base. Who do I need to throw instead?
But in fairness to him, he doesn't have a lot of pure specialists.
No, he doesn't.
I mean, he doesn't have the pure lefty or even the pure righty necessarily. So it is, your point's right, but he does. I don't think he's had to necessarily.
No.
Okay, I can only bring this guy in against a lefty, or I can only bring this guy against righty type things.
Yeah, and I think that would be my only concern is that I think his in-season strategy, and even with leaving starters in a little long, like obviously there are times that's probably hurting them in an individual game, but I mean, you lost 1 game because you maybe didn't score a run here. That's not really killing you over an entire season.
And he's also done a nice job of the guys give up 3 or 4 runs early, and then Gio has righted the ship, or Roark has given them 6 more innings of good baseball, and maybe you don't win that game, but he stayed with them and kept them in the game and gave them a chance to win, and whether you don't blow your bullpen for those 5 innings. So I think he's actually done a pretty good job. We can all point to a couple of, but the team was also playing poorly, and the pitching wasn't as great.
So he was trying a little more, and I think now that it's a full healthy team, it's a very obviously good team. He feels more comfortable with them. It's like, I'll let you do things, and that even hand I really enjoy. And it's just obviously we've never seen him in the playoffs before, and hopefully they'll make the playoffs.
Let's be honest too.
Yeah.
This team being healthy is giving him 1 through 25 to play with, rather than 1 through 32 or whatever it was he was trying to manage. So you look a lot better when your team's fully healthy.
Exactly. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, that'll be my only concern, but I also have no evidence that he won't be able to handle it when that time comes as well.
Now, what's the letter grade for bullpen management?
Bullpen management, I would say B+, only because there are times in individual games you can still see where it might look like he doesn't actually have to handle what he should have used to win. But, I mean, it's been overall very good.
Yeah, BB+.
Yeah,
I think he's been good. I think he's been good. A couple of spots you can point to, but
there's no Uneski Maya moment. There has been, let's say B. Just there's been times when you can tell that the pitcher comes in and just doesn't have it, and then he just leaves it in there just a little too long.
Blevins the other day is a good example. Barrett a couple of times back. Yeah.
And so but sometimes by that point when you can tell a reliever doesn't have it, you've already lost the game.
And that's. Yeah, I think he's done a nice job, frankly. Okay. And none of the relievers, and maybe you guys can help me, I don't feel like any of the relievers are really overextending themselves to the point where I'm scared of them in September, like I was Clippard a couple of years ago, or I was. I mean, it does feel like they're all getting enough work without getting completely overworked.
No, the only one who's getting a lot of work is Clippard. He's got, he's the only one who's over 40 games.
And Clippard's done that his whole career. I mean,
yeah, and that's you're supposed to do that.
He almost feels better when he pitches a lot.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to give him a week off in September to get him ready for the playoffs, but
No, but
or
Clippard's
4 or 5
guy
days, whatever
you want to use a lot. So that
pretty good consensus on the bullpen, I think.
Okay. The next one up is player management is going to be split into 2 categories: on the field and off the field.
So where's lineup construction?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Okay.
Off the field is things said to the media and seeing how those things go.
I think he's good with dealing with the media.
With player management?
With the media.
Yeah, I actually think I would give a pretty low grade in that one. I'm guessing TJ's thinking the same thing.
Well, I mean,
there's been way too much drama for a team that's 10 games over 500.
Communicating with his players, I think he's not good at.
No,
I mean, Harper hasn't even played, but there's been too much drama.
How specific are we being? Are you saying with only the media, just like the media asks him a question, he gives an answer? Because that's also very easy to do, but he's done well in that. If you're talking about how his actions then go out into the media and then how they become portrayed in the media.
I mean,
that is terrible.
He made a mountain out of that. That Bryce Harper
that is
thing,
terrible.
he made a complete mountain out of
And the thing
what
is,
needed to be nothing.
I don't think he knew when he did it that was what was going to happen. And I think you've seen. You can also say get kind of upset that he hasn't
you
benched
have to
other
pull
guys.
Harrison a month later when he doesn't run out of ball, and he could have had a triple, and he gets a single. You have to. I mean, you have to pull. That guy doesn't play but once every 10 days. You have to pull him in that situation.
Yeah.
And it is.
I think
That to me was
awful.
a terrible, probably his worst moment of the whole first half.
I said this earlier on our podcast.
You mean like this one, but earlier?
No,
We want people to listen.
but you know that Bryce Harper is a 21-year-old in a locker room with not a lot of people that are anywhere close to his age.
Mm.
I mean, he's sort of on an island. He was, back in the day, the bonus babies kind of got bad treatment when they came up. And I can see a lot of guys resenting him because
Is Rendon the closest one?
Yes, Rendon would be the closest. Or Strasburg.
3 years older.
Yeah.
Strasburg might be a better comp in some
Right.
ways, but yeah, I'm with you.
But he didn't pay his dues. He just came in.
Screw paying your dues. It's about winning games. I'm so tired of this.
Well,
I
I
didn't
think
spend 3 years riding buses. If you're winning me games right now,
Exactly.
it's a crap.
But
It's like the Tiger Woods on the PGA Tour. He's made every one of those guys filthy rich. Shut up if he beats you. Your second prize was worth more than winning 5 years ago. Shut up.
Right. So
I
think
Harper's going to win you baseball games, guys. He's going to make you a better player because he's in the lineup.
I think a lot of the veterans resent that. And Matt Williams went into that locker room and said, I can connect with 24 guys, or I can connect with one.
Well,
Isn't it important to connect to your superstar?
Yeah.
I am very
above
curious
everybody else.
at how many quote-unquote veterans are in that camp of.
I don't know, because this problem didn't exist when Davey was here.
Right.
Oh, they had a schism last year, apparently.
I think that Worth
completely
gives
missed this.
Harper a ton of shit, but I don't think he has a problem with
No.
it. There's a difference between, you pick on your little brother because you can, but you're the first one to stick up for him if anybody else screws up with it.
Yeah,
Screws up with it.
Well, I do find it interesting that from that clubhouse, granted, I mean, it may just be a keep the status quo and don't rock the boat kind of thing, but no one stuck up after that. They go and ask Ian Desmond, they go and ask Narc
That's a great
at that
point.
But I mean, nobody kind of said, hey, this is a bigger deal than it needs to be.
And I know Ryan Sullivan in that clubhouse would have been, this guy's leading me to a title. I don't give a damn what he does.
Well, that's what I saw was interesting, and it got buried in one of the posts by Adam Cole about the whole thing. Is that Danny Espinosa specifically made a point to get up and go over to Harper and thank him for giving him that shout out by saying that he's really good.
I kind of feel bad that I give you
And that was the
so
whole-
much shit in the last
And that was the whole
now.
point, was I'm trying to give props to Espinosa. It wasn't necessarily a slam on, it came out as a slam on his fan, but he was trying to say, hey, this guy's a good ball player.
See, I think-
It's unfortunate.
I think the problem is,
He's 21. He didn't express himself.
Ryan Zimmerman's a veteran, but Ryan Zimmerman spent 2 minutes in the minor leagues.
Correct.
And so he sort of he was even faster to the majors than Bryce Harper. Now he was a little older. He was a college guy.
Detweiler was
the
4
other-
minutes to the majors. I mean, we forget. Right now, didn't spend any time in the majors. Strasburg
No.
spent no time in the minors.
But right, listen to all those names you just said. Aside from Rendon, who is a happy, outgoing guy, what do Detweiler, Strasburg, and Zimmerman all have in common? They don't say a goddamn word.
Right. But see, I think the problem is coming
Good
from the veterans that sort of have been in the minors forever and have had trouble sticking in the
The
majors.
sucky players.
Yeah, like Kevin Francis of the world, who actually put his name on it.
Hey, he backed up Barry Bonds. You shut your mouth.
I don't know. That whole paying your dues thing feels about as cliche and 80s as anything else.
It's stupid, and I don't think that. I think that you look at Davey, and under Davey Johnson, Bryce Harper batted second, third, fourth. And it was a big deal. It was a big deal this past week when Billy Butler was moved down to sixth in the Royals lineup because he's been there forever. There was a special meeting between him and the manager.
And Butler's been awful.
That's Billy Butler. He sucks.
Right, and the manager said, I don't mean to insult you. The thing is, batting sixth for a player of that caliber is an insult.
Yeah.
So the first thing that Matt Williams comes in, He writes on the line on it, Bryce Harper's 6. He's basically
Or
writing,
7.
right, Bryce Harper,
Yeah.
fuck you. You know?
No, and especially like the first time he did it, and he was like, "Oh, I'm just trying to relieve the pressure on him." It's like he's been 2 years and the manager's batting second.
Yeah.
He's good.
No, this guy thrives on pressure. Give him as much pressure as possible.
Right.
Make him put coal in his ass.
And
Make a diamond. I mean, this guy
That's
needs
the
pressure.
real problem with Williams is he keeps looking at him as a 21-year-old and not as a third-year MLB player. So you wouldn't do shit to it. Like a third-year
Well,
MLB
you know,
player,
okay,
normal
he's
third-year
He's
MLB player,
off
would
the
be
bell curve.
28.
He and
yeah.
Trout, okay, they don't even count. They're so far, and Machado, if you want to count, they're so far off that they don't count as 21-year-olds. Like, but these guys are. I mean, he is your future. If Harper becomes what we think he is, we're going to have 2 or 3 championships, and this is a dynamic franchise. If Harper doesn't, we're going to be remembered these next decade as a failure. I mean, really is a failure.
Look at the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
Well, actually, look at the Washington Capitals.
Yeah.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
That's a great example. And Harper is more of a dynamic player than Ovechkin is in hockey.
Yeah.
And still, your point is outstanding. You're
Yeah, it's
exactly
like
right.
the Capitals. They had one bad playoff
I mean,
series against the Canadians, and they just went, well, shit.
And
everything we're doing is wrong. Let's do everything.
I know
different."
zero about hockey going into
Yeah.
a hockey podcast, but now the Capitals, this generation, is going to be thought of as a lost half decade or a decade, unless they turn it around and whatever. I mean, and they're probably right. You had Ovechkin, and you've never won 2 playoff series or whatever it is.
It's just, it is that Montreal, they were an offensive-based team.
Bryce
They
Harper out
refused.
against Cole Hamels.
Not a bad move.
Desmond is back. Well, all right, you say that. We'll talk about that later. I don't want to interrupt you
But-
immediately. But everybody says that about his splits, and like his left-handed hitting is still good, even if it's not as good as his right.
I just don't have any problem with giving a guy 10 days off a year, and if you're going to give him a day off, give Harper a day off against
Cole
Hamels.
Hamels. Yeah.
Right.
And make sure that you've got Hairston hitting for him, or
Sure.
hitting for Span.
Harper's OPS against left-handed pitching this year is 978.
You know, for his.
So that's a
for
very
his-
small
got
sample
20
size.
at-bats.
No,
19 games.
if you do it for his career too, like it's like the last time I
It's
looked
better
at
than
it,
you think.
And
his
how's he-
split was 40 points of WRC
And how's
plus.
he going to get better? You've got to face lefties.
Right.
Yeah.
In the middle of the season before you face the really good ones in the playoffs.
Well, I think the big problem a lot of people have when they look at splits is like they only look at the difference between the right and the left. And if you do that with Harper, that's 40 points of WRC plus between how he hits righties, how he hits lefties. He hits righties to a 140 WRC plus. That means he's still league average against
Right.
lefties. That's not a bad hitter that you need to be benching against lefties. I mean, obviously in this situation, maybe you could. Cole Hamels is kind of hard. But it's really funny that a lot of people do that where it's like, well, he hits lefties so much worse than righties. It's like, yeah, he's still better than half the
coming
team.
up to Major League 19.
Well,
He's
yeah.
never faced a lefty
No.
right in the amateur ranks that was worth a damn.
In the book, the Tom Tango,
Which is a great,
yeah,
which is a great book.
and the chapter on clutch. They write all this stuff about how Scott Spezio is clutch. I prove that it does exist, and but then they bring up Albert Pujols, who in clutch situations is much worse than he is in other situations, but he's still better than Scott Spezio,
Yeah.
Right.
who is much better than he normally is in those situations. So you have a guy who hits left-handers better in Scott Hairston, but at least you actually get to the level that Bryce Harper is, even though Bryce Harper is significantly worse.
I've just gotten to the point with clutch where who do I want to bat? That's who's clutch. I
Yeah.
want Ryan Zimmerman hitting in a clutch situation because
Yeah.
he's done it so many times he's going to get a hit. Or he's going to give you a good at-bat. Worth the same. He may not get a hit, but he's going to give you a good at-bat. I don't want Danny Espinosa. Does that mean he's not clutch? I don't know, but it means I don't want him up in that
Well, the
situation.
clutch is just like over. You can almost describe the situation more than the person.
And Desmond
Yeah.
would be good in that situation too. He's a good, man scoring position, clutch, whatever the word is you want to use.
Right. And it's just a guy that keeps his level, and it doesn't panic. Which should be everybody in the majors because they went through a tremendous amount of pressure to get there.
Well,
Yeah.
and everything is, to get a batting average sample size, it's like 900 at bats.
Yeah.
So to actually get some kind of a sample on what you are in clutch situations is almost impossible unless you
Yeah.
play a 10-year career.
All right, sorry to hijack you, TJ. Where are we now? We're on field, man. Oh no, we have to give our
we're
actual
still on
grades for
off-field.
off field.
And just for the record, when we were talking about Harper in the different batting order,
Yeah.
he's batted more after the 5th spot this season than he has in the prior 2 combined.
My God, I
And
think
he's only played, what did we say, 35 games?
that goes on
Doesn't
on-field
barely
stuff.
play it.
So off-field,
32 games. he's played this year.
I'll feel, I think, that the fact that it actually, all this stuff has become a problem in the media.
I think that's the bigger part, is that not only do you have to go out and deal with the media and say the right things, but you have to know what you're saying and what effect that's going to have.
And also, the other thing is you have to keep the clubhouse tight. Boswell would have never even gotten the 3 Bryce Harper columns he got this year under Davey Johnson.
No.
I mean, that just would have never happened. And
Are we convinced he actually has a source?
Oh, he definitely has a source.
yeah,
It's Kevin Prince.
I mean, Boswell is a hack, but he always has a source with his hack. That's the same thing you can always see.
You can tell my silence by how I feel.
I say the best way to know when a move is coming for the Nats is when Boswell writes the column where he pretends it's his idea that they should do something. The next day, that will happen. And it'll be like, wow, look at Boswell. He really had a good idea there, and the Nats did it. No, bullshit. Somebody told him the day before the Nats were about to do that, and he wrote
about
about
I don't think
it.
Boz is wired in. I just don't know that he's. I think sometimes that he gets the quote for the narrative that he wants.
Oh, yeah.
Before he
Oh, no,
even
he
actually
definitely
gets
does.
up.
Jim
Before he walks in.
already.
And I think that's 100% him. He
Jim
doesn't walk in trying to figure out what the story is. He comes in with the story and then placates it to what he wants to
Yeah, he
write.
just asks everybody the same question, and it's like,
Which is-
oh, no, and he'll just
hey,
walk away if you get the wrong answer.
I'm
Then
going to go to a ballpark tonight. I don't know what I'm writing about, but I know I'm writing about something.
Yeah.
Boswell will walk in and write, I'm going to write about this player hitting a home run, even if he doesn't. I'm going to will it over that fence. So
It's going to make it.
So I think, he hasn't kept a tight locker room. He's let too much get to the media. He said the wrong things to the media about on-field situations. I mean, I think he gives a good interview on like the sports junkies and stuff, which is enough to keep it from being a straight F. It'll be a D-.
I would say D- too, but I can imagine.
you guys are tougher than I am. This is amazing.
I'd say,
but I'm with you. I think he's been awful. But
I
I think
can't
he's more.
imagine what Mike Rizzo thinks, though, considering how tight he tries to keep his front office. And then he's looking over at his managers who's just letting story at a story come in. It's like, Rosenthal got it. Nair has stuff. What's his name?
And it's like
Keith
Rosenthal's
Law had a story.
Rosenthal's
Keith Law has
not
prospects, and he got an entire story about how Bryce Harper's being treated.
But Rosenthal's not that tied in our locker room.
No.
Baltimore, yes, but not in ours. I mean, so to your point,
No, that's like,
a
those
lot of
sources
people are
are
getting
not
sources.
so- yeah.
Hey, if you want to say Boswell's tied in because he's been here for 100 years, fine. But
Yeah,
you're getting
that's like-
outside writers getting these sources.
Yeah,
to
your
their
local
stories.
big league is one thing. When a national writer is coming in and getting just an entire column worth of information and everything,
And
That's
again,
a
to your
problem.
point, it wasn't like the Nationals really came out and clubbed it and said, no, it's BS.
No.
That was not the way it was handled.
Well,
But I'm with you. I mean, C-, D. I mean,
I'm
there's
going
been
to
way
D.
more coming out than should be.
Well, and
I want
The
to
one
be
thing-
fair to him because
I do too.
obviously this isn't something he's ever had to really do. You're a
But he's-
bench coach, you get a lot of that.
But he's created a lot of
Yes.
this too.
I mean,
I mean, this wasn't all of a sudden somebody got hurt. If Harper had pulled his hamstring running out that ball, then it's a situation that was created and he's got to mess with it.
Yeah.
He pulled him out because he just didn't run it out. He created that situation.
Well, he
could have
already
handled it a
screwed
lot
with him
better.
even
He could have
before.
sat him the next day and said he's got a pulled hamstring, and everybody else knows why he's sitting except for the media. He could have handled it a lot
I mean,
better.
Davey probably did that. Like,
Yeah.
lunchtime. I mean, how many times did Davey pull somebody and go, why did this guy not take the deal? That's like, yeah, he was injured. He was a little sore, tired.
Right.
Shit.
It doesn't matter that the public knows why he's sitting.
Right.
As long as the 25 men in that room know why he's sitting, it's
Yeah.
fine. I mean, he could have said, hey, Harper, twisted his ankle on a play in left field. I mean, fine. And it's not a story in the media, and it still gets the consequence and the consequences.
And that's something I'll give him plenty of time to improve on, get better on as he continues managing. But for just right now,
He played ball a long time. He would not want to have been called out.
No.
Now, he would have. He's not the kind of guy that would have been called out by a manager. But
oh my God, if he was
would
called out
not
by a
have-
manager, he would fight that manager.
Well, that's true. But I mean, my point is he should know better to keep that alive. He played 16 years in the majors. He should know better than to let unnecessary stuff leak.
well, and he was a bench coach in the majors as well. It's not like
Third
he's,
base cut. I mean, yeah.
but I mean, it's not like he's foreign to the concept of keeping a clubhouse together.
No, I mean, the four of us have never managed a major league. None of us think that would be a good idea either.
Yeah.
The one-
So I always go back to that point. Like, it doesn't take that much intelligence to figure out that's a bad idea.
The one thing that does give you pause is that, I mean, you have all of these things coming out, and it's obviously not one person,
Mhm.
because if it was, I mean, we all joke that it's Kevin Franzen. But if that's the case, and that person is also not performing,
TJ, you have somebody at your door.
No.
He's wearing a vest, a safety vest.
Is it Mormon?
No, they wear suits.
Oh.
And have
You
bicycles.
only concerned him when he said he had a vest on.
No, it's one of those big safety vests.
We got your
Beer and
birthday.
bathroom time, anybody?
I think it's anything but just beer. I'm good.
Bourbon.
I'm good. I'm fine. Thanks. No, see, it's Jehovah's Witnesses, they wear suits. And then Mormons, they wear suits, but they also have a bicycle like that.
Right, yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah, you should just know not to.
Saving the Chesapeake?
Say that shit.
Open windows.
Ah, Windows.
Oh.
Safety vest for Windows.
Apparently they're doing work, I guess, across the street. So while they're here,
he's
they're
probably
also
somewhere
hopping.
around. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
One of those. Sea service.
I'm just gonna repeat that
I've
point
always
and I'll
wondered.
edit it out.
So I've had people do that before, like at my parents' house, they'll come and be like, oh, we're cutting like your neighbor's trees down. Do you want us to do yours? I'll like look around. Nobody's getting their tree cut on the street. It's like, where did you come from? Bullshit.
Okay, the one thing that does give me pause though is we all joke that it's Kevin Franzen that is the guy, but there are all these sources, all these different stories coming out. If it was the guy that wasn't performing, that's very easy for the GM to go. He's obviously get the hell out of here. But nobody's been cut, which leads me to believe it's not just a singular person that's having an issue.
Probably true. Probably true. I mean, yeah.
But see, the problem is that you think that, and it's like, well, who else? I mean, I could see Ian Desmond and Ryan Zimmerman having issues with people. I can't ever see them telling anybody ever that they had an issue with somebody.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even imagine Ryan Zimmerman, like, you know, when he was a middle schooler making fun of, like, the fat kid or something.
Well, I mean,
That's
that's
ridiculous.
Espinoza, you guys said,
Yeah.
went over and
Thank him
made
for
a
being nice.
very
Yeah.
blatant attempt to go and take himself out of the mix. So you have
Pitchers aren't probably going to have an issue because it's the hitters.
the
So
pitchers of the bullpen.
No, it's clear.
That's all
So,
Allen.
pitchers, it's got to be a position player. And, like, it could be worth, but
Rendell.
again,
I doubt it's
I
I doubt it's worth
shocked.
because Worth would handle it different.
yes, because
Yes.
Worth
He would go
is
up
a
and just-
very much a lone man army. Like, you're not doing the way he does it, he'll punish you his way.
But I think Worth would just grab him by the
Worth-
scruff of the
yeah,
neck when
exactly.
no one's around and, hey, you're being a punk.
Exactly.
You talk about the younger brother thing. That's what you
Yeah,
smack him and said,
you
hey,
slap him a little bit.
stop being an asshole.
And I can't
And I
imagine.
do
He's a
think
very
Worth could get
direct
through to
person.
him. I do think that there's, and I don't know why, but I don't get the feeling that Harper has an ego towards players. I think he has a massive ego about his talent, but I do think he respects the game and respects guys like Worth who have played
I definitely.
15 years and have made all-star teams and won World Series. I think he would listen to. I mean, of course, I don't know, but I would think that he would listen to that kind of.
I think he would. Bryce Harper is
He's
very
not going
much
to listen
a
to me.
student of the game.
Or should he? But he'll
Yeah.
listen to somebody who's legitimate.
And I mean, I don't think it would be LaRoche just because of how 2012 went. You know, all the, Drake LaRoche hangs out with Bryce
Yeah,
Harper.
Dumping cider on each other's
Yeah, I
head.
was like, you're not.
That was
letting your
one of the
kid
cooler
just-
moments of
yeah.
that whole celebration too.
Yeah.
Like,
My favorite, like, Drake LaRoche's quote. It's like, oh, we're just chilling out, drinking grape juice over there. So you're not letting your kid hang out with somebody that you hate that much.
But that does leave us
that-
one member
you're
of the lineup.
100% right though. I mean,
And it's like,
Yeah, it does leave us one member of the lineup, the one that Bryce Harper actually inadvertently said shouldn't be playing, and is kind of a
But
guy you would call
but
an
is he-
outsider to this team.
is he dopey enough to play the is Harper going to stay or am I going to stay game? Because you know you lose that game.
Yeah,
Like Worth could play that game or Zimmerman because
but
you're
Span-
here. But Span is.
yeah.
I mean, Span doesn't have the staying power, I guess. Is
I
what
mean,
you
he may
say.
be looking at it as like, I'm gone at the end of the year.
And maybe that's
Anyway,
true.
and maybe I'll just,
that's
you
it,
know.
too.
I mean, to that point, who on this roster could actually win that fight of it's me or it's Harper?
nobody.
No.
I think Worth could. I honestly do. I think Worth is about as
Yeah.
established as any veteran on I mean, Jeter,
I also
but
think that
I think he's about as established as you can get.
But if he were to say it's me or it's Harper, and by the way, I'll waive my no trade clause, I bet they'd be.
But he would never. But he wouldn't do the same. I mean, he wouldn't do one and the same. He would go, it's either me or Harper, but you're not. I'm not getting rid of a trade clause.
At that point, you just tell him to shut the hell up, because obviously you're not going anywhere.
Well, yeah, and that's fine. But you back them into a point.
Yeah.
But my point is, I think Worth might be the only guy.
one who would have a change swing that.
I mean, he made $45 million on that contract just because he was such a veteran presence.
Yeah. And I still think Harper would probably.
I still think Harper wins that.
If they were rational about it, Harper would win it. And I think, obviously there's a lot more to Jason Worth than just saying who's the better player.
But I also think that 14 years of age
Yes.
gives you a lot more credibility. Hey, this guy's acting immature. Hey, this guy's. You're gonna default to the veteran. It's just like at work. The guy that's been there 15 years, you're gonna default to before the guy that, even if he's a hot shot at work, he's been there 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just, I kind of still lean towards bench guys being the source, and just maybe Mike Rizzo can't figure out who it is. Like
That takes some balls.
Yeah.
I mean, that takes some real balls if you're making
not
$900,000 on a 1-year deal, and you're gonna say, hey, Harper's an ass. I mean, that maybe you're right. That takes some real balls.
I mean,
This is a guy that was out of a job 3 months ago, and now all of a sudden he's going to tell you that one of the 5 most talented players in baseball is a jerk.
Arts McLeod too. I mean,
And maybe McLeod. I mean,
he's
McLeod's
the
solid
real
all time.
force.
He could be.
yeah.
That's the name that could be.
Or Hairston. I mean, he's from a legacy family. You may look at.
I mean, we have mentioned everybody now at this point, so we have covered everybody. But
It's basically the bench minus Lobaton and Espinosa.
Right.
Oh. You know what? Lobaton, I think that's a very underrated pick. Because there's something that, because I went to the game, they had like a tweet up in the archivers. Like I said, very well sourced people. So after the game, hanging out, we met FP at one of the bars, we met Jagler at one of the bars. Both of them, especially Jagler, not a fan of Jose Lobaton.
Really?
Like, not just like, oh, he's not been that good, like, really just doesn't like him at all. Jagler said, and I'm going to be really mean, but I'm guessing nobody's listening at this point. Jagler said, it's like, he talked to his Tampa people too, and it's like, they didn't like him either. So I wouldn't be shocked if who the second spitter is. I wouldn't be shocked if it was Jose Lobaton.
this is a family podcast here.
Well, I was thinking of Seinfeld. With what's his name? Who was it? Who was
Keith
the second
Hernandez.
spitter? No, Keith Hernandez was the first spitter, but then it turned out it was Roger McDowell
Yeah.
in the grassy knoll. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Franson's definitely running point on this, but I wouldn't be surprised if Lobaton was his second one in. And I think what's interesting is both of those are very recent acquisitions, especially Lobaton, who's actually they gave up real people for. That could make him just safe enough for now that he would feel willing to do that.
Until a guy like Carlos Ruiz.
Yes, until we get to the trade deadline and they say, get out, we're going to get somebody else.
Until we realize that Leon's a better player.
Or that.
Or that's just
But
required.
I wasn't thinking about it before. But
somewhere else.
I think there
By the
might
way, Leon is a better player.
considering
Just
how
stated.
much hate that was directed towards Lobaton, I wouldn't be surprised if there was something else to his clubhouse
That's an
presence
interesting
beyond
one.
just the way he's
Very
playing.
interesting. We're gonna send you out to meet these people
I
abroad
know.
just so we can.
Yeah.
All right. Player management on the field, line of construction.
Line of construction.
Obviously, not counting the bullpen because we already talked about
Okay, line of construction is,
defensive alignment.
well, that's actually gone well recently.
Mm-hmm.
See, some of it was tough because he was backed into a corner in May when all the lineups were awful,
Yeah.
but he didn't have anybody to play. So it is a little bit of there's a built-in excuse.
Well, I think given the Nationals' record, he's actually done well with managing the injuries.
That's the thing that I was.
But continuing about Harper's sixth, when he's had a couple years of performing higher in the lineup, and then continuing to bet Span leadoff when Span has over his time with the Nationals not been a leadoff hitter.
The last 300 games he's played, he's not a leadoff hitter.
Right.
Even into his time with Minnesota.
And so he shouldn't be batting leadoff. Harper should not be batting sixth.
I want to say it was counted a little while ago. I think it was 12 times in the last 2 years. He's batted 5th or 6th or higher 18 times this year in 32 games,
Right.
which is absurd.
Correct. I mean,
He's definitely he was a number 2 hitter in 2012, and that was probably the best lineup the Nationals have ever put out there.
Harper was.
Yes. That was the best they've ever put out there. I think that if Matt Williams actually had some sort of pedigree, he could basically go to the clubhouse, to the locker room, and say, or go to Jason Ward and say, "You're batting leadoff, or you're sitting on the bench." That's all there is to it. You know, if he was, Tony La Russa or Charlie Manuel, he could do that.
Well, the other thing that I have regarding defensive alignment is where those players are actually playing. Like Jason Worth doesn't need to be in right field.
Well, he should have been in right field last year, let alone this year.
Very true story. Which, that should have been one of the things coming in is, you're not playing out there anymore.
You're playing left field.
Yeah.
Well, and it's what's
Particularly at Nats Park, which is a lot more straightforward than right field with the goofy corner and that's a long throw. I mean, it always is, but that's a really long throw from the right corner to third base.
Well, this is like funny because
You really can't throw it that far. I mean, it throws it from the side. You can't throw it that good. You just can't throw it that far.
It's funny because I was talking about this with my dad because we went into work together Wednesday, and so we were talking about when we were coming back, and it's like, for all the stuff that Harper gets about being selfish and all that, it's like Jason Worth is the one making those actual actions. He's the one in the beginning of the season saying, "I'm not batting leadoff." It's like, Jason, you're our best leadoff hitter. You should be batting leadoff.
You're a crap
I'm not
third
doing
hitter.
it. I'm batting
third hitter on top of it.
It's like, I'm batting third. It's like, Jason,
You are about as misplaced as possibly can be in the third.
you're
a 5, a 1, or a 2.
You have the best on base percentage on the team, and you're not hitting for much power. Can you bat leadoff? No. It's like,
Jason, why would I want
you
15
can't
more at-bats in the
right.
season?
It's like,
Why
you're
would I want
old.
that?
You can't run around right field well enough to field it. You should be playing left. No, Harper, the kid plays left. I got right.
Yeah, the one with the strong arm with the athleticism.
I was like,
He's in left.
I was like, he has a little more leeway with that way, but it's like, why is, I understand why he gets more leeway in that. But it's just funny that, just because he's been here for a while and he's getting a lot of money, he's allowed to be selfish.
Oh, and he hit the home run in game 4.
Yeah, he's a veteran, so he's not selfish. But the young guy has to be selfish.
And it's just really funny. But yes.
Even though basically, if Harper doesn't play well, this team doesn't win.
No. But
and it's been true for 3 years, and it's basically still true.
Yeah. And Worth cannot play right field next year. If Worth is playing right field next year, they're in a lot of trouble because you can't defend that.
But I'm
it's like you're looking at Ryan Zimmerman third base and going, "Oh God, that's awful. He's so bad." Worth is worse last year, I think, in terms of just his defensive runs below average.
And then you're talking about the lineup as well, with Worth in the third spot. Granted, for a large portion of the time, there wasn't a lot of people that could hit in the third spot.
Fair enough.
But
right now,
he also hasn't hit well this year, barring the last 10 days, 10 days.
And about 10 days in the beginning.
Actually, you want to talk about unselfish people? Who was the Nationals' number 3 hitter for 2006 through modern times?
And now he's unselfish player in baseball.
Yeah,
2007.
Just
move to left just for the fun of it.
Now he does have his contract, so that makes it a little easier to take. But you're right. I mean, this guy has batted 3 from the minute he was brought to the major leagues until all of a sudden he gets hurt. Now all of a sudden he can't hit 3.
Well, and last year too, when they were doing really poorly, and they said, "Well, we need you to bat second," and he's like, "All right, I'll bat second," which we know is actually a fairly good lineup position, but still for most players, second is awful.
Wait a minute, I've never played outfield in my life. You want me to go play left field?
Okay,
no problem.
Oh, I really like it here in left field. You were right. Oh, you want me to go back to third base?
Okay.
All right.
Oh, am I going to first today? Okay, let me get my first base.
Oh, you want to take me out in the 8th inning for a defensive substitution in the middle of June? All right.
I mean, great point, guys. I mean, he doesn't get nearly the credit.
No. Worth before July, a 719 OPS.
Batting 3.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, don't let it be LaRoche, who's batting not at 200 points better in OPS. Yeah, don't let it be him.
Yeah. I mean, and then...
And I think, maybe I shouldn't speak at the table, but Worth's a great player. I mean, we all like Worth.
Yes.
But...
It's always one of those things you have to be careful after his 2011. If you're ever going to be critical about Worth, you definitely have to make sure you add that addendum, which is Worth is still a very good player, and I still like him. But
I don't even have anything to do with Game 4. It's just he's still a good player.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
but he should be playing left field and batting first or second.
Yes.
Not playing right field and batting third.
No.
Particularly when the team's fully healthy.
Now, how
like
much-
CJ pointed out, he's right.
Now, how much is that actually within Matt Williams' control? Because he's a first-year manager.
That's
I mean,
and we just brought this up 5 minutes ago. Do you really want to take on maybe the one guy that could take on Harper in the organization? Do you want to take that on, or you know what, just bat third, whatever. You want 12 less at bats for the rest of the year? Fine. You know what? It's not worth my headache.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly. I don't blame Matt Williams for that. I blame Jason Worth for that one.
I'm not sure that I don't blame Rizzo, but I'm with you. I don't think I blame Matt Williams. Is the point you're making? Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they needed either when we were talking about who should be the manager of the team last year, a lot of people when they were picking their first-year guy, they picked Cal Ripken over Matt Williams because Cal Ripken could very well go to Worth and say, "You're doing whatever the hell I said."
Right. And no one's going to go against Cal Ripken.
Right. And if the only good established guy out there was Charlie Manuel. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that
he's probably better as a hitting coach at this age.
Right. But I think that Mike Rizzo wanted sort of a guy that could be the manager for a long time.
I don't even think he did. He wants a guy that can be here for 10 or 15 years. I mean, I think that was the absolute thing with the hire.
Fun fact.
Because like you say, if they wanted somebody for 3 years, they would have hired Manuel and just called it a day. Made appeased Worth and what have you.
Yeah. Worth has raised his OPS 64 points in the last 9 games.
I mean, he was great in Baltimore.
Yeah.
He really has been great for the last.
His OPS in June or in July is 1371.
He was the player of the week.
Yeah.
Not this week, but I think last week.
He went from 719 to 783, and actually it was 788 before last night.
And that's fine. That's working.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely what you want.
If you want to put him in the 1, 2, 3 hole, great. That works.
But the guy who was here for the first 3 months, fuck that guy. Okay, so on-field management, what do you want to get with?
Yeah, it's going to be weird. I'm going to give him like all low grades and then somehow give him a high grade because the team is 11 games over 500 or whatever it is.
Well, I think
C.
I lean towards C because of how he managed the injuries. The lineup construction has been great, and I think we should mention this because a lot of people, the main complaint with him is his bunting. He bunts too much. But if you actually look at position player bunts, it's like I think 26 or 28 to the majors.
Don't do it.
I don't feel like they bunt that much.
Yeah.
I see that criticism all the time.
Yeah, and they
I don't
make
feel
their
like they
pitchers
do.
bunt a lot, but otherwise,
Well, they should.
yes.
I mean, the pitchers are probably bunting a lot because of the lineup construction. The guys at the bottom are getting on when.
Right.
Yeah, it's like
Well, and a lot of people pitch
put
around
your
Ramos
7-8 hitters over.
to face the pitcher. Sure.
Yes.
I mean,
Well, and some of those
And Ramos can't run. So
Right, yeah.
Some
I'm
have
sure.
to wonder how much you're being called from the bench. I mean, Harper had one about a week ago. where
Harper's
he
had a
came
half
up-
dozen this year where you just shake your head like that can't have been called from the bench.
Right, exactly. Or
Like
I
he's
hope
caught
the
for a
call
base
is-
hit, but at worst, it's a sacrifice.
Yeah.
The old fail-safe, but yeah, no, I'm with you on that point too. I don't get the feeling Williams wants them to bunt much except for the pitcher, but that's
I
naturally
mean, he hasn't
baseball.
said that.
I mean, is the bottom of the order getting on base too much a problem?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing. The point that I'd love to make is all we talked about in the beginning is we're going to run, Span's going to steal 30, 40 bases, Ian's going to steal all these bases. We haven't seen that at all. They haven't been stealing bases. Now, a couple of guys have been hurt or whatever, but they haven't stolen, they even attempted, let alone get caught. I mean, they have actually done a pretty good job, it feels like, of not getting caught. But
Right.
they haven't
Around
run much.
80%.
They haven't run like we thought they were, like they were trumpeting that they were going to run.
The two that you mentioned, I mean, Span went on that 7-day stint, but haven't really been hurt with.
And Desmond's got, what, 8 steals or something?
I'm pulling it up right
Span's
now.
got like 13, and he's picked up a couple, nice I can say that, well in the last couple weeks. But it's like Espinoza hasn't been stealing any bases. Worth that.
Espinoza isn't on base.
Oh, that's another problem.
Espinoza isn't in the batter's box.
Yeah.
Recently.
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And Harper hadn't played. Harper would steal some bases for you if he was playing. But
Span leads the team with 15. Desmond has 9.
I mean, those are really the only two guys.
Who's the only guy?
Actually, Rendon has stolen quite a few.
Rendon's
And he's had a
number
nice. It feels like he's had a nice percentage too when he's gone, but he's not base stealer. I mean, he's 10 a year, 12 a year.
I mean, the more Rendon plays, the more he actually reminds me of David Wright. Just the stroke, the whole foul pole to foul pole thing. You know, just if the guy pitches him away, he'll take it away. If it's in, he's pulling it.
And you probably look at baseball the same way I do. It's like when you look at it from a scouting perspective, you like a guy less the more you see him. Rendon's more. I like him more the more I see him.
Yeah.
The hands get quicker, the defense gets better, the polish is better. He's one of the few guys that I like more every time I watch him rather than less.
Yeah.
Which is very rare. I mean, normally you start picking up, this guy can't hit the slider. Oh, he always jumps at this, or he can't do that. I mean, Rendon to me I get more impressed with him every time I watch him play.
And the stolen base, like David Wright, every year he has 20 stolen bases. How does he do that?
Right.
He just waits for the pitcher to fall asleep and just goes.
And he steals it. No,
Does Fangraphs not have a stolen base percentage?
No, it doesn't.
No, yeah.
That's a pain in the ass.
Yep.
I'm not going to do that then.
But if you just look at his their.
But we all know, everybody that's listening to this podcast knows they've got a really good percentage for the year.
Yeah.
It's
Well, and if you
above the major league average.
And if you look at their advanced base running stats, so I tweeted recently they're like 4th in Major League Baseball. And Rendon is like 3.8 runs. Worth is 4 runs.
Now,
Span is 4.1,
Span
Worth
is
is
4.1.
4.0,
Yeah.
and then Rendon is 3.6.
Now,
The next
here's-
behind him is Desmond at 1.9.
Yeah.
Here's
And
two-
that's
That's
jumped
pretty
a
good
lot.
gap, actually. Yeah.
Desmond was a lot lower too. So he's come up a lot.
Here's
Yeah.
2 things. Under Davey Johnson, did not pay attention to details. He was just going to let the players play, and they were going to just play. And 2 of the details he didn't pay attention to were base running and holding base runners.
Holding base runners particularly.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And holding base runners this year has gotten tremendously better.
Yeah, I don't think it's really a
There's not a
shot.
word for it. It's gotten so much better.
I think just because of holding base runners, I'll add Matt Williams on field. I'll give him a C+.
C++.
Add a plus.
But it's,
And I will
I
say,
don't think it's a
aside
shot
from
you
the
can
first-
watch Ramos' stats for caught stealing, and it's like 2011, 48%, 2012, 2013, 28%, and then you get up 2014, 53%. It's like, oh, I wonder what happened in those 2 years.
It's gotten dramatically better.
Davey Johnson, when it came to base running, his players had the perpetual green light. And also Trent Williams probably wasn't a very good third base coach.
No.
Well, he's a good left tackle.
So,
Try to do it.
Not a good left tackle or third base coach.
But believe me,
Get
nobody's
it
riding
together,
third on
Coach.
Trent Williams. I'll tell you that much.
Run! Yes,
Bourbon.
I was saying Trent Williams would probably be a good third base coach because he'd send a guy and the guy would get caught at home. He'd like walk out to the outfield and it's like, the next time I send a guy on you, you better not throw him out. But yes, sir. Okay.
Dialogue. Great.
All right.
Great accent on that voice too.
Okay, so on field, we said C's?
Yeah.
C+. I think Ryan had something else before I interrupted on him about how specifically he was rating. Yeah, if you remember.
No, not at all. But, yeah, no, C-ish.
Okay, we'll go with C. Anything else? Do we need to break it up on?
Although I think you guys made a great point. He has made a dramatic difference in some of the holding the runners. And the defense, aside from the first 5 or 6 weeks when it was abominable, has actually gotten pretty good in the last
Well, and I think
whatever the rest of the weeks are from then. But
you notice the difference. There hasn't been in April and in May, especially in May, there are always reports of this guy's getting extra infield. This guy's getting extra infield. Haven't had any of that for like a month and a
because
half.
we're all
now.
fielding the ball.
And it's like, and I think
Except Zimmerman, we hear
maybe
every
he
day
hasn't,
saying
but I'd like to think that he kind of realized that wasn't helping, and that there's a difference between placing an emphasis on defense and just running guys ragged by like, well, if you field 1,000 more balls, hopefully you'll actually be good at this game.
I had a feeling, we talked about, was it Wiedemeyer?
Yeah.
Is that the defensive coordinator
I thought that was
they
you.
brought in?
that.
That they were going to have some growing pains when it came to learning that scheme as to where they're supposed to be for what guys. And, We can say that now because they've gotten better. And then if that continues, then, I mean, maybe that's the thing is that, hey, this is something new that they.
Well, I think whether or not it was 5 weeks of bad defense because of the change or not, it has gotten infinitely better.
It has.
And it should. I mean, this should be a good defensive team. That Zimmerman, particularly, is not at third base. I mean, up the middle, they should be really good. LaRoche is as good as you can find at first base. Rendon looks great at third base when he's right. So this team should be really good defensively. I mean, their outfield should be dynamic. I mean, I know Worth has got his issues, but Harper's got a cannon, and Span can get to a lot of stuff.
The one thing that does make me cringe every time is when Zim makes a good play at third base and everybody explodes with, the man can still play third base.
It's like nobody doubted that he can still do that.
I didn't doubt that he could. Stay here. Just don't get up here.
Just keep it at shoulder level. You don't need to get above your shoulder and throw the ball.
And it's just awful because you can see it because the way he does
You can hear it like the Tin Man. It's like,
when he's about to make a bad throw, it's a whole setup to it. You can see it coming the minute.
He has
He
too much
only
It's
does
a
it
Roche has
little
no time
slow.
because he sees the motion.
Yeah,
He's
and you
like,
saw it on that
oh
one.
shit, I gotta go get the catcher.
I think against the Orioles, where
Yeah.
he threw it way off and to the right, way loud. LaRoche was just standing there all ready for it. He's like, oh, I'm moving.
As soon as you come over the top, you're like, all right, I'm in the catcher.
It's like,
I'm off the bag. I'm ready to go.
I'm going to drop 2 Rookie of the Year references in one podcast. But it's like the first time we see Henry Rowengartner when he's about to throw it in the home run, and you see him go,
Yeah.
and it stretches. And unfortunately, he doesn't have the second part where it just flies through and comes 120 miles
Yeah,
per
the power
hour.
speed is now gone.
That's wrong. But it's that same kind of just like, very slow, here comes the ball. Now
It needs the
back
WD-40
and
as it's doing it. You can actually
And it's
hear
like-
it metal on metal.
So that's why I've always said it's more mental. It's mental and physical, but I think just when it's a bad throw, it's more mental because that's when he has time to think about how his arm hurts, and then he throws it wrong. But all those ones when he's like charging in and just flings it, and it's a perfect throw.
I mean, you guys
You
have
know
any
why?
fear of him grabbing a bunt and doing a sidearm play? I have zero fear of him.
Because I know
making that
he's never thinking about it. When he does that play, that's just natural. He does
play. But
it.
when it's a
I know that once he gets
third
in the dugout,
and
he's like,
Jose Molina is running, I'm scared to death.
oh yeah.
Because that ball's going anywhere but towards first base.
I'm just hoping he hits Molina in the head so he gets knocked out.
The
and can't
ricochet?
keep running.
Oh.
Well, actually, this year I've noticed he's doing stuff differently than he's done on the past on those ones where he has time, especially since he's come off or been moved back to third. He cuts across the infield a lot
Yeah.
more than he used to, just shortening the throw and doing stuff like that. And it's almost like, I noticed that when Alex Cora was on the Nationals, and I think that's sort of where I think Alex Cora actually taught Ian Desmond some stuff about playing shortstop. Because you saw before Alex Cora was here, that was when Ian Desmond was rushing every throw. He was, had to throw it 110 miles an hour over first, no matter how much time he had.
That's a great point. I never thought about that. That's a great point.
But with Alex Cora, every out would be with the guy, the runner's foot would be just about to touch the first base bag, then the ball would get there.
Yep.
And he's still out.
Yep.
And it's just sort of that whole, that maybe, Matt Williams, who played third base, went to Ryan Zimmerman and said, if you get a guy out by a step, he's still out.
Or 4 steps.
Right.
That's a great point. I never thought about that. That's a good point.
Well, and it's interesting because you'll see, if you went back and look at like 2020, 2011 Desmond, it's like he has the same range, and then he just gets it and he just flings it wherever he wants.
Have you guys
Like
ever
the
seen-
guy's already run past first, is turning around to run back to first, and he's throwing it.
He's the only guy that I've seen in the majors that looks like he's throwing the ball downward when he throws the ball to first base. Everybody else, it looks like you're trying to throw a stone rope. He looks like he's throwing it downward, and
Yeah,
it
but
works.
he still had air problems. But it's interesting when you saw that when the Orioles, when he made that just ridiculously stupid play, trying to get the guy at third, and it was like, whoa, why did Ian Desmond do that? It's like, have you seen previous Ian Desmond?
Yeah.
Because that's him.
I mean, he's always had the issue of errors of aggression.
Yeah.
That's what he's gotten better with in the
I
past
actually
couple of
think
years.
There wasn't that
where
long
you
ago
see
we
him-
thought he was going to have to move to center field.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, we forget, but it was 2012. We still thought he was going to have to move.
Right. I think that the whole reason he made that error against Nelson Cruz, it was Nelson Cruz running,
Right.
was that he didn't know how many outs there were. Because why would you even throw it to third unless you thought that you were just trying to get one
Yeah.
out?
Just
But
back
if
pick
you-
somebody. Yeah.
If you got the out at first, the inning's over, no run scored.
I'm with.
Okay, so we have a B/B plus for the bullpen, a D/D minus for player management off the field, and a C for player management on the field.
Yeah.
What is Matt Williams' grade overall for the first half of the year?
This will make no mathematical sense. This is going to make zero sense.
It's gonna be-
How do you explain this? I don't.
People are going to average that,
Yeah.
and they're going to be like, okay, so we have a 3.5,
Yeah,
we
right.
have a 1.
There's no 20% of this grade and 10% of this equals your grade. No.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a B just because they're tied for first. You know, I don't think he's been a great manager, but I mean, he's been good enough with the roster he's been given. He hasn't given up on the season. He's had no Yuneski Maya moment. You know, and so
Yeah.
I think that I mean, he had a chance to give up on the season in May. You know, that team was under 500. He could have just said, you know, I don't feel like.
Hey, we were in third place behind the Marlins.
Yeah.
This could have gone very differently the last 6 weeks or 4 weeks before we got healthy. You're exactly right.
Yeah, and so I think he had those opportunities to sort of just, you know, like call into the junkies and say he wants to kill himself. You know.
Well, if you were doing an 8 a.m. call with the Junkies, wouldn't you want to kill yourself too? I mean,
Yes.
it wouldn't exactly be the highlight of my week.
Well, I mean,
It's right in between Redskins talk and Redskins talk. So.
Hey, JP, can you fill me in on your Nats thoughts? They have a team? Thanks, JP. Next.
Whoa! Wow! You more than you knew last week.
Hot takes.
I mean, there is a saying.
ED, I like everybody that's good and hate everybody that sucks. Thanks, ED. Next.
I mean, there is a
Hey,
saying.
Lurch, I'm half asleep. There's the Junkies for you.
There is a saying in sports that when you
Yes, I
announce
just
your
love the shit out of
retirement,
you guys.
you're already
Yeah.
retired. So Davey Johnson may have very well have given up on the 2013 season
Kind of
before
like
it
the
began.
Junkies on their career.
Yeah.
Hey! Oh!
Thanks for setting me up.
So-
We didn't even have hand signals worked out for that one.
So Matt Williams in his first year has something to prove. So there is that.
So B.
I would say, and it's gonna be very specific, 79.49, and it's a C minus, C plus if he doesn't come see me. But if he comes into my office and begs for that .01, I'll give him a B plus, a B minus.
What do you mean by begs?
Well, okay, I mean begs. I don't know what you mean. You can do what you can
No,
do.
that's
Your
concerning.
whatever
I
you want.
You say you know what begs is. I'm just concerned by.
I want him to come say, I got this question slightly right. Can I have one extra point on the
begging
final?
involved here.
I want.
Well, I'm sorry, or-
I went to Jefferson. I went to the magnet school. I've seen this begging. It's awful. I hate all of those people. So, but that would be one of those things where it's like, if he really wants it to be a good grade, he can come in. I'll give him a B minus. Otherwise, it'll be a C plus. I think he's been right on that border. And as I alluded to when I was talking about the bullpen grade, the regular season's fun. I kind of care about it. I enjoy watching. I watch all the games. I really only give a shit about the playoffs, though.
Yeah.
And that's a completely different animal than the regular season is. And we got to see him there before I'm going to say
You're
how
very
much of a
different than
manager
me.
he is.
I care much more about the regular season than I do the playoffs,
Yeah.
just because the regular season lasts for 6 months. I'd rather have 6 months of enjoyment and then see them eliminated like in the first round. It's like, oh, that week sucked. But those 6 months were awesome.
Yeah, 2012 is never going to be bad for me. That year
Oh,
was
no.
so much fun. I don't care how we lost. I don't care that we lost. I mean, that year was.
No, and that's not, I don't mean like everything matters in the
Yeah,
playoffs,
the
but like,
championship is above everything else.
Yeah.
Believe
When
me,
you
I would
have
be
a very
so
good
drunk on Pennsylvania Avenue, probably with
Oh, yeah.
Buzz on his shoulders would be my guess, because he's not going to be on mine. So, but we will be partying
oh
hard.
yeah. It's like that, I know it's a very good team. It's like, I don't need to see them playing very well to know they're a very good team. I want to see them, I know they're going to make the playoffs. I want to see what they do once they get to the playoffs, because I think they could actually be a team that actually wins the title, which would be nice, because I've never seen one of those. I think the closest I've ever gotten was the Maryland basketball team in 2002, and that was only
He's
because
a
I...
Vodtech.
I
Hey, you're not from Maryland.
Well, but
Yeah, that
what-
can't
What
count.
has Va Tech won?
You just asked my question. Thanks. Now that's just every Twitter conversation. What is Vodtech one? Oh, yeah.
Fast fishing
Just
title.
boom.
You
just
not
put
anything.
yourself on
I've never
Twitter
seen
for
it. The
five
closest I've gotten was 2002 Maryland because my dad went there,
That's
and so I
not
followed them with him. But that really wasn't mine either. So I've never had a real title.
Okay, I have a valid
A
question.
title.
How old were you in 2002?
2002, I was 10. Actually, when they were winning the title, I was 9 still. My birthday came after that.
So-
I was 21.
And what month of 92 were you born?
June. So they won.
So you
They won the
made
Super Bowl in January 1992. 5 months later,
Whoa!
I was born,
Even
and nothing happened since. They better win.
You better start.
LeBron is back in Cleveland now. They better fucking win before Cleveland wins again.
You better.
I'm not being the last team to get one.
You need to get on the Maryland women's sports.
There you go. Yeah.
That may be getting you done.
Well, our women's soccer team at Virginia Tech made it all the way to the Final Four last year. So, hey, look at that.
I'm sure they're good looking.
They are.
Or you can become a DC United fan, retroactively
Oh, yeah.
winning their
Good
championship.
lord. Not that desperate.
All right.
God, I can't believe I'm going to be a high man in a group. I give him like a B+. I don't know how he's done it. It's a whole lot of magic and other words, but this team is tied for first, and they've had most of their team hurt, and they haven't played great baseball. Harper's barely played. I think it's a miracle, frankly, that they're where they are. I don't know how they're there necessarily, although I don't feel like anything's been particularly awful. But
Here's the funny thing about where they are record-wise. Look at their run differential. I believe it's still the best in the NL.
yeah.
Plus 50.
But I just mean in terms of, it doesn't feel like they've played, I mean, the pitching's been great.
Yeah.
But the hitting, we can go through every spot. It's like, they could be better, they could be better. And it's just,
Yes.
we look up, we've complained for a couple of hours. It's just amazing to me that we're in first place, or tied for first base, or first place.
Well,
where it
it's really funny.
And
We've complained a little bit, and then it's like comparative to most other people, we're being
Yeah.
like saints.
well, and I go into, we're healthy 1 through 25, assuming Zimmerman's not totally screwed up at this point. No other team in baseball is healthy 1 through 25 right now. So it's easier to stay healthy than to get healthy. So I think it's a miracle that we're where we are at this point. I mean, I know Atlanta's played over their head and whatever, but
Well, and I don't know how much people believe in projection systems, but if you do look at the Fangraphs projections right now, the best team winning percentage for the rest of the season is the Washington Nationals.
yeah, BP will say the same
And
thing.
BP says the same thing. 14-31, 566. Next best is the Dodgers, 10 points below them.
Wow.
And we have played a lot of our tough teams too.
Yeah,
I mean, now that you
yes.
think about it. I mean, we've got to face some lousy teams here in the next.
They're done
It's
with
like
the Cardinals.
they've been good, and they're going to be better.
We don't play Atlanta for a while.
It's
I
ridiculous.
mean, we get a lot of.
Oh, yeah.
I think we played the Dodgers already. I think we may get them a little bit again.
We have one series left.
But we've faced a lot. We should get a lot of garbage here in the next couple of months.
So, yeah, you can say I don't believe in
They get the
projection
Brewers.
And it could get worse.
Downhill.
If the Phillies sell,
Yeah.
if the Marlins sell, if the I mean,
Oh,
I know
yeah.
the teams in our division will say the same
Mets.
thing, but these teams could really sell and get a lot worse, as we've seen in the last few years too.
Mets could try
I mean,
and
the
dump
Mets
like
should sell
Granderson or
hard
something.
if they can. I mean, Daniel Murphy should be sold. If they can get
Granderson.
anything for Young, which they won't, they've got some bullpen arms that they could deal. I mean, they should sell. I mean, Nice could bring them back a nice piece if they
Yeah.
were willing to trade him.
Dylan G.
G
Dylan
would
G would be
probably
another.
something.
It'd be great to get him out of the division.
G would be one of those guys who'd be like, why are we
Nice
trading
would
for him?
be a-
Then you look at his stats and be like, oh, okay, I guess that's
Speaking of
fine.
which, Nice and Murphy to the Orioles, that would be a great trade for the Orioles.
That would be
Yeah.
And give them pitching back.
Dawson Bundy.
I mean, try to get Rodriguez and, Barry and another name, but that would be a good trade for both teams.
This is not the right time for that, but I do enjoy all the Orioles fans wanting to get like David Price and stuff. It's like, all right, you know who you have to trade.
But you're
for
not
that,
going to give
right?
up any of your three names. So, okay,
Dawson
start from there.
Bundy. No, I'm not trading them.
Or Harvey.
Or Harvey.
Harvey might be the best of the group.
Oh yeah.
In fact, I might say that on the podcast, Harvey might be the best of the three.
Yep.
Harvey's sick if you get a chance to see him watch.
Oh yeah. And it's just like, all right, I don't know how to get Price.
Yeah, no, what I find
He'll
funny
be in
about,
Frederick in about 2 weeks.
what I find funny about the Orioles is they always seem to have three really good pitching prospects.
And they screw it up.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Arrieta is succeeding with the Cubs, which actually is funnier. But they had,
And I called that for so many years.
they
And
had,
the one they hated the most was Tillman, who
Right.
actually pitched for them. Yeah.
and then they had Britton and two other guys.
Well, Britton's now become a closer
Yeah.
or a reliever, but yeah.
It was Arrieta, Madison, Tillman. Those were the three. There was Britton and two other guys. And
Ferguson.
yeah,
He had a chance. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean back before. I mean, I remember when it was
And before that, it was
Adam
Ben
Owen.
McDonald, and it was, these names. I mean, they've had pitching for
Yeah.
a long time, and it hadn't worked.
right. They always seem to have like pitching prospects. Just kind of like
It just feels like this group is better than what they've had before,
but
pedigree-wise and talent-wise.
they've screwed it up before.
I don't. And you're 100% right with that.
Gosman.
Oh, it was Daniel Cabrera, Rodrigo Lopez, and Bruce Chen.
D-Cab! That's my boy right there.
D-Cab is your boy?
Oh.
You got him. Let me tell you, you own him.
Former national.
Yeah, that was a fun era.
I think, whenever we're confronted, because, it doesn't happen to him. But I know that sometimes when I'm, watching a game and I just will tweet something like, oh, God, this shit again, or something like that, people will be like, are you a real fan, or something like that. I should have been like, listen, son, I watch Mike fucking Bassett pitch.
Yeah.
But you want to say that I'm not a real fan? I was there when goddamn Jason Simon Tachi was getting bombed by the
Hey, I remember
Detroit
when
Tigers.
Marlon Anderson batted cleanup for this team. I was there.
Woo! Oh, I was excited to go to the debut of Adelano.
Oh, yeah.
I was
We
like,
got him for Darryl Ward
Yeah,
from
well-
Atlanta.
Now I have to ask: are there
Which was
worse
still a good trade.
arguments than "I'm a better fan"?
Yeah, no.
No,
it's
not.
the most
That's the
meaningless.
worst.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Yeah.
It's actually the most meaningless, unnecessary,
Yeah.
time-wasting. Well, maybe
That's
second
one.
two. We're going to take David Price for our crap. I mean, that might be the second biggest waste.
But there's an addendum to the "we're a better fan than you," which is the Baltimore Oriole fan, when confronted with the Washington National fan, and says, "You were all Orioles fans before. I can't believe you sold out on the Orioles and became Nationals fans."
But wait, let's be honest. We're all hardcore fans at this table.
Yes.
You find each other.
Oh,
And you avoid those that are not hardcore fans. We
No.
find each other, whether it's
Yeah.
on Twitter, you find each other. It's okay that you're not a hardcore fan, or whatever hardcore is. You don't watch every game,
Yeah.
you don't do a podcast, whatever you want to call hardcore, but it's still crazy to be like, I don't care how big a fan you are. Did you pay your ticket price when you're cheering for the Nationals?
Yeah.
Great! Hey, let's have a beer.
All
I don't
ask-
care. I mean,
that's what
I
I'm
could care less.
People get mad at
Now, if you show
bandwagon fans, and it's like,
How are
okay,
they
I
pay the money.
understand.
They
How
pay
the hell are we going to get fans? We didn't have fans. We didn't have a team for
Yeah.
33 years. We got to get people that, people are going to show up and not know what the infield fly rule is. Okay, explain it to them in 8 seconds.
Yeah.
Hey, you got a fan, great. Maybe they read Nats GM. Maybe they read Citizens and Nats now. Great.
Now,
Now
if
they're
you're
a fan, now they're
stupid
on
and a
board.
dick, then I don't like you. But for the most part, I just,
Well, I don't like
Can
you
you
in
imagine?
general if you're that
Yes.
comment, but yeah.
if you have bandwagon
And that's
fans, I
just for
don't
about 90%
understand.
of people, but yes.
And I get it. It's like you feel like you were with them for the shit stuff, and now these people are just coming out of nowhere when it's actually good. It's like, but I was my favorite when Wizards people were upset that the city wasn't getting behind the Wizards, and then they were tweet. Oh, and they said there was that one photo where it's like, if you didn't watch Gilbert Arenas in that big three, you didn't suffer by watching Swaggy P and Pierre, then you can't cheer for Beal, Porter, and John Wall. And they did that, and then you got all these tweets from the same people going, how did we not sell out Verizon Center during the playoff game? It's like, I don't know. Maybe because you told them to fuck off.
Right. Well, that's a good point, too.
Although
Does
I
it
will
matter
say-
that, so-and-so Joe Newcomer thinks,
Yeah.
okay, you're not a hardcore fan? Everybody around this table knows you're a hardcore fan. Like, who cares? Like,
Yeah.
I do have
You
to
know.
say though, I find myself when the park is particularly crowded and trying to get around, I'm like, fuck, I like this place better when you're bad.
Yeah, it's like a Dwight Schrute.
hey, I hate crowds. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
But I think, I
Hey,
realize.
I liked Blue Jacket before everybody knew about it, too. Now I can't get in there. Yeah, it's a problem.
I think
Of course, I don't want to pay $9 for a beer either. That's another issue.
when they were bad, when they were so bad. I was thinking about this when they were playing the Cubs, because whenever they play the Cubs at Nationals Park, I always think of Will Nieves, and his walk-off home run.
Who?
and
Come on! What was the bit of blocking is up better than that? And that one guy with the awful-looking mustache. Jesus.
I see him at the game. I see him at the game every game.
He like stole Luigi's mustache from Mario and Luigi.
But,
Like, it was great.
but I think that was
It was very thick, though.
that was a genuinely really exciting moment in a season that didn't have very many.
Yeah.
And I think it was just sort of, with the Nationals now, they win more games than they lose, and when they lose, it's a big disappointment.
Yeah.
When they win, you're just like, they won. But, back then when they won, it was like, holy crap, we won a game!
We beat the Phillies!
But see, that's the difference.
Whoa!
I still get fired up for wins. I really do still, particularly good wins. Like the one the other night when we came back and won against the Orioles and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I still genuinely get excited about a win in June, which may be why I can still tolerate 162 games.
Yeah.
But
No,
if you
I
don't
can't
get
imagine-
excited for wins, I mean, I can blow off losses.
What
like
was
it's-
that? This is your house.
I'm trying to figure that out. I have no idea.
Was that like... Oh,
It's a ghost.
I have no idea.
But
Okay.
The Vulture Shark is finally real?
I'm pulling us back to where we were.
Where
Where
were
was
we?
that?
Matt Williams. I give him a C, a flat C.
I guess some
Oh, right, we didn't let you grade him.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, TJ.
No,
Sometimes I forget you're a real person.
He hasn't been
well,
great,
in fact,
and
the
he
Buzz
hasn't
is just
been
taking
bad.
straight pulls of bourbon.
Well, let's be honest, he just finished half a glass of bourbon.
Alright,
There was
we're
at
going...
least ice in it. I mean,
I
you know,
was staying
made
after
it
like
look a little
15
better.
minutes and letting him get on the road ahead of me. Then I will drive home.
Actually, can you be behind me for 15 minutes? I think prefer that.
Either one.
Give me a little head start on the Buzz.
Okay,
I mean, you've done a hell of a job on that corn muffin. You got more of it on the table
Yeah,
than you do
I'm
actually
just
in your mouth.
playing.
Oh, it's like barely on camera.
Cornbread.
okay, so we answered most of the questions, but I'm just gonna let you guys.
Josh Owens has got to have a question. Manchild's got to be listening. He's got a question.
There were, but we've covered most of them already. So the one question that I'm gonna go get some more water, and then
Oh,
you guys are
going to
gonna
have
answer.
some prospect talk. I lost Sean. You left me.
You had it at the beginning a little
Yeah.
bit, and then we kind of walked away, unfortunately.
So here's the question. What are you doing, Ted?
I don't know how to make this thing stop.
Trying to decide what
Adam
he wants to
LaRoche is
call.
calling him.
No.
The question is, why isn't Bryce Harper hitting 8? This seems like logic.
That seems like terrible logic. I don't like that logic.
All
Well,
right,
it
massive
seems like
commenter. I
Who
love the
is
fact
it?
that you even found us. That's great.
Fuck you.
Bryce Harper's numbers since coming off the DL
No.
aren't good.
It's Span
Jesus.
in the 8th hole, right?
Yes, Span should be in the eighth hole.
Correct.
If I was making the lineup and I had absolute power and the veterans would
Now this is a good tangent. Let's
like
do this.
no
Yeah.
one could
Everybody's
say no to me.
healthy. Let's
Fuck
do
your
this. What's
question.
lineup?
We're giving
Yeah,
a good
fuck
answer.
that question. Yeah.
No one could actually say no to me. They couldn't say, I don't want to do that. No.
Yeah, you're Rizzo, you're Matt Williams,
Right.
you're God in this scenario.
Right.
Yes.
Jason Worth is first. Bryce Harper is second. Ryan Zimmerman is third. Then LaRoche, Ramos, Desmond.
There's so many
Ramos,
you're missing.
Rendon, Desmond, Span.
Yeah, I think I have Rendon batting 5 in that scenario, but I'm with you.
Yeah.
The first 3 are the same. Yes, absolutely. It's Worth,
I don't-
Harper, Zimmerman. Then the next 3 you can put a lot of work.
Yeah, I don't really care who just those top three.
It's LaRoche,
Yeah.
Rendon, and Desmond in some order, and then Ramos.
Yeah.
And then we got Span.
Yeah.
That and 8. So you figure out how you want 4 through 7. You can
Actually,
figure it out.
I think I might put Ramos ahead of this.
I might too.
I would too. Just
He
his
really
own base
hunt.
percentage.
I mean, I know that RBIs is this thing like, oh, you know, blah. He hunts RBIs. He really does
Oh, yeah.
somehow. There is a knack for him to drive and runs.
Well, I think
He does a nice job. Man on third, 1 out. He's hitting a 12 hopper in second to get the man in. I mean,
Yep.
there are some guys that just collect RBIs like baseball cards like that. I think he's one of those guys.
Well, I think there are RBI hitters. I think there's something's going to come out in the future in advanced stats that's going to prove this. But you go back and you look at the Brewers before
Even if it's a ratio of driving
Right.
runners in. Right.
Yeah, you go back and you look at the Brewers the year before they went to the playoffs. They had a really bad lineup. They had a terrible lineup. And somehow Prince Fielder had like 150 RBIs.
Well, even so, even this
Just
year,
like-
we're seeing that Stanton's still putting up huge numbers, and he's got Casey McGee protecting him.
Right.
I mean,
His
you can
name
still
was
put up.
Casey McGee. Sorry. I do that every time. That and Jake McGee. It's from the
I read that
Simpsons.
Jake McGee.
Yes. The Simpsons episode where Homer gives up beer and he's reminiscing on the first time he ever had a beer. He had a fake ID. His name was Brian McGee. So I always think if that was anybody listening.
Mine was Chris
McGee.
Brown when I was 27. I was also 19 at the time.
I actually never had it.
So it was so far out of the range that no bartender actually questioned it, or no bouncer ever. But they were like, 27? All right, if you're copping to this, all right.
Well, I actually had like reading glasses, and I'd put on the reading glasses, and I'd go
Oh,
in,
you're done.
and I'd buy like I'd get like the beer, and then
You could have gotten Social Security
Right.
shit at that point.
And then I
you
just-
got bifocals.
I pull like they they'd be like, "Do you have your ID?" I'm like, "I left it in the car. You really want to make me go out and get it?" And I'm like, "Nah, we know you."
We know you.
I'm like,
That's
"All right,
the ultimate
you know me."
hit. We're just making this sale. We know you.
I had one friend at Tech who was like, got a fake ID like the minute he got down there, and he went to every bar every night. All the bartenders knew.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, and then he turned 21 and tried to go with them with
Yeah.
his real ID, and they were just like,
Yeah, who are
"You
you?
shitting me right now?"
Yo, wait a minute, I know you.
All of them gave him like a 5-minute lecture about what he did, and it was like, "I find guilty now."
Yeah, I knew you was James. What the hell is this?
Whoa!
All right, let's wrap this up. Let's get some final thoughts on that.
Right.
Are there actually enough people here to
Wait,
do final thoughts?
Oh, we always do fun.
It's me first on the final thoughts.
Hey, you're to my right.
Oh well. I think.
Wait, you could put a veteran move. Coach, I don't think I should give my final thoughts.
Yeah, you could pull.
I refuse to
You can
bat
pull a
first.
Jason Worth right here and just tap out.
Worth.
You know what? I'm staying in right field, batting third.
He's batting third. Try someone else next time, Coach.
Yeah, kick Harper to the bench.
So my final thought
As he was going for another sip of bourbon straight out of the bottle.
I'll do that after I get my final thought. But this is really good bourbon. Nice smooth.
In fact, I kind of want to hear him go another shot of bourbon and then hear the diatribe. Let's do some dead air. I just kind of want to hear that. I want to hear this. That was a solid swig for everybody that can't watch or is not watching on the live stream. That was not an amateur sip.
No.
That was definitely a Bryce Hart girl.
That wasn't like, oh, well, if you insist, I'll have a little bit of bourbon.
Yeah, that was
all right. Let's do this.
That wasn't a naked mouth walk. That was definitely a Bryce Harper home run from last night.
My final thought is that the Nationals have been better than a lot of people realize they've been. You
Oh, that was my
listen to
final
people, you read internet comments, and it's just how disappointing the team is. And I think people are really just disappointed that they haven't won a World Series yet this season. Which I don't know if people know this or not, but the World Series is played in October every year. And that just hasn't changed for quite a long time.
Long from now.
I mean, the Redskins played that.
Yeah.
But the Redskins start.
Wait a minute, we can't say
season
Redskins
ends.
on this podcast, sorry.
Oh,
The
yeah, you'll have to put in.
Pigskins.
I'll
Sorry.
record it for you, and you can put it in at the beginning. We'll have to give a warning for people that there's a racial slur in this podcast.
And everybody will be looking for a much different racial slur.
Oh,
I was actually.
Wait a minute, where's the slur? Oh, you said Redskins 100 times. Oh, no. Where's the slur? Yeah.
Fair.
D-E-N-A-R-T, Stan.
But I just think that the Nationals. I bet you could go into a sports bar. I actually wish I had.
Sports farm? I would go there.
I wish I actually had more kind of. I was more shameless because I would go into a sports bar and I would turn on my phone to record, and I would just ask people, "Are the Nats a winning team this year?" And I would bet more people would say no. They'd
Wait,
say yes.
I'm doing this.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I just thought.
Take
I
that
thought
microphone. That's a good microphone for this.
Don't
Just
just
get
the
a
phone.
No.
Just you got it.
Yeah, just get somebody with a camera with a big microphone like that. Anybody will think this is a real thing.
With the
It's
red
like,
chain.
hello, sir.
Yeah, I have that
Question
too,
here.
so that's key.
Yeah, it's a man on the street. How do you think the Nats are doing this year? You know?
They're terrible. I bet you get that more than you would, that they're tied for first.
What
They're
place
pretty
do you think the Nationals are in right now?
Third?
Yeah.
I heard the Orioles have a team.
I think that people are actually genuinely going to be surprised when they look up and the Nationals are in the playoffs at the end of the season because I think they're going to outlast the Braves. I think they're just a better team.
And I think you make a good point. The media has not treated this team necessarily in the most positive light. I mean, they are, tied for first or whatever it is, half game back, whatever we are. I mean, we feel like we focused on Harper hurt, this problem, this guy having this. To your point,
Well, it's been
it is amazing. You look up and you're like, hey, shoot, we're actually tied for first or whatever it is, and this team's healthy now, and we're playing good baseball. And
it's funny because I think it's a backwards years for columnists because Boswell keeps going negative, and then I read a couple weeks ago Jason Reed wrote about the Nats, and it was positive. It's like, look how much they've overcome. I know, it was scary.
And it wasn't about the Redskins?
Yeah, and it was like they're positive. Look how much they've overcome. Like, look at the Rockies. They had some similar injuries. They went in the tank. the Nationals had injuries. Obviously they didn't do as best as they could, but they still kept in it. And now they're doing well. And then you read Boswell, and it's like, fuck this team.
Right.
They all
Harper's
suck.
the devil.
And I think that's why kind of nobody reads Jason Reed. Everybody reads Thomas Boswell, and I think that's. And the beat reporters play it straight because that's what they're supposed to do. Although you can sort of see Kilgore starting to crack on that.
Zim the same.
Zuckerman is always cracked. Zuckerman hates
But
everyone.
he can be. But he's allowed it.
Yes,
He's got a little bit more of a platform.
It's like Zuckerman, the worst moment of Zuckerman's life was when Twitter became mandatory for sports writers.
Yeah.
Because he hates it. And Kilgore,
It just made
you can
his
tell
job
Kilgore
about
doesn't like
another
it, but
hour
Kilgore
longer
just
every
like
day.
he just laughs at people being stupid to him. But you
I mean,
can tell
Zuckerman
he's
is-
starting to crack on it too when people are getting negative, and he's getting like, "Oh man, he did really well there, by the way, guys. Did you notice that?"
Zuckerman's
Anyone
by
wanna
far
do
the
this?
best that we've got. Though.
Oh, he's fine.
By far the best that we've got.
I still think we have a pretty good crop of.
We do. We're very fortunate.
We don't
in
have
this market.
anybody who very much just. Even Boswell.
It's actually a
doesn't
shame because
intentionally
Kovac,
troll.
she was terrific.
Oh, yeah.
She's not covering the team. I guess she is for the team, but not.
Yeah,
the
but no,
Dodgers.
we
She
don't
was
have any of
terrific.
those. We don't have anybody who makes it his mission to troll the fan base with stupid
Like
shit.
Philly or
Yeah.
St. Louis.
Kilgore's getting there a little bit.
But it's in like a positive way. It's not
I'm
like
just kidding, Adam. It was a joke. I know you're not listening to hour 3 of this podcast, but
we'll
it was a
we'll
joke.
cut that snippet and send it over to him.
But
Did you hear this?
when Jordan Zimmerman left the mound last
Look, if you
night,
think my ex-girlfriend hates me, Kilgore might hate me worse. It's okay.
when Jordan Zimmerman left the mound last night, people were like, "Oh my God, what are they going to do? This is the nightmare scenario. If they lose Jordan, if he's
Oh,
out,
try him.
I mean, if he's out for the entire year, okay, let's just say it is the worst case scenario. His UCL is completely blown. He needs a second Tommy John surgery. Well, guess what? Nats will call it the number 2 prospect in the system.
Yeah, see, the real problem is it hurts him long term more than it does even.
Right.
I mean, short term it hurts him, but it really hurts him if you want to trade him this offseason
Right, yes.
before he goes into
Yeah.
and everything else. No, you're
Right.
right.
I
Of
mean,
course, somebody's thinking about that.
and so
They're only thinking about, we're losing one really good starting pitcher. I know. The game is done. We're over.
Frame the playoffs.
No.
I mean, still, with those 3, it would be Strasburg, Gio, and Fister.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of teams that could
Everybody
kill
else
for
is
that.
free.
And Roark is still crushing
It's like
ice. I mean,
You seen the Giants rotation? Have you seen the Dodgers beyond the first 2? Well, probably was
Or
not
the
quite
Braves
as good.
rotation?
You seen the Braves rotation? Holy crap, that team is
Yeah.
terrible.
Look at the Cardinals rotation.
That's not good either. Especially once they lost Waka, Garcia's gone again.
Shelby Miller has
Shelby Miller is
that's a great point. Jaime Garcia is in and out, more out than in.
Yeah, I think the only one you could say
Wainwright's
they only
ace.
took 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
But
they have an ace.
We have
the
Strasburg
Giants
too.
have an ace. And it's like the Nats have Strasburg. Now let's go to 2 and 3. Well, now the Braves, Cardinals, Giants out.
now the Giants make me a little shook though, because if you can throw Lincecum as your 3 or 4, and he can put together a no-hitter on you,
He has
Lincecum, I would
where-
say-
and he's your 3 or your 4,
Lincecum
it makes you a little nervous.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying. But Kane's been a disaster.
Oh yeah.
Baumgartner's awesome, but
Go more hockey talk, but Lincecum is the guy who would scare you as one of those like goalies who will get hot in
Yeah.
playoffs, where it's like this guy sucks forever, but
And
for
it
this-
isn't even year.
a couple of
Don't forget
games.
that.
Yeah, it's like for 28 games, he just did amazingly for
Do
some
you know?
reason.
Do you know who he is? He's Barry Zito.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just a ridiculous.
In the couple, in what was it, 2 years ago?
I
Yeah.
can see that.
This is terrible. It was terrible
Man,
for
Lincecum
years
would be
leading up to
I
it.
mean, and he could be a real asset in middle relief from like 5 to 7 or 6 to 8 in those series.
Yeah, and that's,
He could be a real.
If the
I mean,
No,
Giants,
I
Wall's
agree.
been
That
calling
is-
him
that is
to
a
be a
serious
120
guy.
reliever for a long time, and he may be right. I mean, that may
if the Giants win the World Series this year, I'm going to go ahead and bet everything I own in 2016 that they're winning.
yeah.
remember, bet everything you own in 2017 that the Astros will win the
Oh,
World
right,
Series,
yeah.
because it has been preordained.
Yeah.
All right, O'Hara.
Final thought.
That was a long ass final thought.
Yeah, we kind of took over it.
Yeah. Went up on a run.
My final thought, I've kind of already said. I'm going to take the first part of Huzzard's final thought was that this is a good team, and then I'll take the second part, which is that they're going to be even better going forward. It's not exactly the boldest prediction in the world when you say, oh, instead of playing Nate McLeod and Kevin Franzen and Greg Dobbs and Tyler Moore,
They'll play Bryce Harper.
we're gonna play Bryce Harper and Bryce Harper and
I do that.
Bryce Harper. So that I think it's not hard to say they're gonna be better. I think Jordan Zimmerman. Maybe we know now. I've been trying to follow Twitter. I haven't noticed anything about it yet.
Kilgore had a thing where he talked to him today.
Yeah.
It didn't have anything on an MRI, but as far as how he was feeling today, said he was feeling fine today, that he doesn't think it's a big deal.
Okay. And it could
It
end
is great that it's the front part of the arm rather than the back part.
And it could end up being the same kind of thing with Gio, where they just kind of take him off for 15 days because it's the middle of the season. And
You call it inflammation and it's something
and then
else,
you just
but
bring
yeah.
You do it now and he's going to miss a start.
Oh yeah.
I mean, not even
Even
if
if
you
you
go
use your
into the
example of a month, he misses 5 starts because of the All-Star game.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 starts
I
is a
think
big deal, but it's not
a
a
5 stars.
or Taylor Jordan or
It's not a season-breaking stretch.
exactly right.
Let's look at something here.
So it's like that. Losing Jordan Zimmerman isn't gonna kill
Hey, you
him.
could
Even
bluff
if he's gone for the
Detweiler
year.
for 5 starts and you're gonna not get crushed. I mean, that's
No, and even if he's gone for
it's
the
that
year.
number of like 8 to more is when you start getting into that could actually affect things.
They have 4 ridiculously good starters. 1 shockingly good starter who is doing really well for the role he is on the team. If you move him up to 4, he's going to be a little bit closer to an average starter. But he's still not going to kill you in Roark. You're still going to have Fister, Strasburg, Gonzalez. And, I mean, that 5th guy, Trinan has already shown he can do well. You know, A.J. Cole's very hot prospect. He's very close. Taylor Jordan was up here before.
If you
And
get
if
into a
you
playoff
don't-
series and you're throwing Detweiler or Roark as your 2 middle relievers, I mean that's
That's
very
crazy.
interesting.
And it's like, and if you really don't trust those guys, it's a fairly robust market at the top, which means you can slide in at that bottom and get, you know, kind of lesser. Who you're talking about? PV. Who you're talking about with
I
the
think
Orioles?
AJ
Burnett from the Phillies.
fits perfect.
And it's like a John Neese from the Mets. Somebody like that who's just like, the team won't want him. You're not going to pay that much for him.
Be available.
And you're not going to have to give up much for him. And just slot him in there, back to fine again.
So as I'm looking at the math right here, if you basically put whoever's coming in as the 5 when you come out of the All-Star break,
And you
they
can put-
face the Rockies
But you don't even need a starting pitcher.
at home or on the road,
On the moon.
Yes.
which maybe even I'm not sure that's a difference, frankly.
Right.
I mean, you're on the moon, like you said.
Yeah.
I mean, you're throwing whoever. Trinan's probably your best option just for grounders.
The next start, which would be the Marlins at
Yeah.
Miami,
So you can throw almost anybody there because that park is enormous.
if this wants to get that, versus the Phillies.
Okay, there could be a disaster, but there's a disaster for almost anybody. So
No, versus the Phillies. Here.
oh, here, okay,
Versus the Mets.
here,
Mhm.
okay.
And then basically the month point is at the Mets is where they would come up again.
Which would even be a great. The
Right.
truth is, sitting him down for 5 starts doesn't sound that brutal.
No,
I mean, you know, we're picking the spots, but
I'm doing essentially 5
Right,
days.
but-
so.
That's not the best case, that's not the worst case scenario.
3 Rookie of the Year reference drops. Henry Rowengartner threw the first pitch out for the Cubs today.
Okay.
Boom!
All right.
And we've hit the
Wow.
trifecta.
But,
Okay, go ahead.
but sort of like
he's
losing,
never hit the trifecta.
losing Zimmerman for a month is sort of the middle case scenario.
Yeah,
It's bicep tendonitis. It's where it wasn't the MRI reveals something, but that you know,
hey, we're hoping for inflammation
right. I mean,
and
where,
no injury.
where it was just a,
before the game or after?
Probably before. But right about when they go on the air would be my guess.
so if it was just a cramp, you know, you just get a massage, you know, get a happy ending, and you're back on the mat.
Can I just hit the happy
Whoa!
Just cut right to the chase. I didn't hurt my bicep, but yeah, sounds kind of nice. Sorry, honey.
Okay, you know she's not listening at this point.
Yeah, she's not listening at all.
Just turn it on. Okay, fuck this.
Yeah.
Oh, you have interest?
Who is that?
Don't care.
I would have heard of that ass.
All right. Ryan, you're up.
Ooh, final thoughts. This is tough. I think final thought for me would just be, and I'm completely piggybacking off of the Huzz, but this team is a lot better, I think, than we all treat it as. This is a good team, and we're healthy 1 through 25. I know Zimmerman's got an issue. I know Desmond got hit on the palm the other night, but it's a lot easier to stay healthy than to get healthy. And this team could really run off a crazy second half if they can stay quasi-healthy. And we're assuming Zimmerman doesn't have any crazy injury. But I'm just really kind of optimistic and looking forward to the second half. I think this team they're going to make a trade. They're going to get better. I don't know that Atlanta's going to get necessarily better. The rest of the division should get, depreciated or, decline as the season goes on. I think this could be maybe not a special regular season, but this team could have a very special season in it, and it's trending towards, if they can stay healthy, this could be a very powerful team come September, and you just don't ever see it where you're actually healthy midway through the year. So, I mean, sure, a lot of shit can happen the rest of the season, the way to go, but this team has a real chance to really do something, whether it's make it to the playoffs, win playoff games, or whatever. This team has a real chance.
Well, here's the big thing with the record. It's a good record as it is. The longest win streak is 5 games. That's a decent win streak. But I think every team has within them that 6 or 7 or 8 game win streak. Right, the 2009 Nationals had 2 9-game winning streaks.
Yeah, didn't they finish the season with a 10-game win streak or 9? It was something crazy.
It was
or something.
7, yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Justin Maxwell hit a grand slam.
Yeah,
That was the greatest. That was the greatest. I was watching the game. It was a day game. Yeah.
So
Shane Max.
Yeah, every team has within that
Omaha treatment.
That time when sort of everything is going to click into place. Every player will be hot. Every pitcher will be hot, and that has not happened once this season for the Nationals.
No.
And they've still performed very well. And sort of when that happens, it's just going to be like, oh. And then that's sort
They're consistent.
Yeah, people will be like very happy when that happens, but that too won't last. But it's going to sort of be, it's much better to get a 9-game win streak when you're already, 7, 8 games over 500 than when you're like sort of, 5 games below 500.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a great point too. Is Atlanta's played great baseball the last 2.5, 3 weeks, and they haven't made up any ground on us. In fact,
that was one of the things we completely forgot to talk about. It was like Atlanta just had their 9-game winning streak, and they gained half a game on the Nationals.
I'd be okay if the Nats started their hot streak in about 2.5 months.
Right. Just give them lots of hope, and then just take it away.
And in some ways, last year, that's almost what they did. They were playing as good a baseball, if not better baseball, than everybody else in September.
Yep.
So they really were primed if we could get in.
But they couldn't get in.
And and you got to get in to play. But they were the hottest team, I think, in the second half of the year last year. Certainly the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever it is. So. No, you're right. I mean, you got to get hot at the right time too, and that's why baseball's so goofy. You can be the best team for 6 months, and then you have 1 or 2 bad starts from one pitcher, and you're out of the playoffs.
I saw this column a while ago of if the World Series was still played by the original rules, where the best team in the AL plays the best team in the NL, all but 1 or 2 World Series now would have been different. You would have had 2009, I think, Yankees, Phillies. That would have been the same. And then last year it was the
St. Louis may not have gotten in a couple of years ago.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, it was just, if you had the 2 best records in the leagues, you'd have 2 World Series in the last 10. That would have been the same. It would have been the Nationals versus the Yankees in 2012.
Yeah. We beat that team.
Yeah. Neither team was in the World Series.
Like I have any definitive opinion. Yeah, we beat that team. Yeah, we beat that team. Yeah.
Yeah.
We do beat that Yankee team, I think, in 7 games.
All right, you guys have hammered it home pretty well. This team is pretty good.
Yeah, for all the stuff they can complain about, this team is pretty good.
Yeah. So I'm just going to leave it with something dumb. During this recording, we got a tweet. Nats fans, do not watch or buy any All-Star gear until a Nashville player is put in the game. boycott.
Oh, I
Is that
thought it was
boycott or hashtag boycott?
No, actually, it's just put in the game boycott.
See, I'm actually disappointed that it had nothing to do with like get rid of Sullivan or like there was none of that. That's a little disappointing.
No, just hey, don't watch anything. Which
Okay, let me ask the question: how much of the All-Star game and the All-Star festivities will you guys watch?
the home run derby.
I always watch.
I usually watch it with the sound off because I don't like it.
Back.
Which we also need to talk about. Are we live streaming that again this year?
Did we live stream it last year?
Yeah.
You
I
did?
don't remember that.
Yes.
Because I'd love to give it a cheap plug. I'll be tweeting and live tweeting the Futures game tomorrow.
Of course you would be.
Sweet.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? Yeah, of course. But that'll be all I'll watch at the All-Star game. I'll watch the Futures game. I won't watch 1 second of Monday through Wednesday.
You see, you always say it.
But I do that. But I do that with
Oh,
hey, I need to get back in with the wife, which is always a strong move. Hey, honey, I need to take 3 days off and really get reacquainted with you. Of course, there's no baseball, and she hadn't picked up on that, and now we're in year 5. But yeah.
But see, you always say it on like the Saturday before it happens, and you have all these live baseball, and you're watching it every day, and you're like, oh no, I don't care about the All-Star game. It's stupid. It's an exhibition. I'll just pick up once I come back. You get to Tuesday, and you haven't seen real baseball in 2 days. You're watching that All-Star game.
And shoot, I'll be in Potomac watching prospects. Come on, man. That's what you got to do.
Could do that too.
That's true.
Although the only reason I'm watching the home run derby this year,
Stanton.
Giancarlo Stanton is going to fucking murder baseball.
Now here's
Yeah, that's also just called BP when he's in town. But yeah.
Abreu didn't do it.
what,
Imagine how perfect that would be.
I look at the names of the All-Star derby. The home
Now
run
think
derby.
about Stanton versus
Abreu.
Cespedes.
Oh, worse suspense.
So Suspendus is there.
And
standing.
My
it
word
has
from
to-
Cespedes family
It
party
has to
too.
be AL versus NL this year.
Yep. Oh,
So
I like
that's-
that. I really like the new
that's a-
format.
that's a great
I'm really
format.
excited for
I mean,
that.
but you look at the names. Troy Tulowitzki, not a slugger. You
He's
have,
a home run hitter, but he's not a slug.
he's not a slugger. Those guys don't do. I
The
remember
same kind of
Albert,
thing as Trout last year.
Yeah.
I remember Albert Pujols in one of them. All he did was hit doubles in the whole entire home run derby. No, it's gonna go over the wall, Albert.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, Albert's like, I'm gonna
You're not
kill some
hitting
boys
the
and girls
premise,
club
Albert.
members
Yeah.
right here.
You know you can hit. Yeah, we got it. You can rake doubles, particularly on 88-mile-an-hour fastballs. Yeah, we got it.
Okay, I'm fine because Brandon Inge is in the home run.
Right.
this year.
Adam
So
Jones.
it's done a lot
Fringe.
better.
Yeah.
If I have a pick for a guy that's gonna come with 0, it's gonna be Adam Jones.
Yeah.
I'm so disappointed.
But he'll pull jerk one over the left field wall just because he'll step so far in the bucket it'll stay
Okay,
there.
so here's the one question I have. Why Jones over Cruz? What's
Cruz
the real?
declined.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was the answer
Well,
you
I
were
was-
looking for.
Orioles
Well-
magic is what we're
Orioles
doing.
magic.
Yeah, that's more.
I know that's what you were looking for, yes.
Well, more just
They wouldn't invite him because of it.
the captain. You know, when they're like, that's when they get on their fucking high horse of, yeah, we're going to show you, you're not going to be in the home run derby. It's like, okay.
Yeah, that's crushing. I don't need to put through a whole other night's worth of effort and I still get paid the same.
I'm just going to go cry on this pile of money.
I'm just disappointed.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit here and do nothing and love it.
I think Brian Dozier's in the home run derby. I know he's hit a lot of home
Former
runs.
Bethesda Big Train member.
Yeah, well,
absolutely.
Because Jose Bautista doesn't want to get booed by all the Twins
Right,
fans
but I
like
mean-
Robinson Cano
Yeah.
by the Royals.
But I mean, really,
Which was kind of awesome.
That was hilarious, but
It
honestly,
actually was the peak.
and he just won the year before with like a lot of home runs, and then he got 0 that year. I think that might have affected him a little bit.
But, I mean, is Brian Dozier really like a classic slugger?
No.
I mean, geez.
But it just shows there are too many guys.
Right.
hitting.
That's
Yeah.
I don't know. I was
And I like Dozier. I mean, like I said, he's a big train guy.
Yeah.
That's disappointing because Jones is great at the home run derby because he always seems to show up like during while the guys are just
The
like.
truth, he's probably a pretty good home run guy.
Oh yeah, but I just really enjoy him just eating the food that they get there in the view of the camera. That like, I think that was my favorite part of the 2012 home run derby was just when they in the Kansas City they had the ribs there that they like Kansas City had brought out for the broadcasters and they had like tokenly grabbed a couple and ate them and then had put them to the side. And so Adam Jones just walks up to the ribs and just
takes them.
eats them. He's
Yeah.
just standing right there. Man, it's like, hey Adam, how's it going? Eating the rib.
So I'm going to list off the names here. How many do you actually think had a chance of winning this? Bautista, Jones, Dozier, Cespedes, Donaldson, Tulowitzki, Stanton, Quaid, Frazier, and Morneau.
4.
Or maybe I actually can't remember.
Also,
what
I'm super excited to watch Quaid pimp each of his batting practice home runs.
That's what I said when we picked him. It's like, I want them to just bring out a bat rack. You know, like that 3-point contest? They got that rack of basketballs, you just reach in, you shoot, reach in, shoot. I just want that. I want to hit a home run, flip it
Oh,
out,
that'd be amazing.
reach back, grab a new bat, let's go again.
The only issue is he's probably going to hit someone either on the AL or NL sideline as he flips
Everybody's
it
going to
off.
get all upset about it. It's like, that would be the best. It's like, he has to bat flip everything. Because that is Puig.
That would be
Puig's hit a home run, cool. It's a home run by Puig.
Now, I
Then he
know,
bat flips.
I know guys can decline it, but Nelson Cruz declining it, that's bad. Carlos Gomez not being in it, that's not good.
Yeah.
You kind of, and how come Adam Dunn has never been in a home run derby?
I know. I don't get that
I
at
think All-Star
all.
games doesn't matter. Although I guess
You have to make the game.
Yeah, you don't have to be in the
You don't
All-Star
have to be in the
game.
game.
Cespedes won last year
Yeah.
without being an All-Star.
I mean, you just put Ryan Howard in it. Who cares if he can't actually hit anymore? Even in a home run derby, it's entertaining.
Yeah.
I mean, put sluggers in the thing. I mean, Troy Tulowitzki is an excellent hitter, but he's not a slugger. He's not a guy that's going to really
I'm
excel
kinda
in a
with you.
home run derby.
They should cut it to 6 guys and have 6 real, like you say, sluggers. Harper, the guys that can really hit bombs.
Yeah.
But then how do they
Trumbo.
extend that
There's-
show from 7 to midnight?
That's the problem.
Well, did you ever watch the original home
Just
run
put
derby?
the Sports Center on early. Relax, guys.
The original home run derby
Your
was,
ratings can't be that crucial.
the original home run derby was great because it was actually a TV show.
Oh, yeah. When it was one-on-one and way back in the
yeah.
day.
It was like Harmon Killebrew versus Mickey Mantle.
And they would do it like Wide World of Sports.
Yeah.
I mean, it was,
I think like sports back in like the 50s, 60s was just much more entertaining the way they did it. Like there were stars like Judo Gene LaBelle. That's at one point a star, like the biggest star in the United States in sports.
Judo Gene.
Because I mean, there's like guys from these like
It's like a porno star now.
guys from niche sports would just be like amazing stars.
All right. I think that is about it. That is our All-Star Break podcast. What did we decide?
Extravaganza.
There we go. So, we're actually not having a podcast next week because I'll be in Vegas.
And what we talk about,
Vegas.
I'll be in Richmond.
So the week after,
I think
we're
we won that one.
we're back. I don't know what day that is. I'm gonna sit here and look at what day it is.
The 24th.
Is it 24th?
7 plus 17.
Oh, I didn't know what next Thursday was. So, yeah, we're back to 24. Until then, we are Ghost. Sweet. 5 o'clock.
I gotta run.
All right, man.
I gotta get Frederick.